Having lost control of her body, Ma Xiaoling felt as if her soul was about to explode when she saw her own body kissing Chang Yu. Because of the Ma family's ancestral teachings, Ma Xiaoling has never even held a boy's hand in her entire life, let alone kissed anyone. Although she had lost control of her body, her senses had not disappeared. The moment their lips touched, Ma Xiaoling felt a tingling sensation all over her body. It was an unprecedented feeling that swept through her body, even diminishing her desire to fight for control of her body. Just wanting to savor the feeling for a moment, Ma Xiaoling suddenly felt a jolt. You bastards, what are you doing? You're even sticking your tongues out. Ma Xiaoling's soul was about to explode, she had no strength left to resist. A moment later, Chu Chun led Chang Yu and Wang Zhenzhen directly to a room. She flipped the stunned Wang Zhenzhen onto the bed, then forced Ma Xiaoling to straddle Chang Yu and began tearing at Chang Yu's clothes. What do you want to do? Chang Yu pretended to be panicked, but his hand had already quietly climbed up those 42-inch long legs. He kept thinking to himself, wow, this trip was definitely worthwhile. However, Ma Xiaoling, who had been deprived of control of her body, was completely stunned. Damn it! What is this female ghost trying to do? Am I going to die here today? She felt a tingling sensation all over her body and couldn't muster any strength, but her girlish reserve still made her muster her energy. Silently reciting the Ma family divine dragon incantation, Lin, Bing, Do, Jia, Ji, Zhen, Lai. As Ma Xiaoling chanted the Ma family divine dragon incantation, Chu Chun felt a supreme and holy power begin to gather within Ma Xiaoling's body. Knowing that the female Taoist priest was in a hurry and about to use her trump card, she glanced at Chang Yu reluctantly, then leaned down and kissed Chang Yu on the lips. At this moment, Ma Xiaoling finished reciting the divine dragon incantation, and a phantom image of a divine dragon emerged from Ma Xiaoling's body. She directly ejected Chu Chun's figure from her body and sent it flying into the air. Ma Xiaoling finally regained control of her body and raised her head, not even having time to get up. He then raised his hand and tossed out a green lucky star, and a suction force enveloped early spring. Chu Chun felt the time was right, so she didn't resist. She glanced at Chang Yu with a slight smile before being taken in by Lucky Star. Ma Xiaoling reached out and grabbed the Lucky Star, then turned back to glare fiercely at Chang Yu. You BD, you son of a BCH, how long do you plan to keep touching it? As she spoke, her gaze shifted downwards, landing on her own jade-like legs, where two large hands covered them. Chang Yu casually withdrew her hand, saying without any apology, sorry, my hand slipped. You. Ma Xiaoling glared angrily at Chang Yu. Damn it, her hand slipped? This guy is a complete scoundrel, a rogue, a shameless pervert? Miss Ma, aren't you getting up yet? Chang Yu said, moving her limbs slightly. Ma Xiaoling's face flushed red, and she realized that she was still straddling Chang Yu. She hurriedly scrambled to her feet. In her haste, she almost tripped over herself, but fortunately Chang Yu quickly got up and helped her, saving the legendary female celestial master from a humiliating fall. In her panic, Chang Yu's hand landed in the wrong place, drawing another angry glare from Ma Xiaoling. Chang Yu withdrew his hand, shrugged, and his expression seemed to say, you couldn't stand up straight, so it's my fault. You. Ma Xiaoling glared angrily at Chang Yu, then quickly went to the other side of the bed. He helped Wang Zhenzhen up. Zhenzhen, are you alright? He then checked Wang Zhenzhen up and down, and only breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that she was alright. Wang Zhenzhen shyly slapped Ma Xiaoling's hand away, then looked at Ma Xiaoling and Chang Yu with a complicated expression. You too. Ma Xiaoling interrupted Wang Zhenzhen directly. I have nothing to do with this lecherous man. I was just possessed by a female ghost. Then, turning back to glare at Chang Yu, he waved his fist. You'd better keep what happened today to yourself, or you'll regret it. Chang Yu chuckled. Miss Ma's lips aren't as hard as yours. Ma Xiaoling's eyes widened, her cheeks flushed, and she pointed at Chang Yu, speechless for a moment. Then she stepped forward and stomped hard on Chang Yu's foot. He grabbed Wang Zhenzhen and ran, completely ignoring Master Kongke and Kuang Tianyu and the others who had arrived at the door. Chang Yu shrugged, turning to look at Master Peacock and Kuang Tianyu. You're too late. The female ghost has already been subdued by Ma Xiaoling. Amitba. Now that the female ghost has been subdued, we shall take our leave. Master Peacock chanted a Buddhist prayer, then turned and left with his disciples. Kuang Tianyu gave Chang Yu a deep look, then turned and left. Chang Yu shook her head, chuckled softly, and headed towards her room. Today's haul was quite good, so Chang Yu was naturally in a great mood and could finally get a good night's sleep. Meanwhile, back in her room, Ma Xiaoling sat blankly on the sofa, recalling the contact she had just experienced. Her fingers unconsciously traced her lips. Was it really that soft? For some reason, she felt no anger, only a sense of shame and annoyance, and a lingering attachment. Realizing this, Ma Xiaoling's cheeks flushed crimson once more. Xiaoling, are you alright? Wang Zhenzhen came over with a glass of water and asked with concern. This abruptly interrupted Ma Xiaoling's thoughts. She inwardly berated herself for being so weak, then replied somewhat flusteredly, Zhenzhen, I'm fine. Oh, so about you and Mr. Chang. Wang Zhenzhen continued, a hint of bitterness in her voice. Ma Xiaoling immediately stood up and put her arm around Wang Zhenzhen's shoulder. I have nothing to do with that scoundrel, not now, and not ever. Ma Xiaoling spoke with righteous indignation and a very firm tone, but Wang Zhenzhen, who grew up with Ma Xiaoling, could tell that Ma Xiaoling was somewhat guilty. However, she didn't expose her best friend's words. Instead, she forced a smile and said, "Actually, you two are quite a good match. You're so beautiful, and Mr. Chang is so outstanding." A strange feeling stirred within Ma Xiaoling, and she immediately interrupted Zhenzhen, pulling her towards the bed. "All right, we've been through so much, we should sleep now. Our mission is complete, we can have a good time sightseeing tomorrow." Seeing that Ma Xiaoling didn't want to say more, Zhenzhen had no choice but to go to her bedside. "Good night, Xiaoling." "Good night." Neither of the two girls slept well that night, their minds were filled with images of Chang Yu. However, they tacitly remained silent. The next day arrived in the blink of an eye. Chang Yu got out of the big bed, took a comfortable hot bath, and then went downstairs for breakfast. He had a feeling that the two women wouldn't appear before him today. After all, they needed time to process what happened yesterday. Putting the two women aside, Chang Yu began to enjoy her breakfast. As a zombie, being able to eat and drink normally was such a blissful thing. Next, his attention will be focused on Hong Kong, so he will naturally need to appease Aoitsuki and Shizuka. There's also Miyuki Nakayama who needs to be taken care of. We can't just take advantage of her and then abandon her. Chang Yu isn't that kind of irresponsible scumbag. He's just lived too long and needs young and beautiful girls to soothe his increasingly weary heart and keep him young at heart. As for the problem in early spring, Chang Yu was not worried. Even without his reminder, Ma Xiaoling would likely find out from others. However, before leaving the hotel after breakfast, Chang Yu left a letter at the hotel reception for them to give to Ma Xiaoling. It contained a detailed record of Chu Chun's background and his advice. After all, nothing is absolute, and if Ma Xiaoling held a grudge against Chu Chun because of what happened last night, then his plan would be wasted. However, Chang Yu wasn't too worried. Ma Xiaoling was kind-hearted by nature and might be angry for a moment, but after seeing his letter, she would definitely not hold a grudge against Chu Chun anymore. Besides, with the even kinder Zhenzhen there to reassure them, there was even less to worry about. After leaving the letter, Chang Yu didn't linger and drove directly to Miyuki Nakayama's residence. After some reassurance, he took Nakayama Miyuki and headed towards the dockside villa, where he usually lived. Aoitsuki and Shizuka already know of his return and will surely be waiting for him there. The reason I brought Miyuki Nakayama along was to confront her directly and make her one of my own. As the car slowly drove into the dockside villa area, Chang Yu could see Aoitsuki and Shizuka standing at the villa entrance, eagerly waiting. Through the car window, Miyuki Nakayama sat in the passenger seat, looking at the beautiful scenery outside with some curiosity. The villa area by the dock is high-end and sophisticated. Before taking office, these police officers had all been warned by higher UPS. The people here are not to be trifled with, so we advised them to stay away from this area as much as possible, and Miyuki Nakayama was no exception. Therefore, this was her first time here. Thinking of those who had testified for her before, Miyuki Nakayama looked at Chang Yu with even greater awe. Chang Yu glanced at her, a smile playing on her lips. "Don't be nervous, you'll be a resident here soon." The car stopped in front of the villa, and Aoitsuki and Shizuka immediately came to greet them. "Boss." Jing Xiang opened the car door for Chang Yu and called out gently, her eyes filled with joy and affection. Aoitsuki walked to the passenger side, opened the car door for Nakayama Miyuki, and smiled, saying, "Hello, I'm Aoitsuki." Nakayama Miyuki got out of the car somewhat awkwardly and quickly extended her hand. "Hello, I'm Nakayama Miyuki." Shizuka waved to Miyuki Nakayama. "I'm Shizuka." Miyuki Nakayama quickly bowed in response. Looking at the two outstanding beauties in front of her, she suddenly felt a little inferior. Chang Yu walked over and gently patted her shoulder. "Don't be too reserved. From now on, we're all family." Aoitsuki and Shizuka smiled and nodded at Nakayama Miyuki, secretly praising their boss for having good taste. Although the policewoman in front of me was a little reserved, I could still see the heroic spirit between her brows, and she was also extremely beautiful. As for feelings of jealousy, perhaps there might be some, but they've all lived for decades. I'm very open-minded about all of this, and the boss is in excellent health, so what's the harm in having a few more? Chang Yu looked on with satisfaction at the initial harmonious atmosphere between the three women, clapped his hands, and said, "All right, let's go inside. I have something to tell you." After entering the villa, Chang Yu sat on the sofa, his gaze falling on Nakayama Miyuki. "I haven't revealed my identity to you before. Are you ready to see my true face now?" Miyuki Nakayama paused slightly, then nodded emphatically. With a thought, Chang Yu transformed into a zombie, his eyes turning purple gold, two sharp fangs protruding from his mouth, and his gaze indifferently fixed on Nakayama Miyuki. Upon seeing Chang Yu's current appearance, Miyuki Nakayama's pupils contracted, and she subconsciously shrank back. Chang Yu shook his head slightly, his voice turning cold. "To possess power like mine, one must become a zombie like me. If you change your mind now, out of consideration for the time we shared a bed, I can let you go back, erase your memories of me, and let you return to a normal life." Zombies. Miyuki Nakayama looked slightly taken aback. She had seen zombies on some Huxia television programs, but weren't zombies always grotesque and hopping around? How could Chang Yu in front of me be like a normal person? But looking at the fangs around his mouth, they really did look like the fangs of zombies on TV. Given Chang Yu's terrifying strength, it's understandable that he's a zombie. After becoming a zombie, will I be able to maintain a normal human?
Hey everyone, welcome to our channel, and thank you for your support. If there's a favorite novel on the channel and you want the next part, you're just one step away. Become a Patreon member and I can make it depending on your tier. Thank you for your attention.
Appearance like you? Miyuki Nakayama asked cautiously. Of course. Chang Yu chuckled. Aoyu and Shizuka exchanged a glance, then transformed into zombie form, with emerald green pupils and sharp fangs. We're zombies too. As long as we don't transform on our own, we're no different from normal people, Shizuka said with a smile. Seeing the three of them, Miyuki Nakayama's gaze gradually hardened, and she rose and bowed respectfully. I'm willing to become a zombie and stay by your side. Okay. Chang Yu smiled, flicked a drop of blood essence from his fingertip, and let it merge into Nakayama Miyuki's brow. Miyuki Nakayama froze and fell onto the sofa. Chang Yu stepped forward to help her up. Turning to Aoitsuki and Shizuka, he said, next, I'll be heading to Hong Kong. Once you've finished dealing with things here, you can come find me. Shizuka asked curiously, did the boss go to Hong Kong because of those two girls at the Hot Spring Hotel? Chang Yu raised an eyebrow, how did you know? Shizuka smiled slyly, when the boss comes back, the two of us will definitely pay extra attention. Chang Yu shook his head helplessly, you guys. His expression then turned serious, many interesting things will happen in Hong Kong involving them, but there will also be many risks. When you go there later, remember, avoid revealing your identity if possible. Seeing the seriousness in Chang Yu's words, the two women knew the gravity of the situation and nodded solemnly. As the three were talking, Miyuki Nakayama, who was lying on the sofa, began to change. Suddenly, it opened its eyes, which flashed with purple light mixed with pale gold. Two fangs sprouted from the sides of its mouth, and with a swift movement, it leaped up from the sofa. It extended its sharp claws and immediately tried to pounce on the three of them, but as it approached, it suddenly stopped, its purple light flashing as if it were struggling. A moment later, Miyuki Nakayama's hoarse voice rang out, Master, I'm sorry, I couldn't control myself just now. Chang Yu nodded slightly, casually flicked a bead of essence blood into Nakayama Miyuki's mouth, ignoring Nakayama Miyuki who was digesting the abundant energy in the bead. He stroked his chin, lost in thought. When he first transformed Shizuka and the others, the first thing they did upon waking was lose their reason and want to drink blood. It's quite remarkable that Miyuki Nakayama regained control after only a moment of loss of control. However, when he transformed Shizuka and the others, he only had second-generation green eyes, while they had third-generation yellow eyes, so it's not surprising that he lost control. The higher the bloodline, the greater the potential after transformation. But to which level of zombie does Nakayama Miyuki's purple and gold eyes belong? Thinking of this, Chang Yu simply flicked out 2 more drops of his essence blood, which merged into the brows of Jing Xiang and Kang Jingyu. The two looked at Chang Yu with surprise. Chang Yu shook her head slightly, indicating that they should absorb it as soon as possible. Since my bloodline has changed again, those closest to me will naturally have to change as well. After the two women finish absorbing the essence blood, they can see if they have become stronger again. This will allow them to determine who is stronger among the second-generation members of their own purple-gold bloodline and who is weaker among the second-generation members of Zhang Chen's bloodline. The two women's bloodlines were already quite strong, so they didn't take as long to absorb the essence and blood as Miyuki Nakayama. After Miyuki Nakayama digested the energy of the essence blood bead, the two women also completely absorbed Chang Yu's essence blood. Their eyes changed from green to purple gold, and their auras became stronger. The two women stepped forward with concern to help Chang Yu up. Boss, are you alright? They still remembered how Chang Yu had given up 4 drops of her essence blood at once, leaving herself weak. This time, she gave up 3 drops at once, and they were worried that Chang Yu would become weak again. Chang Yu smiled slightly, it's alright. My strength has increased significantly since this trip. A few drops of essence blood are nothing to worry about. You should first feel the changes in yourselves and see if you've become stronger again. The two women, still somewhat doubtful, released Chang Yu, clenched their fists, silently sensing their internal state, then looked at Chang Yu with smiles. Boss, we've gotten much stronger again. Our abilities seem to have improved as well. Miyuki Nakayama, standing nearby, excitedly pumped her fist. Master, I feel like I have inexhaustible strength. Chang Yu looked at Nakayama Miyuki. This is normal. Becoming a zombie will greatly enhance your physical abilities. You should learn from Shizuka and the others and develop your own special ability as soon as possible. Yes, Master, Miyuki will certainly not let you down, Miyuki Nakayama solemnly declared. Chang Yu waved her hand. From now on, we're all family. You can call me boss, just like Jing Xiang and the others. Miyuki Nakayama smiled broadly. Okay, boss. Chang Yu then looked at Shizuka and Aoitsuki, and smiled slightly. It's good that you've improved. Practice more and try to adapt to your increased power as quickly as possible. In addition, you also need to talk to Miyuki about the current situation and teach her to adapt to her newfound power as quickly as possible. The two women nodded. Okay, boss. Aoyu stepped forward. Boss, you lost 3 drops of essence blood at once. Are you feeling tired? Let me help you take a bath and give you a good massage. All right. Chang Yu pondered for a moment, then followed Aoitsuki towards the bathroom. There was no rush to go back to the hot spring hotel. Having not seen Shizuka and Miyuki for a long time, Chang Yu missed them dearly, so he simply turned to look at Shizuka and Miyuki Nakayama. You three can join me too. I'll teach you three how to control your powers while I'm at it. The two girls blushed slightly, exchanged a glance, and then silently followed Chang Yu's steps. The villa fell silent for a moment, then after a short while, it seemed as if some alluring moans could be heard. While enjoying the tenderness of Chang Yu in his arms, inside the hot spring hotel, Ma Xiaoling held the letter Chang Yu had left behind, her brow furrowed. Zhenzhen leaned closer and whispered, Xiaoling, what did Mr. Cheng say? Ma Xiaoling handed her the letter, her tone complicated, read it yourself. Zhenzhen took the letter, quickly glanced through it, and exclaimed in surprise, this is the background story of the female ghost from yesterday. Was her name Chu-chun? Then, with a hint of pity in her voice, she continued, I never imagined her background was so tragic. Xiaoling, what are you going to do? Are you going to find that monk? Ma Xiaoling looked conflicted, that damned BD, why did he have to tell me all this? I could have just killed that female ghost, why did he have to send her to be exorcised? Zhenzhen smiled gently and took Ma Xiaoling's hand. Alright, I know you're not that kind of person, Xiaoling. I'm sure Mr. Chang saw your kindness, which is why he made that suggestion. This shows that Mr. Chang also approves of you. Who needs his approval? It's so annoying. Ma Xiaoling's face flushed slightly, but her words remained stubborn. However, as her best friend, Zhenzhen could easily see that Ma Xiaoling was being hypocritical. A complex emotion flickered in his eyes. He pulled Ma Xiaoling out of the hotel, speaking gently as if coaxing a child. All right, I'll go with you to find Master Peacock. Ma Xiaoling stamped her foot and gritted her teeth, saying, let's make this clear first, I'll only go with you if Zhenzhen wants to. Zhenzhen smiled slightly, okay, it's what I want to do to help Chu-chan. Then, pulling Ma Xiaoling along, they asked the hotel receptionist for Master Peacock's address and went there. Without Chang Yu's involvement, the plot unfolded as originally planned, with Master Peacock demanding most of Ma Xiaoling's reward for capturing Chu-chun. She readily accepted the task of helping Chu-chun with her spiritual practice. However, what Master Peacock didn't know was that when she received the lucky star from Ma Xiaoling, Chu-chun had already escaped using an invisibility talisman. What remained inside the lucky star was merely a clone created from a wisp of her ghostly energy combined with a clone talisman. Ma Xiaoling angrily led Zhenzhen away from Master Peacock's residence, only to unexpectedly bump into Master Peacock playing with a group of children. We learned indirectly that the reason Master Peacock was so greedy for money was because he had adopted a group of orphans. Kind-hearted, she immediately felt relieved, and her mood brightened again. She then took Zhenzhen to various shopping malls for a shopping spree. When Chang Yu returned to the hot spring hotel, it was 3 days later. For the past 3 days, he has been enjoying the company of beautiful women in his arms, living a life of blissful forgetfulness, and has completely forgotten about the 2 women who are still at the hot spring hotel. As Chang Yu hummed a little tune, when she returned to the hot spring hotel, Ma Xiaoling, Zhenzhen, and even Kuang Tianyu had already returned to Daxia. All that remained was a letter left by Zhenzhen at the front desk, which Chang Yu took from the staff member. He casually tore open the envelope, pulled out the letter, and began to read. Zhenzhen had left a message in the letter. Following Chang Yu's advice, they have already sent Chu-chun's soul to Master Kong K for a ritual of deliverance. After spending another day sightseeing nearby, I've now returned to Hong Kong. I wanted to say goodbye in person, but I couldn't find myself anywhere. Having learned from the hotel reception that he hadn't checked out yet, she left this letter, inviting him to have tea with them at the Jiajia building after he returned to Hong Kong. In the letter, Ma Xiaoling also wrote a vicious sentence, you lecherous scoundrel, I'll settle the score with you next time we meet. Chang Yu smiled slightly, put the letter away, and said, you personally invited me, so if anything happens afterward, don't blame me. Chang Yu's eyes held a playful glint, a strange undertone, as he casually checked out at the front desk and drove straight to the airport. With the power of money, Chang Yu quickly boarded a first-class flight to Hong Kong, enjoyed top-notch service, and then the plane arrived at Hong Kong airport. Chang Yu walked out of the airport terminal with a half-smile on his face, casually stuffing a business card into his pants pocket. Mengling had been waiting at the airport for a long time. As soon as she saw Chang Yu come out, she quickly went to greet him, took his arm, and said sweetly, boss, it's been a long time. Chang Yu smiled slightly, it has indeed been quite a while. As they chatted, Mengling led them into the back seat of the luxury car. The front partition was lowered, and the driver started the engine. Mengling turned around abruptly, straddled Chang Yu, tightened her arms around him, and murmured something. Boss, I miss you so much. Chang Yu was certainly not an unromantic person. After all, having become a zombie with the purple gold bloodline, he had inexhaustible energy. In addition, he hadn't seen Mengling for so long, and he missed her terribly. The car was suddenly engulfed in a tempestuous storm, and Mengling's beautiful secretary in the driver's seat quickly drove the car to a secluded corner. He got out of the car and stood guard to the side. The car kept shaking, which made the beautiful secretary blush slightly. He thought to himself, these two are a bit too impatient. Then she looked at herself and thought, I'm not bad looking, so why doesn't the boss give me a try? Those who could stay by Mengling's side were naturally all quite good looking and had good figures. As her personal secretary, she was turned into a third-generation zombie by Mengling at a young age. He was perfectly aware of the identities of the two people in the car, and although he was inwardly furious, he showed no sign of it on his face. From sunrise until it began to shift westward, Cullinan's swaying finally stopped. The beautiful secretary quickly stepped forward, opened the driver's side door, started the car, and returned to the main road. I secretly decided that when I got back, I would take the car to the Four's shop for a checkup to see if it had been shaken to pieces by those two. Behind the barrier, Mengling lay languidly on Chang Yu, her voice slightly hoarse as she asked, "Boss, where are you headed next?" Chang Yu stroked Mengling's long, silky hair and asked her, "Have things been arranged at Jiajia building?" Mengling sat up straight, fully exposing her beautiful figure to Chang Yu, and pouted slightly in dissatisfaction. "It's all arranged. I've bought the entire 6th floor. The landlady's daughter lives in apartment 501, right below you." Chang Yu chuckled and pinched Mengling's nose. "All right, I'm going to see them. I'll come back to keep you company tomorrow. Ling Shi should be back by now." Mengling wriggled in dissatisfaction and snuggled back into Chang Yu's arms. The smooth, tender touch made Chang Yu unable to resist giving her pert buttocks a light pat. "Behave yourself." Mengling chuckled sweetly, her mood brightening once more. She wrapped her arms around Chang Yu's neck and spoke in a soft, coquettish voice. "Yes, Lingzi will be back tomorrow." Then she blew a breath into Chang Yu's ear, playfully licking his earlobe with her little tongue, and said seductively, "We'll give you a surprise together tomorrow." A series of images flashed through Chang Yu's mind, and a surge of anger rose within him, causing his body to react immediately. Mengling, who was in close contact with Chang Yu, immediately sensed the change in him. Her pretty face flushed, and her body unconsciously began to twist. The beautiful secretary, who was driving in front, felt the car shake and inwardly groaned, "Not again." He then skillfully drove off the main road, parked the Cullinan in a secluded spot, and got out to stand guard. It wasn't until evening that the Cullinan stopped downstairs at the Jiajia building. Inside the car, Mengling gently straightened Chang Yu's clothes. He spoke somewhat languidly, "Let me go up with you." "No need, you should go back and rest early. I'll arrange for someone to send a car over later," Chang Yu replied gently, pinching Mengling's cheek. Then he opened the car door and got out, and a nearly dissipated scent of Photinia flowers immediately wafted out of the car. He waved to Mengling, then stepped into the Jiajia building. Behind her, Mengling stared intently at Chang Yu's retreating figure through the car window until he disappeared into the building. Then she knocked on the barrier in front of her. The vehicle slowly drove away from Jiajia building and stopped at another building not far away. Mengling stepped out of the car, a beautiful smile curving her lips. Since the boss had returned, they naturally wanted to be closer to him, so they bought another house nearby for living. After dropping Mengling off in the car, the beautiful secretary headed straight to the Four's dealership. She felt that if the car wasn't serviced soon, it might fall apart at any moment. Chang Yu stepped into Jiajia building. Since it was already dusk, the residents inside the building should all be at home cooking or eating. The lobby was deathly silent, except for an old man in a corner who was dozing off with a newspaper in his hand. Chang Yu stopped and glanced at him. This must be Uncle Gu, who's a little hard of hearing and sits in the lobby like a decoration. He shook his head and walked straight towards the elevator. When Chang Yu took the elevator upstairs, Uncle Gu didn't react at all. He really knows how to watch the door. When Chang Yu rang the doorbell for apartment 501, she hadn't evicted the original residents, even though she had bought the entire 6th floor. She had only emptied the largest apartment, 601. The entire 6th floor is still being looked after by Wiang Jiajia, and the key to room 601 is still in her possession. Therefore, Chang Yu naturally wanted to visit Wiang Jiajia as soon as possible, and also wanted to see how Zhenzhen would react when she suddenly appeared. "They're here." A pleasant female voice rang out from inside the door, followed by hurried footsteps. Picture. The door opened, and a woman with a gentle demeanor, a soft face, and a warm smile appeared before Chang Yu. Chang Yu's eyes lit up. Was this Wiang Jiajia, the wealthy woman who owned an entire building in Hong Kong? No wonder she could give birth to such a beautiful daughter as Zhenzhen. Wiang Jiajia herself is an exceptionally beautiful woman. With her possession of an entire building, her wealth sustains her, and she possesses exceptional poise and excellent maintenance, making it impossible to tell that she has a daughter in her 20s. She looked like a beautiful woman in her 30s, with a sacred maternal glow emanating from her. Chang Yu suddenly understood Cao Mend a little better. The spirit of the Jianan era was truly undeniable. It is said that Zhenzhen lost her father when she was very young, and Wiang Jiajia has always been virtuous and raised Zhenzhen on her own. For a moment, Chang Yu felt a slight restlessness in the divine dragon essence blood he had refined, much like the feeling that a flower in full bloom should not be left unpicked. Silently reciting the heart-cleansing mantra, Chang Yu couldn't help but think of those Taoist priests. Over the years, I've learned from others everywhere. I can't accept the bald man's theories, but I do accept the Taoist principle of following nature and letting everything go as one pleases. Chang Yu, however, understood it perfectly. With the addition of the Ma family's divine dragon blood, Chang Yu felt that he was now letting himself go a bit. "Sir, may I ask who you are?" Wiang Jiajia looked at the young man in front of her with a puzzled expression. Why was he staring at her blankly as soon as they met? But the young man was quite handsome. Pa, what am I thinking? Wang Jiajia's pretty face flushed slightly, secretly despising herself for being genuinely hungry. This young man could be her son-in-law. Wang Jiajia's voice pulled Chang Yu back to reality from her reverie, reminding her of the principle that I'm not embarrassed, it's others who are embarrassed. Chang Yu smiled and extended her hand. Hello, my name is Chang Yu. I'm the owner of the apartment on the 6th floor. You must be Sister Jiajia. I'm here to get the keys. Wang Jiajia was taken aback, then quickly grasped Chang Yu's hand, saying with some surprise, You're Chang Yu, Mr. Chang? I didn't expect you to be so young. Don't use those formal terms, Jiajia. If you don't mind, you can call me Ayu or Xiao Chang. From now on, we'll be neighbors, so please take good care of me, Jiajia. Chang Yu waved his hand and smiled as he spoke. Mom, who's outside? A familiar voice called from inside the door. Chang Yu wore a mysterious smile, while Wang Jiajia rubbed her forehead. Look at me, we've been chatting at the door for so long. Mr. Chang, no, Ayu, I just finished cooking rice, let's eat and chat. Chang Yu rubbed her stomach. I'm a little hungry too, so I won't stand on ceremony with Jiajia. Please don't mind if I'm being presumptuous, Jiajia. Not at all, Ayu, please come in quickly. The more people there are, the more lively it will be, Wang Jiajia said warmly. Then I'll have to trouble you, Jiajia. With that, Chang Yu followed Wang Jiajia through the door. He couldn't wait to see Wang Zhenzhen's surprised expression. Hey guys, if you like it, could you please give it a 5-star review? After following Wang Jiajia through the entrance hall, Chang Yu immediately saw Wang Zhenzhen standing in front of the dining table. Just then, Wang Zhenzhen turned around, her gaze passing over Wang Jiajia, and met Chang Yu's eyes. Wang Zhenzhen's originally calm eyes suddenly stirred, showing surprise and disbelief. Mr. Chang, what brings you here? Chang Yu smiled and waved. Miss Zhenzhen, we meet again. Wang Zhenzhen stepped forward quickly, still seemingly incredulous. Wang Jiajia, standing beside her, asked in surprise. Ayu, Zhenzhen, did you know each other before? Chang Yu smiled and nodded. We just met a few days ago. Wang Zhenzhen also realized what was happening. Her pretty face flushed slightly, and she looked at Wang Jiajia. Mom, you know each other too. Wang Jiajia replied with a smile. Ayu is the one I told you about before, the one who bought the entire 6th floor. This is our first meeting today, and I never expected Ayu to be so young and accomplished. Chang Yu shook her head modestly. Sister Jiajia is joking, I was just lucky. Looking at her daughter's slightly flushed cheeks and Chang Yu's warm smile, Wang Jiajia understood, and a hint of disappointment flickered in her heart, but it was quickly replaced by a smile. So you two knew each other all along? That's wonderful. Zhenzhen, please ask Ayu to sit down. I'll get you a bowl and chopsticks. Mr. Chang, please have a seat. Wang Zhenzhen hurriedly pulled out a chair, her movements carrying a hint of barely perceptible panic, her eyes sparkling, clearly still not recovered from her astonishment. Thank you, Miss Zhenzhen. Chang Yu readily sat down, her gaze sweeping across the table. Several simple home-style dishes looked and smelled delicious, steaming hot. While it may not be comparable to those of top chefs, it is filled with the warm atmosphere of home. Jiajia's cooking is so good, it looks so appetizing. Ayu, you're so good with words. Wang Jiajia came out with bowls and chopsticks, just in time to hear this, and smiled with her eyes crinkling. It's just some simple home-cooked food, I'm glad you don't mind. She placed the bowl and chopsticks in front of Chang Yu and sat down next to him. How could I possibly find it disgusting? To me, it's an absolute delicacy, Chang Yu said sincerely. These words were not flattering to Wang Jiajia. Although she had not lacked anything materially over the years, and had even been quite well off, this was not a compliment. But he hadn't experienced that warm, family atmosphere in a long time. Dimly, Chang Yu sensed that something had subtly increased within his zombie bloodline, resulting in a slight boost to his strength. This inevitably reminded him of the absurd setting of this world. Zombies are clearly evil species born from the most yin and filth in the world. The zombies that came after that generation, perhaps due to the principle of yin giving rise to yang, could be considered a kind of pan-god race. Ironically, in this world's setting, love is portrayed as the ultimate power of zombies. I don't know what the writers were thinking at the time. Were they trying to create a contrast? However, this also gave Chang Yu many more thoughts. It's just love, isn't it? Universal love is also love. My heart is just broken into pieces, each piece inhabited by a different woman, but doesn't that just prove that I have a great love for this world? Chang Yu silently reaffirmed her inner conviction. That's it, absolutely. From now on, I will show more love to this world. Chang Yu could vaguely sense that his strength was beginning to improve rapidly. He narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Wang Zhenzhen who was sitting quietly opposite him, and teased her. Miss Zhenzhen seems surprised. Does she not welcome me, her new neighbor? No, that's not it. Wang Zhenzhen quickly waved her hand, her face flushing even deeper. I just didn't expect that we'd meet again so soon, and I certainly didn't expect. You probably never expected to become my neighbor by such a coincidence? I hope Miss Zhenzhen will take good care of me in the future. Chang Yu extended her hand, with a hint of teasing. Wang Zhenzhen shyly reached out and shook hands with Chang Yu, her voice barely a whisper. Please take good care of me, Mr. Chang. Seeing the two of them like this, Wang Jiajia smiled and shook her head, then placed a piece of braised pork into Chang Yu's bowl. Ayu, try Auntie's specialty and see how it tastes. Then he looked at Wang Zhenzhen. We'll be neighbors from now on. This gentleman and lady attitude is getting a bit too formal. Chang Yu nodded, put down his chopsticks, first praised Wang Jiajia's cooking skills, and then looked at Wang Zhenzhen. Yeah, didn't you say you'd call me brother Yu before? You seem so distant this time. Wang Zhenzhen nodded, her face slightly flushed. No, you also call me Miss Zhenzhen, right? Then I'll call you brother Yu from now on, don't be so polite. Okay, Zhenzhen. The three exchanged a smile, and the atmosphere at the dinner table became very harmonious. Chang Yu was knowledgeable and witty. He would subtly praise the two women a few times, and their laughter would frequently echo across the dinner table. During the meal, Chang Yu's phone beeped, but he only glanced at it before continuing to chat and eat with the two women without saying a word. After the meal, Chang Yu stood up with a smile. Jiajia, Zhenzhen, I came in a hurry today and didn't bring any gifts. I'll make it up to you next time. Oh, ew, you're too kind. Wang Jiajia quickly waved her hand, her smile genuine. I'm so happy you could come for dinner. From now on, make yourself at home and you're always welcome. Wang Zhenzhen also stood up, a gentle smile in her eyes, her previous awkwardness largely gone. Yes, brother Yu, don't be so polite. It's only right for neighbors to look after each other. Then I'll shamelessly come and bother you often. Chang Yu readily agreed, his gaze sweeping over the sincere and enthusiastic faces of the mother and daughter. That long-lost warmth of home seemed to have grown even stronger. He could clearly feel a slight change in the power within his body, and the fusion of the two bloodlines, the ultimate yang and the ultimate yin, had accelerated considerably. This ridiculous premise is actually kind of interesting, Chang Yu thought to himself. The path of universal love is indeed full of potential. My resolve strengthened, and my smile became even more genuine. Is brother Yu going upstairs? Wang Zhenzhen asked, following Chang Yu toward the entrance. No, I booked a hotel outside. I just came to familiarize myself with the place today. I didn't bring anything. There's something I'd like to ask you for a favor, Chang Yu said with a smile. Just tell me what's wrong, brother Yu. Wang Zhenzhen nodded in response. I'd like to ask you to find someone to clean room 601 for me. I'm planning to move in the next couple of days. Ew, the building has a cleaning lady who does the cleaning. I'll have him clean for you tomorrow, Wang Jiajia, who had come along, replied with a smile. Then I'll have to trouble you, Jiajia. Chang Yu smiled as she opened the door, then turned and waved to Wang Zhenzhen and Wang Jiajia who had followed her. Good night, Jiajia and Zhenzhen. Good night, the two women waved in response. Chang Yu walked out of Jiajia building with a smile, but Uncle Gu was no longer in the lobby. He shook his head, took out his phone, and opened the message that had been sent during his meal. Four Seasons Hotel, room 5201. His smile widened, and he hailed a taxi, arriving at the Four Seasons Hotel in no time. Chang Yu stepped into the building, pressed the elevator button for the 52nd floor, arrived at room 5201, and gently knocked on the door. The next moment, the door opened, and a beautiful woman wearing a plain white bathrobe, who looked just like a fairy, appeared in front of Chang Yu and spoke with a smile. Mr. Chang, I thought you weren't coming. Since Miss Xing Lu invited me, how could I possibly stand her up? With that, he stepped into the room. That's not necessarily true. I'm just a plain-looking woman, so it's normal that Mr. Chang didn't come. Xing Lu closed the door and followed behind Chang Yu. Tisk, if Miss Xing Lu is of plain appearance, what will the other girls think? Chang Yu said, putting his arm around Xing Lu and sitting her on the sofa in the room. You know how to talk, Xing Lu said with a sweet laugh, kissing Chang Yu on the cheek before pulling away from his embrace and pouring a cup of tea for him. Then, with a mysterious smile, she said, Mr. Chang, please wait a moment. I have a surprise for you. With that, Xing Lu stepped into the inner room. Watching Xing Lu's disappearing figure, Chang Yu smiled slightly. Xing Lu was a flight attendant on the flight he took back. Chang Yu was immediately attracted by her face, which resembled that of a fairy, and so he found various reasons to flirt with her along the way. Chang Yu is handsome, and he boarded the plane just before takeoff, even sitting in first class. Even a fool could tell he had an extraordinary background. Xing Lu happened to have similar thoughts, and since they were mutually attracted, they chatted all the way. Before getting off the plane, the two exchanged contact information and agreed to meet again that evening. Chang Yu sipped her tea and waited quietly. After a short while, the door to the inner room opened, and Xing Lu walked out in a flight attendant uniform. Approaching Chang Yu, she assumed a standard flight attendant squat and smiled at him. Mr. Chang, are you satisfied with my service? Chang Yu smiled and said, what a mischievous little devil. Then he downed his tea in one gulp, picked up Xing Lu from the ground, and went to the huge French window, where the two figures gradually overlapped. Outside the window, waves crashed against Victoria Harbor, and in the narrow strait, giant ships were coming and going. At noon, the scorching sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the large bed in room 5201. Xing Lu opened her sleepy eyes. Looking at the man's strong physique beside her, Xing Lu couldn't help but blush. Recalling the crazy scene from last night, she felt an urge to cover her face. Is this still me? Xing Lu was in a bad mood lately because of her boss's harassment. Encouraged by her best friend, she couldn't help but have the idea of going all out. Coincidentally, she met Chang Yu, a rich and handsome man, on the plane, and the two hit it off immediately. Last night, I mustered up a lot of courage to send that message to Chang Yu. I thought it would just be a night of indulgence, and we would never see each other again the next day, but I recalled the shouts that lasted until dawn last night. Xing Lu suddenly felt a pang of reluctance and couldn't help but tighten her grip on the man's arm beside her. You're awake. Just as Xing Lu was recalling, a gentle, jade-like voice rang out, startling Xing Lu so much that she quickly released her arms, her pretty face flushing red. Chang Yu looked at the somewhat shy woman beside him with a teasing smile and said playfully, "Why are you shy? Weren't you very?" Before he could finish speaking, a delicate hand covered Chang Yu's mouth. Xing Lu glared at Chang Yu, embarrassed and annoyed. "Don't say it." However, Chang Yu was no longer listening to what Xing Lu was saying. In her haste, Xing Lu had rolled over and lay on top of Chang Yu. Not only was her body exposed, but the skin-to-skin contact also brought great stimulation to Chang Yu. Xing Lu stared at Chang Yu, but found that Chang Yu's eyes were not meeting hers. She followed Chang Yu's gaze. Suddenly, she screamed ah, and quickly rolled over, wrapped herself in the blanket, and covered her body. With his back to Chang Yu, he said fiercely, "Get out. What happened last night is over. We don't want to see each other again." After saying that, Xing Lu felt a pang of reluctance. How could she have said it so hastily? But it wasn't realistic to ask her to change her mind now. She could only silently pray that the man behind her wouldn't be too honest. As if knowing her true feelings, a strong arm reached out and pulled her into a hug. Chang Yu's voice carried a hint of dissatisfaction. "What? You're kicking me out after you've used me? Is Miss Xing Lu treating me like a tool?" His arms tightened, making it impossible for Xing Lu to break free. "You were the one who messaged me last night, weren't you? Now that you've used the tool, you want to just throw it away." I didn't." Her voice was muffled beneath the covers, lacking strength. It's just that it's done, it should end now. We agreed, it was just one night." "Oh." Chang Yu lowered his head, his nose gently touching Xing Lu's earlobe, and exhaled a breath of hot air, causing Xing Lu's delicate body to tremble. "That's not what you said last night. Who was it that was crying in my ear saying don't stop?" Xing Lu was so embarrassed that she wanted to crawl into the mattress. She turned around abruptly to push Chang Yu away, but he pulled her even tighter. The two faced each other, their noses almost touching. Chang Yu's eyes held a smile, clearly reflecting her shyness at that moment. You scoundrel." Xing Lu was furious, but she couldn't break free, so she could only glare at him. Looking at him up close, his handsome face, tempered by the blood of zombies and imbued with a touch of majesty, made Xing Lu blush. Memories from last night surged through her mind even more intensely. Looking at her flushed cheeks and shy yet angry eyes, Chang Yu felt inexplicably pleased, and the power flowing within his body seemed to have increased slightly. He reached out and smoothed Xing Lu's disheveled hair, revealing her breathtakingly beautiful face. His expression suddenly turned serious. "Xing Lu." Chang Yu's voice seemed to be full of magic. Xing Lu immediately suppressed her shyness, raised her head, and looked at the man beside her with confusion. Chang Yu gently stroked Xing Lu's hair and spoke softly. "Yesterday on the plane, I learned about your situation from the other flight attendants." Xing Lu frowned, staring into Chang Yu's eyes. "So, don't be nervous." Chang Yu ran her hand through Xing Lu's long hair, soothing her emotions. "That bald guy who was harassing you has been fired. You don't need to be so careful at work anymore." Xing Lu suddenly stood up, her expression first showing surprise, then calming down as she looked at Chang Yu expressionlessly. "Mr. Chang, are you helping me so much because you intend for me to be your kept woman?" Chang Yu playfully hooked Xing Lu's chin, gently kissed her, and said with a smile, "Then, Lulu, would you be willing to be my caged bird?" Chang Yu's mention of Lulu made Xing Lu's heart skip a beat, and she almost lost her composure. He scoffed inwardly. "What a jerk." He coldly remarked, "Mr. Chang's actions are no different from those of my bald boss." Chang Yu touched his chin with his fingers, seemingly deep in thought, before replying after a moment, "At least I'm handsome." Pfft. Xing Lu couldn't help but laugh out loud, and lightly spat, "Shameless." He then composed himself and said calmly, "What happened last night may have caused Mr. Chang to misunderstand something. They may think I, Xing Lu, am a shameless woman, but that doesn't matter. I thank Mr. Chang for his help, but I value having my own life even more." As she spoke, Xing Lu stubbornly stood up, ignoring the immense view that was exposed, and forcibly endured the soreness in her legs, and bowed. "Then I picked up the clothes from the ground and started to put them on." The cold voice continued, "After today, I hope I will never see Mr. Chang again." As she spoke, Xing Lu's eyes reddened slightly, as if tears were about to spill, but she forcefully suppressed them. Chang Yu stepped forward and pulled Xing Lu back onto the bed, gently stroking her cheek with his fingers, and said with a hint of roguishness, "If you don't want to be my caged bird, how about I be your little puppy?" Xing Lu rolled her eyes at Chang Yu. "Mr. Chang, please don't joke with me. This humble woman can't afford to support a god like you. I'm easy to take care of, as long as you feed me," Chang Yu said with a double meaning. Xing Lu blushed and whispered, "No way. Please let me go, Mr. Chang. I need to go to work." Chang Yu ignored him, adjusted her posture, leaned against the headboard, and spoke in a serious tone. "Lulu, I'm serious, with your looks, it's such a waste for you to be a flight attendant." "What? Isn't it a waste to be Mr. Chang's kept woman?" Xing Lu interrupted Chang Yu directly, responding irritably. Chang Yu smiled helplessly. "That's not what I meant. Let me be frank." Chang Yu then looked at Xing Lu, her tone serious. "Do you want to be a star? A celebrity? Xing Lu asked in surprise. Are you kidding me? I can't even sing or perform, what kind of celebrity would I be? Chang Yu shook her head, recalling the famous fairy-like beauty from a parallel world, her tone tinged with longing. You can learn all that, but you already have this face and this slender figure, that's enough. Xing Lu looked at Chang Yu with a puzzled expression. What do you mean? Chang Yu smiled helplessly. Do you know about eternal entertainment? Yes, I know. These entertainment companies have become incredibly popular in recent years, rising suddenly like comets, and have produced many excellent works. Xing Lu said with a hint of longing. What girl, especially a pretty girl, wouldn't yearn for a glamorous life under the spotlight? Then Xing Lu pouted. But what does that have to do with you? Chang Yu smiled slightly, a hint of amusement in his smile. That's a company under my control. What? Xing Lu's mouth gaped open, forming a peculiar O shape. Chang Yu's heart skipped a beat upon seeing this, and she couldn't help but recall a certain scene from last night. Are you kidding me? Do you think I'd be so lucky as to meet such a high-quality man on my first day out? Xing Lu snorted softly, thinking that Chang Yu was just teasing her. He waved his hand and prepared to get up and leave. Chang Yu was exasperated. He immediately wrapped his arms around Xing Lu's waist and said earnestly, I have no reason to lie to you. Xing Lu was taken aback. It seemed that Chang Yu's words made some sense. Could it be that she really was that incredibly lucky? Subconsciously, she gently stroked her flat stomach. At that moment, her mind began to recall the domineering CEO novels she'd read in her spare time, automatically constructing a plot, running away pregnant, only to discover her one-night stand was with a domineering CEO. At this moment, Xing Lu even wondered if a little life was already growing beneath her flat stomach. The more Xing Lu thought about it, the more she felt that there was something wrong with her lower abdomen. Her thoughts drifted further and further away, and a silly smile appeared on her lips. Chang Yu reached out and tapped Xing Lu on the head, annoyed. What was this girl thinking? Why was she grinning like an idiot? Ouch! Xing Lu winced and clutched her forehead, glaring fiercely at Chang Yu, but her reason quickly returned. Mr. Chang, why deceive this young lady? Everyone knows that the founder of Eternal Entertainment is a woman named Meng Ling. Chang Yu shook his head helplessly and casually sent a text message. A moment later, Xing Lu's phone rang. The text that lit up on the screen was clearly the name of Eternal Entertainment Group. Xing Lu answered the phone with some surprise. Hello, who is this? A pleasant female voice came from the other end of the phone. Hello, this is Eternal Entertainment. Is this Ms. Xing Lu? Yes, it is. What can I do for you? Xing Lu asked hesitantly. Our chairman would like to invite Ms. Xing Lu to the company for a meeting. Chang Yu shook his phone. The screen displayed a text message he had just sent to the head of Eternal Entertainment. Then, Chang Yu grabbed Xing Lu's phone, said a few words, and hung up. Then he looked at Xing Lu with a mocking expression. Xing Lu stared blankly at Chang Yu, feeling as if her brain had crashed. She was truly lucky. The next moment, she raised her arm and took a bite. Ouch, that hurts. She released her mouth the next moment and gasped for breath. Chang Yu was amused by her adorable actions and teased. What? You believe me now? Xing Lu nodded blankly, still feeling like she was in a dream, but she already believed Chang Yu's words. How about it? How about changing jobs? Chang Yu continued to press. Xing Lu looked at Chang Yu with a complicated expression. Since you're the CEO of Eternal Entertainment, what kind of beautiful women haven't you seen? We were just having a one-night stand. Why? Chang Yu reached out and pulled Xing Lu into her arms again. Because I think you're really suitable? I also want to have you forever. Xing Lu buried her face in Chang Yu's chest, feeling his strong heartbeat, and said in a muffled voice, in the end, you just want me to be your kept woman. Chang Yu gently stroked Xing Lu's back, his voice serious. Yes, but I want to keep you, my canary, for the rest of my life. Xing Lu lightly punched Chang Yu's chest. I don't believe you for a second, you big scumbag. Chang Yu brought his mouth close to Xing Lu's ear and breathed softly. I really am a scumbag. Now the scumbag is hungry and wants to eat meat again. Before Xing Lu could react, Chang Yu had already gotten up. The next moment, pleasant music started playing from the television in the room. In the evening, Xing Lu, having relived the feelings of the previous night, lay helplessly on the bed, feeling as if she had no strength left to even move a finger. Chang Yu, on the other hand, was leisurely fiddling with the plates on the bedside table. Xing Lu glared weakly at Chang Yu, and muttered under her breath, what an animal. Chang Yu picked up a bowl of bird's nest soup, looking at Xing Lu with a half-smile. What did you say? No, nothing. Xing Lu quickly turned her head away, not daring to look at Chang Yu again. Chang Yu smiled and put his arm around Xing Lu's shoulder, startling Xing Lu, who quickly said, no, I can't go on, let me rest. Chang Yu chuckled and gently flicked Xing Lu's forehead. What are you thinking about? You haven't eaten for a whole day and night, don't you feel hungry? Do you think I could really feed you? Xing Lu blushed, sat up by Chang Yu's arm, and muttered, I'm so full. Chang Yu rolled her eyes at Xing Lu, and then brought the spoon in her hand to Xing Lu's lips. Xing Lu opened her mouth and swallowed the bird's nest from the spoon. Looking at the man's serious face, she felt the sweetness of the bird's nest reaching her heart. After finishing her meal, Xing Lu fell into a deep sleep. She was just an ordinary person, and this day and night had truly exhausted her. Chang Yu gently stroked her hair, feeling his slightly increased power, smiled slightly, left a note, and then went out towards Jiajia building. It was already dark, and Chang Yu did not return directly to Jiajia building. Instead, she went to the tall building next to Jiajia building. When I called earlier, I learned that Lingzi had also come over. Since it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go to Wang Zhenzhen's house for another meal at this time, I decided to go see Lingzi and the others instead. Inside the spacious suite on the top floor, the joy of their long-awaited reunion quickly ignited a passionate flame. After a long while, the fierce waves gradually subsided, and a beautiful atmosphere filled the air. Lingzi raised her still slightly flushed face, her eyes darting around as she began her report. Boss, the scale of the ranches across the country has doubled, and the blood supply is very stable. There's also been a breakthrough in the lab. Her voice, slightly hoarse from the aftermath, was clear and strong. Based on a large number of animal blood samples, they successfully purified a substitute that can effectively replenish the energy consumption of ordinary zombies and temporarily suppress their bloodlust. Chang Yu squinted, his hand stroking Lingzi's smooth, long hair. How effective is the substitute? The effects are stable and sufficient to maintain daily needs, Lingzi affirmed. While it can't enhance strength like the blood essence bead, it also can't completely eliminate the zombie's instinctive craving for blood. But as an emergency reserve or daily supply, it's already very practical. Even if you were to go into lockdown again like before, we could use this to tide us over for a while and prevent things from getting out of control. Chang Yu nodded slightly, a hint of approval flashing in his eyes. Not bad. Next, I'll approach He Yingkaya and get him to produce the blood substitute. Then we'll have the lab study it. Perhaps it can achieve the effects of the original blood essence beads. Lingzi nodded slightly. Although she didn't know how her boss knew these things, her boss had mentioned this several times, and it had almost always come true. Naturally, they wouldn't question Chang Yu's words. At this moment, Mengling snuggled up to her, a rare hint of resentment in her voice. Boss, for so many years before, you only had us sisters by your side. How come lately? First it was Nakayama Miyuki from Japan, and then that Xing Lu, and that exorcist female Taoist priest, and Wang Zhenzhen from the Jiajia building next door. She looked up with her big, watery eyes, her voice pitiful. Now that there are more sisters around, will the boss abandon us? Upon hearing this, Lingzi immediately looked at Chang Yu with the same worry in her eyes. Boss, will you abandon us? Chang Yu felt a headache coming on. These two girls were at it again. He reached out and ruffled Meng Ling's hair, then pinched Lingxi's cheek, his tone soothing yet undeniably authoritative. Don't overthink it. Didn't I already explain it to you? Everything is for the sake of strength, so that we can stand firm in the future. You are my most trusted foundation, and no one can replace you. As she said this, Chang Yu couldn't help but think of the wonderful Japanese policewoman and flight attendant, and felt a rare sense of guilt. Mengling pouted her red lips and muttered softly, a man's mouth is a lying devil. Lingzi chimed in coquettishly, that's right, Mengling is absolutely right. Being directly exposed by the two women, Chang Yu felt embarrassed, and the heat that had just subsided was stirred up again. He jumped to his feet and began to use force to suppress them, thinking, it seems it's time to show you what I'm capable of. Afterwards, Chang Yu got up refreshed, washed up, and changed into the brand new clothes that Mengling had prepared for him. Back at the bedside, he whispered a few more words to Mengling about Xing Lu's arrangements, told them to get some rest, then picked up the gift Mengling had prepared in advance, left the suite, and went downstairs towards Jiajia building. On the way, Chang Yu stopped at a decent-looking breakfast shop and bought a lot of Hong Kong-style breakfast items, such as shrimp dumplings, egg tarts, and congee with preserved egg and lean pork, to surprise Wang Zhenzhen and Liang Jiajia. Soon, Chang Yu stepped into Jiajia building. While downstairs, Chang Yu had already sent a text message to confirm that Wang Zhenzhen and Liang Jiajia had gotten up and that there would be no scene that would disturb their sleep. In the lobby, Uncle Gu was still dozing in the corner, completely ignoring Chang Yu's comings and goings. Chang Yu was already used to it and went straight to the elevator. Ding, the elevator arrived. Chang Yu was about to step into the elevator when she saw two figures walk out. A young man wearing black-rimmed glasses, who looked honest and unassuming, was helping an elderly woman with a hunched back and a somewhat mean-looking face out of the house. Mom, let me take you to the hospital, the young man said to the elderly woman beside him with a worried expression, clearly showing great concern for his mother. What are you looking at? Why waste that money? This is an old problem for Mom. A little sunshine will do the trick, and she'll be fine in a couple of days. The old woman looked very weak, but her voice was so loud and shrill that Chang Yu couldn't help but frown. After stepping aside to let the two of them exit first, Chang Yu pressed the elevator button for the 5th floor. Before the elevator doors closed, Chang Yu took a long, deep look at the two people's retreating figures. This must be Luo Kaiping and his mother. That mean old woman must be Ping's mother. Judging by her appearance, she doesn't have much time left. Chang Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Judging by the days, it really is almost time for the third breaking day. Chang Yu's studies at various Taoist schools were not for nothing. He could easily deduce things like this, especially common sense. Some scenes from the original plot also began to echo in my mind. In the TV series, not long after Ma Xiaoling and the others returned from Japan, the third day of destruction arrived. Before this, Ping Ma died. Unwilling to leave her son, she was turned into a zombie by a drop of zombie blood from Yamamoto Marai. Later, she seemed to have killed two innocent girls before being subdued by Ma Xiaoling. Then, filled with resentment, Luo Kaiping jumped off a cliff on the third day of the 3 breakings, carrying his mother's corpse, just as the gates of hell were opened. On that day, Jin Jingzhong, that charlatan who called himself Sun Mutongse, performed a ritual, causing a large number of ghosts to gather at Jiajia building. When the two meet, all the ghosts are devoured by Luo Kaiping, and on the night of their return, they transform into hungry demons to seek revenge. Chang Yu didn't care about Luo Kaiping's revenge plot. Even if Luo Kaiping successfully transformed into a hungry demon, he would just be food for Chang Yu. Chang Yu was concerned that next up would be the appearance of the supporting actress, Yamamoto Mirai. She witnessed her father's domestic violence against her mother when she was young, and later her own father turned her and her fiancé into zombies. Because he needed to survive on blood, Yamamoto Mirai always harbored resentment towards his father. Moreover, she was kind-hearted and did not kill innocent people indiscriminately. Even when she was hungry, she went to a bar to seduce a lecherous man and leech off him. Chang Yu stroked his chin, thinking that perhaps he could intervene and alleviate the pain in the heart of this girl who was determined to die. While she was pondering, the elevator stopped. Chang Yu stopped thinking. A habitual smile appeared on her face. She stepped out of the elevator and rang the doorbell for apartment 501. Coming, came Liang Jiajia's cheerful voice from inside the door, accompanied by hurried footsteps. The door opened, and Liang Jiajia, dressed in casual clothes and looking radiant, appeared in the doorway. She was visibly taken aback when she saw Chang Yu and the load of things he was carrying. "Ew? So early? What are you doing here?" Chang Yu smiled gently. "Good morning, Sister Jiajia. I troubled you with a sumptuous dinner last time, so I brought some breakfast today as a return gift, and also to celebrate my official joining the Jiajia building. I hope I didn't disturb your rest." As she spoke, she waved the breakfast bag she was carrying. "Look, it's still warm." "Oh dear, you're too kind," Liang Jiajia said with a smile, quickly stepping aside. Come in. Zhenzhen just woke up, and her best friend is here too." A glint flashed in Cheng Yu's eyes, and his smile deepened. "Oh, there are other customers? That's perfect, I'll buy a lot." He thought to himself, this so-called best friend must be Ma Xiaoling. A playful smile crept onto his face as he discreetly carried his belongings into the cozy living room. In the living room, Wang Zhenzhen, dressed neatly and wearing black-rimmed glasses, opened the bedroom door and walked out of the room with Ma Xiaoling, who was wearing a leather jacket and short skirt. When the doorbell rang, Wang Zhenzhen wanted to go open the door, but Ma Xiaoling suddenly came over last night, and the two of them talked too late. When Cheng Yu sent the message, she had just gotten up and hadn't even had time to wash up or change her clothes yet, and Ma Xiaoling next to her was in the same state. So Liang Jiajia opened the door, and the two of them were just dressed and came face to face with Cheng Yu. Wang Zhenzhen smiled sweetly. "Good morning, brother Yu." Ma Xiaoling, standing to the side, rolled her eyes at Cheng Yu. "You scoundrel, what are you doing at Zhenzhen's house?" Cheng Yu ignored Ma Xiaoling's eye roll and greeted the two of them with a smile. "Zhenzhen, Ms. Ma, good morning." Wang Zhenzhen pulled Ma Xiaoling to Cheng Yu's side, kindly trying to defuse the situation. "Xiaoling, brother Yu also lives in Jiajia building now. He's the mysterious person who bought the entire 6th floor." A hint of realization flashed in Ma Xiaoling's eyes, but a playful smile played on her lips. "Wow, Boss Chang, so generous? Have you been eyeing my Zhenzhen all along?" "Xiaoling." Wang Zhenzhen blushed slightly and shyly slapped Ma Xiaoling. Cheng Yu smiled, but did not continue Ma Xiaoling's conversation. Instead, she lifted the bag in her hand. "On the way here, I happened to see a breakfast stall. It smelled really good, which reminded me of Jiajia's hospitality yesterday. So I took it upon myself to buy some to thank Sister Jiajia and Zhenzhen, but I didn't expect Miss Ma to be here too. Perfect timing. I bought quite a lot. Would you 3 ladies do me the honor of having breakfast with me?" As he spoke, he walked to the dining table and deftly took out and arranged various breakfast items, instantly filling the air with an enticing aroma. Wang Zhenzhen blushed slightly at Ma Xiaoling's teasing, but the virtuous woman, seeing Cheng Yu's actions, quickly stepped forward to help. "Brother Yu, Xiaoling was just joking, let me help you." "Thank you, Zhenzhen." Cheng Yu replied naturally, handing her a snack that girls usually like. Looking at the exquisite breakfast laid out on the table in front of her, then at the handsome, well-mannered Cheng Yu, and his words 3 beauties, Liang Jiajia was overjoyed. The more she looked at this new neighbor and potential son-in-law candidate, the more satisfied she became. "Ew, you're too kind. Xiaoling, don't just stand there, come and eat quickly, it won't taste good if it gets cold." When Liang Jiajia spoke, Ma Xiaoling stopped being arrogant, walked over, pulled out a chair, and sat down. However, her gaze towards Cheng Yu always carried a hint of hostility. She picked up a translucent shrimp dumpling and asked casually, "Mr. Cheng didn't stay at Jiajia building last night?" Cheng Yu was placing a bowl of porridge in front of Liang Jiajia when she heard this. Without pausing, she opened the box and calmly replied, "Yes. The room isn't ready yet, I've been staying at a hotel for the past 2 days. Wang Zhenzhen chimed in, "Brother Yu, I already hired a cleaning lady yesterday to thoroughly clean your room. The sheets and blankets have all been replaced with new ones. You can move in anytime." "Okay, thank you for your help, Zhenzhen. I'll need your help to take me upstairs later." Cheng Yu replied with a smile, using serving chopsticks to pick up a shrimp dumpling and place it in front of Wang Zhenzhen. No trouble at all, no trouble at all, it's just a small matter. Wang Zhenzhen waved her hand repeatedly, picked up a shrimp dumpling and put it in her mouth, finding the shrimp dumplings exceptionally delicious today. So that's how it is. Ma Xiaoling's eyes darted back and forth between the two of them. Then she picked up a shrimp dumpling and put it in her mouth. She felt that the originally fresh and chewy texture now had a slightly sour taste. Jiajia, standing to the side, saw that Chang Yu was busy serving everyone, and she hadn't even had a bite to eat herself. He quickly gestured for Chang Yu to sit down. Ew, sit down and eat with us, we can manage on our own. As she spoke, she pushed a cup of soy milk in front of Chang Yu and handed him a fried dough stick. Chang Yu took the fried dough stick, sat down next to Jiajia, and replied with a smile, "Thank you, Sister Jiajia." She silently thought to herself, young women really know how to take care of people. She glanced almost imperceptibly at Wang Zhenzhen and Ma Xiaoling as she thought this. Seeing that the two best friends were enjoying their meal, he didn't say much and also started eating heartily. After a long night, he wanted to use the food to soothe his mood. The meal was quite enjoyable for both the host and guests. After the meal, Chang Yu took out another bag she had brought, and took out a set of top-of-the-line cosmetics and an exquisitely designed fountain pen. She placed the cosmetics in front of Jiajia. Jiajia, I've heard that this set of cosmetics has beauty and skin-nourishing effects. Although you're already as beautiful as an angel, using it to further enhance your appearance would be wonderful. He then handed the pen to Wang Zhenzhen. Zhenzhen, the first time I saw you, I felt you had a strong scholarly air about you. You must be a well-read and artistic girl. This fountain pen is for you. I hope you won't find it unsuitable. Jiajia smiled broadly and praised repeatedly, Ew, you're so good with words. I'll accept this gift, but please don't spend so much next time. The look in his eyes as he looked at Chang Yu was filled with even greater satisfaction and affection. Wang Zhenzhen carefully took the pen from him, her pretty face slightly flushed, and whispered her thanks, "Thank you, brother Yu." Clearly, Chang Yu's praise made her feel embarrassed, but she was also secretly delighted. Standing to the side, Ma Xiaoling looked at Chang Yu with a half-smile, "Mr. Chang, you're so generous, I wonder if you've prepared a gift for me." Chang Yu smiled slightly, looking at Ma Xiaoling with some apology, "I'm sorry, Ms. Ma. I didn't know you were here today, I wasn't prepared. However, I also have a membership card for the Eternal Shopping Mall, which gives you a 50% discount on purchases. I'll give it to Ms. Ma as compensation for now, and I'll make up for the gift another time." As he spoke, Chang Yu took out a black card and handed it to Ma Xiaoling. Yongheng Shopping Mall was originally one of Chang Yu's businesses. These membership cards were specially prepared for him by Meng Ling, who knew he was going to enter the mortal world, so that he could use them as gifts. He still had quite a few cards on hand, and it would be suitable to give one to Ma Xiaoling now. She just happened to like shopping, and this membership card was probably better than any other gift. Ma Xiaoling took the membership card with some surprise, looking it up and down, her tone tinged with disbelief. "For me." Ma Xiaoling of Yongheng Shopping Mall naturally knew that it sold high-end goods from all over the world, which was enough to prove the value of Chang Yu's membership card that offered a 50% discount. "What's given to you is naturally yours." Chang Yu nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Thank you, Boss Chang." Ma Xiaoling deftly took the membership card and put it into her bag. For a female Taoist priest like her, who isn't even allowed to date, shopping is her greatest pleasure. She earns a good income from each exorcism, but her credit card is always in debt. It's because she spends a lot of money on shopping. She had naturally been to the Eternal Mall, everything there was ridiculously expensive, and even though she was used to spending lavishly, she still felt a pang of regret when she spent money there. Now that she had this membership card that offered half-price discounts, she immediately wanted to drag Wang Zhenzhen on a shopping spree, and even the way she looked at Chang Yu became much kinder. Chang Yu found it amusing, but kept a straight face. Smiling, she stood up and looked at Jiajia. "Jiajia, I still need to go upstairs to tidy up my room, so I won't disturb you any longer." "Okay, Ew, take care. If you need anything, just come down and find Auntie." Jiajia responded enthusiastically, and then pulled Wang Zhenzhen over, saying, "Zhenzhen, why don't you quickly take Ew to his room to see him?" "Oh, okay, brother Yu, come with me," Wang Zhenzhen said, opening the door first and leading the way. Suddenly, Ma Xiaoling also stood up and waved to Jiajia. "Aunt Jiajia, I'll go up with them to take a look too. I won't disturb you today." Okay, remember to come visit sometime." Then he warmly escorted the three of them to the door. The three of them went upstairs, with Wang Zhenzhen leading the way and opening the door. What caught Chang Yu's eye was a layout similar to Wang Zhenzhen's home, 3 bedrooms, 1 living room, and a large balcony. Although it can't compare to the luxurious and grand house where Meng Ling and the others live, it's cozy and warm. Although it's a bit small, it has everything you need, and it's enough for one person. Looking at the spotless floor and some obviously new furniture, Chang Yu looked at Wang Zhenzhen with a gentle smile. "Thank you so much for your trouble here. How much did those furniture cost? I'll pay you back later." No need, Wang Zhenzhen waved her hands repeatedly. "Those pieces of furniture were just spares. Mom said you were too generous back then, so consider them a bonus. I took the liberty of selecting these for you. If you don't like them, brother Yu, you can choose more later, and I'll have someone send them over." "No need, Zhenzhen has excellent taste, I like all of these very much. Thank you, little rich girl Zhenzhen, and Sister Jiajia. No way. Wang Zhenzhen muttered softly, her face slightly flushed. Ma Xiaoling leaned back on the sofa, looking around the room with interest, and glanced at Wang Zhenzhen with a hint of jealousy. Zhenzhen, I've never seen you treat me this well before. I'm even thinking of moving the mortuary here. How about you give me a set of furniture too? Xiaoling. Wang Zhenzhen blushed even more at her friend's teasing, and glared at Ma Xiaoling reproachfully. She retorted softly, every time you come, you eat and drink whatever you want. How have I treated you badly? That's different. Ma Xiaoling said matter-of-factly, sitting up straight from the sofa and pointing to the brand new furniture. This is genuinely new furniture? In my shrine, everything except my precious equipment is quite old. As she spoke, she deliberately sighed, making a "I'm so pitiful" expression. Chang Yu watched the two girls bickering, his smile deepening. He stepped in to defuse the situation, his tone slightly teasing. If Miss Ma really wants to move the funeral parlor here, I'd be happy to have a professional as a neighbor. Wang Zhenzhen, having composed herself, began to retaliate. Yes, Xiaoling, if you move the shrine here, I'll cover all your renovation costs. As she spoke, she patted her chest magnanimously, displaying an air of wealth and power. Chang Yu felt an itch in her palms after seeing this, and really wanted to ask them if they hurt. TCH. Ma Xiaoling curled her lip and rolled her eyes at the two of them. So you're already acting like a loving couple. But in her heart, she was considering whether to move Linglingtang to Jiajia building, since she was in the paranormal business anyway. Customers come entirely from referrals, the location of the store is completely unimportant. In the current location, not only is the rent ridiculously expensive, but it's also quite lonely being a lone wolf. Wang Zhenzhen blushed again at Ma Xiaoling's words and stepped forward, wanting to confront Ma Xiaoling. But then he saw her pensive face, and immediately stopped in his tracks, glancing at Chang Yu with some confusion. Chang Yu smiled slightly and said softly, it seems Miss Ma is indeed considering moving. Wang Zhenzhen's eyes widened in surprise. She turned and grabbed Ma Xiaoling's hand. Xiaoling, is what brother you said true? You really want to move? Ma Xiaoling rolled her eyes at Chang Yu, annoyed. You think you know everything. Then he turned to Wang Zhenzhen to reassure her, I need to think about it. Don't worry, if I'm moving, I'll definitely come to you. And you, my little rich girl, have to give me a discount on the rent. Wang Zhenzhen nodded repeatedly, I can even waive your rent. Ma Xiaoling felt a warmth in her heart, tapped Wang Zhenzhen's forehead, and smiled indulgently. You. Wang Zhenzhen chuckled, then turned to look at Chang Yu, who was watching the two interact with a smile. Her pretty face flushed again, and she quickly took Ma Xiaoling's hand and waved goodbye to Chang Yu. Brother Yu, it's getting late, Xiaoling, and I won't disturb you any longer as you're tidying up. As he spoke, he took out a key from his pocket and handed it to Chang Yu. This is the key you gave me before. Okay, please thank Jiajia for me. Chang Yu took the keys and spoke gently. Brother Yu, you should rest well. If you need anything, just come down and find us anytime. After saying that, he pulled Ma Xiaoling toward the door. Ma Xiaoling smiled helplessly, waved to Chang Yu, and was then pulled out by Wang Zhenzhen to discuss moving matters. After the two women left, Chang Yu lost interest in doing anything more and went into the largest master bedroom. He took out a set of pajamas from the space in the square pot, took a bath and changed, and then lay down on the large bed. The bedding smelled distinctly like it had been sun-dried, carrying a faint scent of sunshine. He praised Wang Zhenzhen's virtuousness once again in his heart, and then fell into a deep sleep. This period can be described as non-stop work, even with the zombie's powerful physique. It doesn't feel tired. But sleep is something that brings comfort to both body and mind. Although there was no intoxicating fragrance of her daughter beside her, Chang Yu still slept very soundly. Chang Yu only opened his sleepy eyes when the morning sun shone on his face. Feeling the powerful sense of strength brought about by relaxation of body and mind, a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. After getting up and washing up, Chang Yu went downstairs to check on Ping Ma's condition before deciding where to stake out Yamamoto Marai. As soon as Chang Yu went downstairs, she ran into Jiajia, who was enthusiastically introducing the house to two zombies, one big and one small. She greeted him with a smile, Good morning, Sister Jiajia. Then, he glanced with interest at Tianyu, who was dressed in a black leather jacket, and Fuxian, who looked like a little adult beside him. Mr. Kuang, do you also live in Jiajia building? Before Tianyu could answer, Jiajia had already realized what was happening and looked at Chang Yu with a smile. You, good morning? Do you know Officer Kuang? Chang Yu nodded. We met briefly in Japan, Zhenzhen and Miss Ma were there too. I see. Jiajia nodded in understanding. Then, with a smile, she looked at Tianyu and his son, Officer Kuang. So you know Ayu? That's wonderful. The room we were in was upstairs from Ayu's? From now on, we'll be neighbors, so let's look out for each other. She was warm and friendly, showing kindness to everyone. Tianyu looked at Chang Yu, a hint of scrutiny and seriousness flashing deep in his eyes. Chang Yu had left a very deep impression on him during their encounter in Japan. Now they're neighbors? It's too much of a coincidence. He remained expressionless, merely nodding politely to Chang Yu. Mr. Chang, it's nice to see you again. What a coincidence. His voice was low and steady, revealing little emotion. Yes, it's a small world. Chang Yu smiled gently, her gaze shifting to the boy next to Kuang Tianyu, who wore a little suit and bow tie and looked like a little adult. And who is this little friend? My name is Kuang Fusion, and I am Tianyu's son. Before Kuang Tianyu could speak, Kuang Fusion had already spoken first, answering crisply and even extending his little hand in a serious manner. Hello, Uncle Chang. Chang Yu knelt down, gently shook Kuang Fusion's small hand, and smiled warmly. Hello, Fusion, you're such a polite child. Looking at his round little face, I couldn't resist reaching out and pinching it, thinking with a mischievous grin, it feels so nice, no wonder everyone in the original drama wanted to pinch it. Kuang Fusion's smile froze on his face, his mind racing with frustration. Why does everyone want to pinch my cheeks? It's so pathetic to never grow up. Kuang Tianyu glanced at Chang Yu's actions but said nothing. He then turned to Jiajia, who had a smile on her face, and said, Jiajia, I'm very happy with this house, let's book it here. That's great. Jiajia exclaimed with a beaming smile. Chang Yu stood up and nodded to the two of them. From now on, we're all neighbors. I'm going to walk around the neighborhood and get familiar with the area. I won't bother you any longer. Tonight, please invite Zhenzhen and Miss Ma to my house. I've prepared some things to celebrate our housewarming. Wouldn't that be too much trouble? Why don't you come to my house? I'll cook. Jiajia said with some concern. It's all right, Jiajia. I just prepared a few things casually. Consider it a formal introduction to Mr. Kuang as a friend. What do you think, Mr. Kuang? As she spoke, she looked at Kuang Tianyu, silencing his refusal, and could only nod helplessly. All right then, I'll come over and help out tonight. Jiajia nodded when she saw the two of them agree. Then it's settled. You guys go ahead with your work, I won't bother you any longer. With that, Chang Yu waved and walked outside. Okay, Ew, go ahead. The wonton noodles at Chenji downstairs at the street corner are really good. Jiajia enthusiastically recommended. Thank you very much, Sister Jiajia, Chang Yu said with a smile. Take care, Mr. Chang. Kuang Tianyu nodded. Goodbye, Uncle Chang. Kuang Fusion waved his little hand. Chang Yu stepped outside, already imagining the shocked expressions on Kuang Tianyu and his son's faces after they had eaten his customized feast. Chang Yu hummed a little tune as she ate breakfast outside, then took a stroll around the Jiajia building. After getting a general idea of the area around Jiajia building, Pingma's current condition, and the location of nearby bars, we headed towards the Four Seasons Hotel. Thinking of that face that resembled a fairy, Chang Yu felt a surge of heat in the dragon blood within him. Mengling had already met Xinglu and praised her appearance highly, but Xinglu had not studied acting. Therefore, Mengling did not arrange a film crew for Xinglu for the time being, but instead let her learn from other artists in the company first, and then she would receive special training from a teacher. An apartment had been arranged for her, but it wasn't fully furnished yet and she would have to wait a couple of days to move in. Therefore, Xinglu was staying at a hotel for the time being. Upon their meeting, their passion naturally ignited once again. Xinglu, having tasted forbidden fruit for the first time, was exceptionally cooperative, and Chang Yu only withdrew when the sun was about to set. After instructing the hotel kitchen to send Xinglu a large meal, he also packed some food for himself before returning to Jiajia building. Upon reaching the door of room 601, Chang Yu saw a large box on the ground. She smiled slightly, went forward, opened the door, and then carried the box inside and opened it. It was filled to the brim with all sorts of ingredients, and some of the chilled products were even kept chilled with ice packs. This was what Chang Yu had instructed Mengling to purchase when he left home this morning, and it had just been delivered. Just as Chang Yu was whistling as he sorted through the ingredients, preparing to cook a big meal to win over Wang Zhenzhen and the others' stomachs, and to shock Kuang Tianyu and his son, the doorbell suddenly rang. Chang Yu listened intently, a smile suddenly appearing on his lips. He quickly went to the door, and as soon as he opened it, he saw Jiajia's pretty face, which, with the passage of time, had only become more charming. Ayu, I heard some noise coming from upstairs. I thought it must be you coming back, so I came over to help you. Before Chang Yu could even greet her, Jiajia smiled and spoke, struggling to lift the bag in her hand. I've also prepared some ingredients as a small token of my appreciation, to celebrate your move into Jiajia building. Chang Yu quickly took the bag from Jiajia's hand and welcomed her into the house before speaking gratefully. Thank you so much for your help, Jiajia. If we work together, we're sure to tantalize their taste buds. Chang Yu spoke with a hint of gratitude, and even cracked a little joke. Inwardly, however, she thought with admiration, Tisk. This young woman is so understanding. Judging from the weight of this bag, it's obvious that Jiajia noticed Chang Yu hadn't returned during the day. I'm afraid he'll be too busy with work and forget what we talked about this morning, and that he won't be prepared in advance, which would make him lose face tonight. That's why they prepared so many ingredients. Saying it's an extra dish is probably just to save face for Chang Yu. Jiajia smiled and joked, it seems Ayu is quite confident in her cooking skills. Hehe, I'm a bit worse than Sister Jiajia, but I can cook most dishes, Chang Yu replied modestly. As they spoke, the two entered the kitchen and saw a large box filled with a wide variety of ingredients, as well as a bag of prepackaged cooked food next to it. Jiajia's smile deepened, and her approval of Chang Yu grew even stronger. It's one thing to help him out of a predicament, but if he really hadn't prepared anything, Wang Jiajia would also feel somewhat disappointed and would inevitably think that Chang Yu was a bit unreliable. They made an agreement on the spur of the moment, and then forgot about it immediately. Wang Jiajia will probably try to keep Wang Zhenzhen and Chang Yu apart from now on. This is good enough. Even though he hasn't been seen all day, he still took his promise seriously, which will naturally make Wang Jiajia even more satisfied. Chang Yu keenly sensed this situation, secretly amused, but outwardly remained calm and greeted Wang Jiajia. Jiajia, it's getting late. Let's wash the ingredients first, then each of us can cook a few of our best dishes. There's enough space on the stove in the kitchen. Chang Yu's suite is the largest suite on the 6th floor. Although it only has 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, each room is very spacious. The kitchen, like the living room, is quite spacious, with 2 or 3 stoves in the kitchen to meet the homeowner's various cooking needs. Okay, whatever you say. Wang Jiajia replied readily. While preparing the dishes, Chang Yu used his years of experience to speak wittily, making Wang Jiajia laugh out loud frequently, her body trembling with laughter, which was quite charming. Chang Yu also deliberately played tricks, subtly creating small physical contacts, which initially made Wang Jiajia feel a little uncomfortable. However, under Chang Yu's persuasive language, she quickly became more natural. She would blush occasionally during contact, but she showed no resistance whatsoever. Laughter and cheerful voices filled the kitchen, and it seemed as if a pink bubble was floating out. With Chang Yu's witty remarks and Wang Jiajia's cheerful laughter, a delicious meal was quickly prepared by the two of them. While Wang Jiajia was giggling, Chang Yu quietly crushed a few beads of essence blood and sprinkled them into the food. Chang Yu had previously conducted experiments showing that the essence blood beads contained abundant life energy, which could not only help zombies replenish their internal energy. Allowing them to enjoy the deliciousness of food is like providing the best supplement for ordinary people. Consuming it can strengthen the body and boost energy. However, due to the limited quantity of Chang Yu wine, this effect is negligible. There's no need to worry about Ma Xiaoling noticing anything amiss. At most, it will only arouse her suspicion. However, Kuang Tianyu and his son will definitely shock everyone. Chang Yu can confirm that? Of course, to be on the safe side, Chang Yu specifically chose blood essence extracted from various animals. After all, for ordinary people, consuming the blood of their own kind could cause psychological distress, not to mention the potential for chain reactions. Besides, Ma Xiaoling's Taoist skills weren't learned for nothing. Their effects on strengthening the body were negligible, at most causing her some doubt. However, if the scent of human SN is detected, even the most oblivious Ma Xiaoling will notice it. Chang Yu wasn't afraid of Ma Xiaoling, but at least before he successfully won her heart, he didn't want Ma Xiaoling to discover his identity. After setting all the food on the table, the two of them took out their phones, sent messages to everyone, and then sat on the sofa to wait. The atmosphere became slightly awkward for a moment. Chang Yu's eyes darted around, and she moved closer to Wang Jiajia. Then, quite naturally, he took her hand and held it up to his eyes to look at it. Wang Jiajia trembled, but did not pull her hand back. Instead, her face flushed and her voice trembled as she said, "Ew, you." Her voice was barely audible, and her eyes seemed to be brimming with tears. Chang Yu smiled slightly and naturally turned her hand over, taking it into his own palm. "Since I'm just killing time anyway, I'll read Jiajia's palm." She was secretly laughing to herself. They really were mother and daughter. Even Jiajia, who seemed gentle and dignified, reacted the same way as Wang Zhenzhen in this situation. Her slightly flushed face looked like they were cut from the same mold. Wang Jiajia's breath hitched, and she seemed to secretly roll her eyes. Her voice rose slightly as she spoke with some suspicion. "Oh, you can read palms too? Are you trying to take advantage of Jiajia?" As they spoke, Wang Jiajia's hand remained firmly in Chang Yu's grasp, showing no sign of pulling it away. However, the young woman was no ordinary person. Wang Jiajia seemed to have calmed down and even turned the tables on Chang Yu. I know a little. Chang Yu showed no fear. He had indeed learned these things, but his purpose at this moment was not so simple. "Okay, then please take a good look at it for me." As she spoke, Wang Jiajia subtly moved a little closer to Chang Yu, her eyes frequently sweeping over his handsome face and slender figure. Wang Jiajia was filled with mixed feelings and didn't know what was wrong with her. She knew it was wrong, but she was still somewhat captivated by the blushing, heart-pounding, and butterflies in the strings feeling she had just experienced. Since Wang Zhenzhen's father passed away, she has raised Wang Zhenzhen alone and has never thought about finding another man. She has always remained calm and indifferent. She thought she no longer had that need, but today she felt that long-lost feeling of her heart racing in this man who looked about the same age as her daughter. Something seemed off about her body, causing her two beautiful legs, which were crossed, to involuntarily rub together slightly. Chang Yu saw her reaction and was secretly delighted, but he didn't show it on his face. Holding Wang Jiajia's soft hand with his left, he gently traced the meaning of each palm line with his right index finger. At this moment, Wang Jiajia could no longer hear what Chang Yu was saying. She only felt that the finger moving in her palm was like an itch on her heart. This made her unconsciously twist her body and move a little closer to Chang Yu. The atmosphere in the living room seemed to heat up. The two looked into each other's eyes and saw the emotions churning within them. Their heads slowly began to move closer. Just as their noses touched, the shrill doorbell rang suddenly, jolting Wang Jiajia awake. She shoved Chang Yu away. Her pretty face flushed, and she stammered, I'll go open the door. He then quickly got up, took a step, and tried to escape from the place. Perhaps because she was in a bad mood and got up in such a hurry, Jiajia didn't notice where she was going and tripped, falling straight onto the table in front of the sofa. Careful! Chang Yu reacted quickly, pulling Jiajia into her arms and saving her from the risk of disfigurement. Jiajia was still in shock, so Chang Yu patted her back to comfort her. It's all right, we're safe now. Chang Yu's voice seemed to have a magical power, instantly calming Jiajia's heart, which had been pounding wildly with fright. Only then did she notice their current state, since Chang Yu was sitting on the sofa and what had just happened was too sudden. Jiajia was pulled over by Chang Yu and naturally sat in Chang Yu's lap. Jiajia could clearly feel the warmth of Chang Yu's breath on her pretty face. With a slight movement of her hand, she could feel the immense explosive power contained beneath Chang Yu's solid chest. She could even feel where she was sitting. The dragon was slowly raising its head. Jiajia's pretty face flushed red. She instinctively wanted to get up, but her body's instincts left her completely powerless. Smelling the masculine scent emanating from Chang Yu, she was momentarily captivated by his embrace. Chang Yu smiled, his arm sliding down to tightly embrace the warm, soft body of the young woman in his arms. Jiajia trembled, but did not resist. However, her arm fell limply to her side, supporting Chang Yu's arm. Her flushed face was buried in Chang Yu's neck. The two seemed to have forgotten that someone was waiting at the door, only wanting to savor this beautiful moment. Smelling the mature fragrance of the woman in his arms, Chang Yu could no longer resist. He turned his neck slightly and accurately caught Jiajia's luscious red lips. Their lips met, and Jiajia's eyes widened suddenly, her body stiffening abruptly. After a moment, she slowly closed her eyes and began to respond to Chang Yu's fiery and passionate kiss. She simply gripped Chang Yu's arm tightly with both hands, stopping him from continuing his exploration. Just as the two were lost in the kiss and things were getting out of control, the annoying doorbell rang again. As if afraid the people inside wouldn't hear it, the doorbell kept ringing, finally waking the two people who were immersed in a passionate kiss. With her lips parted, Jiajia said in a flustered tone, Zhenzhen and the others must have arrived. Quickly take your hands out and go open the door. I'm going to the bathroom to wash my face. At this point, Jiajia couldn't help but glare angrily at Chang Yu. She had been on high alert, and things were fine at first, but she got too engrossed in the moment and let her guard down, allowing Chang Yu to take advantage of her vulnerability. Chang Yu withdrew her hand, brought it to her nose, and sniffed lightly, teasingly saying, "It smells so good, I don't even want to wash my hands anymore." Jiajia's already rosy cheeks turned even redder. She slapped Chang Yu twice in annoyance, inwardly cursing herself for being so bewitched. Then, glaring at Chang Yu, she said, "You've taken all the advantages? Hurry up and open the door. Zhenzhen and the others are getting impatient." As she spoke, she prepared to get up. The passionate kiss from earlier had made Jiajia's body, which had been deprived of S*X for a long time, slightly weak. She lost her balance and sat back in Chang Yu's arms. This caused both of them to freeze. Taking a deep breath, Chang Yu helped Jiajia up and sat her on the sofa. Then, slightly bowing, she stood up and said with a wry smile, "Sister Jiajia, I'm afraid I can't open the door for them. I'll go change my clothes first. You can wash your face and then go open the door. I'll have to trouble you to explain to them." Then, with a slight glance, Chang Yu pointed to a certain spot. Following Chang Yu's gaze, Jiajia immediately saw her own masterpiece. She quickly turned her head to the side, waving her arms, and stammered, You go wash up? I'll go open the door." Chang Yu chuckled and stepped into the bedroom, leaving Jiajia alone in the living room. After Chang Yu disappeared, Jiajia looked at her wide skirt, her expression shifting rapidly, inwardly screaming, "What a coincidence. The skirt just happened to come undone when I fell." The kiss was so intense, her body, long deprived of S*X, couldn't possibly withstand it. The doorbell kept ringing. Jiajia took a deep breath, suppressed her turbulent emotions, and quickly got up, glancing guiltily at the spot where she had just been sitting. After finding that no traces had been left, she breathed a sigh of relief, rubbed her legs a little awkwardly, and then hurried towards the sink. In her heart, however, she was wailing, "This is so embarrassing. How can I ever face Ao again? Will he think I'm some kind of promiscuous woman?" Jiajia felt a sense of dread, but she didn't stop walking. Suppressing her discomfort, she quickly walked to the sink. Looking at her flushed face and slightly swollen lips in the mirror, she quickly turned on the tap and splashed water on her face with her hands. Only when the temperature cooled down slightly did she quickly walk towards the door, muttering to herself, "What a little shrew. Luckily I didn't put on makeup today, or I'd be finished." Her mind was already replaying the passionate kiss on the sofa earlier, which made her involuntarily squeeze her legs together again. Jiajia opened the door, and outside, Kuang Tianyu and his son, Wang Zhenzhen, and Ma Xiaoling were waiting. Upon seeing Jiajia open the door, Wang Zhenzhen stepped forward, grabbed Jiajia's arm, and said with a hint of complaint, "Mom, why did it take you so long to open the door?" Then, as if discovering a new continent, she exclaimed in surprise, "Mom, why is your face so red?" As he spoke, he reached out to touch Jiajia's forehead. Jiajia felt a little guilty, but her expression remained unchanged. Still smiling, she reached out and took Wang Zhenzhen's hand. I'm fine, the fire on the stove was too high. Then, looking somewhat apologetically at the people outside the door, he said, I'm so sorry. The kitchen range hood was a bit noisy, and I didn't hear the doorbell. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Ma Xiaoling, Kuang Tianyu, and the other two quickly said it was no problem, as they had just arrived themselves. Ma Xiaoling looked into the room with some curiosity and asked, puzzled, where's that lecherous Chang Yu? A hint of guilt flashed across Wiang Jiajia's eyes, and she began to accept Ma Xiaoling's way of addressing Chang Yu. He's just a lecherous scoundrel. He almost completely took advantage of me, his aunt. Her mind was racing, but her face remained calm, still wearing a warm smile. Ayu accidentally got his clothes dirty while cooking, so he went back to his room to change. As she spoke, Wiang Jiajia recalled the scene when Chang Yu stood up earlier, and felt even more guilty. He quickly and warmly greeted everyone, come in, everyone, the food is ready. Then, pulling Wang Zhenzhen along, they headed towards the dining table. Ma Xiaoling watched Wiang Jiajia's retreating figure with some suspicion. He muttered to himself, why does Jiajia seem to be running away in a panic? Could it be? Miss Ma, what did you say? Kuang Tianyu asked Ma Xiaoling with some confusion. And nothing, please go in. Ma Xiaoling quickly shook her head, inwardly cursing herself for watching too many Japanese adult films. Jiajia is such an intellectual and elegant person. She has maintained her integrity ever since Uncle Wang left. How could she possibly have anything to do with that scoundrel Chang Yu? Thinking of this, Ma Xiaoling quickly stopped her dangerous thoughts and said something to Kuang Tianyu and his son beside her. Hurry inside, the food will get cold. Then he quickly caught up with Wiang Jiajia and Wang Zhenzhen, and took Wiang Jiajia's other arm. Wiang Jiajia smiled indulgently, leading the two women toward the dining table, not forgetting to turn back and call for Kuang Tianyu and his son to follow. Ma Xiaoling felt even more ashamed. Since I was little, Sister Jiajia has treated me like her own daughter. How could I have thought that way about her just now? I secretly decided that I would throw away those Japanese action movie DVDs when I got back. I watched them out of curiosity and they even disturbed my mind. They were really no good. As everyone entered the living room, the bedroom door opened at that moment, and Chang Yu, who had changed into casual clothes, stepped out. He smiled warmly at everyone. You've all arrived. As she spoke, she glanced at her watch and said, it's getting late, and everyone must be hungry. I won't stand on ceremony, let's all sit down at the table. As she spoke, she stepped forward, pulled out the chair at the head of the table, and gestured to Wiang Jiajia, Jiajia, you've worked hard today, please have a seat. Everyone nodded in agreement. Wiang Jiajia didn't hesitate, stepped forward and sat in the main seat, turning back to smile at Chang Yu. Thank you, you. Of course. Taking advantage of the moment when everyone's view was blocked, Chang Yu winked meaningfully at Wiang Jiajia. This caused Wiang Jiajia's pretty face to blush, and she quickly turned her head away to avoid being discovered by others. After Wiang Jiajia took her seat, everyone else followed suit and sat down. Chang Yu plopped down in the seat to Wiang Jiajia's right. Raising her decanted red wine, she stood up and gestured slightly to everyone. It's a rare and precious fate that we've met again here after our separation in Japan, and that we can all stay in the same gentle and generous Jiajia's house. Let's clink glasses together to celebrate this special connection. It really is fate. Everyone chuckled, also marveling at the wonder of fate, and immediately stood up to clink glasses with Chang Yu. After finishing his drink, Chang Yu put down his glass and sat down. His left hand naturally slipped through the wide tablecloth, and his fingers gently lifted the hem of Wiang Jiajia's skirt, feeling her delicate skin. He stretched out his right hand, gesturing to everyone, everyone, hurry up and start eating, try Jiajia and my cooking. Wiang Jiajia stiffened, gritted her teeth, gave Chang Yu a subtle glare, and then relaxed. She reached out and pinched Chang Yu's hand, but instead of pushing his hand away, she pulled the tablecloth to block others' view, and then naturally began to eat and drink. She inwardly applauded Chang Yu's boldness, but for some reason, she didn't dislike what Chang Yu did. On the contrary, she felt a faint excitement. This tense and exciting feeling caused Wiang Jiajia's delicate body to tremble slightly, and the spot that had just dried seemed to be oozing heat again. Wang Zhenzhen, standing nearby, asked with concern, Mom, what's wrong? Wiang Jiajia tried to remain calm, her voice trembling slightly, I'm fine. Then a smile returned to her face. Everyone, eat up. While I was cooking, I really wanted to try Ayu's cooking. As she spoke, she picked up her chopsticks, took a piece of sweet and sour pork, and put it in her mouth. Wang Zhenzhen nodded with some skepticism, and together with Ma Xiaoling, picked up their chopsticks and began to eat. Wow, this is so delicious. After taking a bite, Wang Zhenzhen and Ma Xiaoling's eyes lit up, and they couldn't help but look at Chang Yu with some surprise. Brother Yu, your cooking is so delicious. Wang Zhenzhen's eyes seemed to sparkle. You scoundrel, I never knew you were such a good cook. As she spoke, Ma Xiaoling picked up another piece of braised pork ribs and put it in her mouth to chew. Even Wiang Jiajia, who had been somewhat distracted by Chang Yu's actions, was brought back to reality by the delicious food in her mouth. Ayu, your skills far surpass mine. Chang Yu modestly replied, not at all, Sister Jiajia is a great cook too. I just learned a little from the head chef before. Chang Yu wasn't lying. In that chaotic era of war, with flames of conflict raging everywhere, there were hardly any merchants left, except in some large cities. To avoid starving himself, Chang Yu specifically learned to cook, and later, by chance, he saved the descendant of a former imperial chef. After learning cooking from him for a while, Chang Yu, thanks to the zombie's powerful talent, quickly surpassed his master. During his subsequent travels, even in the wilderness, Chang Yu never neglected his appetite, and his culinary skills naturally improved. Chang Yu glanced at the slightly embarrassed Kuang Tianyu and his son beside him, and said warmly, "Mr. Kuang, Xiaofuxian, why aren't you eating?" As she spoke, she placed a piece of braised pork rib into Kuang Fuxian's bowl, saying, "Little Fuxian, eat up." Kuang Fuxian glanced at Kuang Tianyu, then picked up his chopsticks to start eating. After turning into zombies, food other than blood tastes bland and tasteless to them, and they will get diarrhea after eating it. The reason for this phenomenon is that there is no trace of spiritual energy in those ordinary meals, so the zombies cannot obtain any energy replenishment from them. To zombies, those things are no different from garbage, they are simply not attracted to the smell, and after eating them, they are treated as impurities and quickly excreted. However, Kuang Fuxian was too young when he became a zombie, and Kuang Tianyu had been keeping him in kindergarten all these years, so his mind hadn't grown much. Even though he couldn't taste it, seeing everyone else eating so deliciously made him want to try it too, even if it gave him diarrhea. Kuang Tianyu, standing to the side, felt helpless. He really didn't want to have diarrhea again, but he had already made preparations when he accepted the invitation. Now that the host had already offered to eat, how could he refuse? He could only resolve to eat less later, so that if he got diarrhea, it would be later. Then, he casually picked up a piece of food with his chopsticks and put it in his mouth. Since he couldn't taste anything anyway, it didn't matter what he ate. However, upon tasting the dish, both of them were stunned. They chewed a few more times in disbelief, then turned their attention to the other dishes on the table. After quickly trying it out, Kuang Fuxian looked at Chang Yu with some disbelief. He opened his mouth to say something, but Kuang Tianyu pulled him back. With a look, Kuang Fuxian signaled that this was not the place to talk, and he quickly stopped talking. However, the speed at which they wielded their chopsticks was constantly increasing, and Kuang Tianyu was doing the same. Even they felt a surge of emotion, almost to the point of tears, thinking, 60 years, 60 years. God knows how they've endured these past 60 years. Under Kuang Tianyu's influence, the two of them survived by drinking human blood during the war-torn years. In modern times, their situation is even worse, as they can only survive by drinking expired blood from blood banks. Even so, without stealing or robbing, the two still went hungry from time to time. Unexpectedly, 60 years later, they were able to taste the delicious food again. The two of them no longer cared about whether they would get diarrhea later. Even if they were to die from defecation on the toilet, they would eat their fill first. After glancing gratefully at Chang Yu, the two of them moved their hands even faster and chewed quickly. Even Kuang Tianyu, who was usually very pretentious, looked like a starving ghost at this moment. Chang Yu had noticed their actions out of the corner of his eye and secretly rejoiced. On the surface, however, he remained calm and chatted amiably with Zhenzhen, Ma Xiaoling, and Jiajia, eliciting occasional giggles from the three women. That's why she didn't notice the two's unusual behavior earlier, and the usually shrewd and charming Jiajia, because of Chang Yu. He was tense, restless, and his body kept fidgeting slightly. He wasn't as attentive as usual. By the time the three of them noticed how Kuang Tianyu and his son were eating, most of the dishes on the table had already been eaten by the two of them. Fortunately, Chang Yu and Jiajia had prepared a lot of dishes, and Chang Yu had also packed a lot of food from the hotel. Otherwise, by the time the three of them realized what had happened, the table would probably be completely empty. Zhenzhen and Ma Xiaoling stared blankly at the two men, one big and one small, who looked like reincarnated starving ghosts. Unable to resist, I asked, "Have you been hungry for a long time?" Kuang Tianyu looked a little embarrassed and put down his chopsticks awkwardly, while Kuang Fuxian continued to devour his food, mumbling indistinctly. My dad and I depend on each other for survival. His cooking skills are really unpredictable. Plus, he's so busy with work, we haven't had such delicious food in a long time, so." Zhenzhen felt some empathy and affectionately patted Kuang Fuxian's head. "Eat slowly. Come to my house whenever you want something delicious." Ma Xiaoling, standing to the side, glared at Kuang Tianyu. "Even if you're busy with work, you can't neglect the children's lives." As he spoke, he thoughtfully added a piece of beef to Kuang Fuxian's plate. Kuang Tianyu secretly glared at Kuang Fuxian, then could only lower his head helplessly. "I'll pay more attention to the child's diet in the future." As the four interacted, they failed to notice that Jiajia, standing to the side, had already blushed and was looking at Chang Yu with a slightly pleading expression. While everyone's attention was drawn to Kuang Tianyu and his son, Chang Yu's palm unexpectedly penetrated even deeper, almost touching the forbidden area. Jiajia, who was about to speak up and join the conversation with Kuang Tianyu and his son, immediately gritted her teeth and almost couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Her delicate body tensed, and she glanced at the four people who were talking with a panicked look. Feeling Chang Yu's restless fingers, a surge of intense stimulation and shame enveloped her. Perhaps due to the intense stimulation, Jiajia, fearing embarrassment in front of everyone, couldn't help but look at Chang Yu with pleading eyes, hoping he would let her go. But he dared not make any movement with his hands, for fear that the slightest sound would attract everyone's attention. Chang Yu smiled, his left hand moving non-stop while his right hand quickly typed a line of text on his phone and placed it in front of Jiajia. Come find me upstairs tonight. Jiajia looked conflicted, knowing that if she agreed to this request, she would truly be walking into the lion's den, with no way to turn back. Once discovered, she doesn't know how she will face her daughter in the future. As if knowing her thoughts, Chang Yu calmly put her phone away, but her left hand moved a little faster. This almost made Jiajia gasp, but a soft moan still escaped from her tightly closed mouth. Fortunately, Ma Xiaoling was talking to Jiajia at the time, and Jiajia's voice was very soft, so no one noticed. However, Jiajia was already sweating profusely with nervousness, fearing that Chang Yu might do something even more outrageous. After hesitating for a moment, Chang Yu finally nodded almost imperceptibly, smiled, gently traced a line with her finger, and then returned to her original position. Jiajia's body trembled slightly, and she finally breathed a sigh of relief, but then she felt a sense of emptiness. She pinched Chang Yu's hand in an annoyed tone, then picked up the bowl of soup in front of her and began to sip it, trying to calm her turbulent emotions. Chang Yu didn't pay any attention. In fact, he had already silently set up a barrier, so even if Jiajia made any noise, the others wouldn't be able to detect it. With the two sitting with their backs to the light, the barrier slightly distorted the light, making it difficult for even the others to see the expression on Jiajia's face. Chang Yu was too powerful, and the energy fluctuations caused by this barrier were extremely weak. Therefore, even Ma Xiaoling, the female exorcist, and Tianyu and his son, the two second-generation zombies, never noticed anything unusual under the dining table. However, Jiajia was unaware of the existence of the barrier, judging from her desperate attempt to endure it just now. Having been fully observed by Chang Yu, the divine dragon essence within his body stirred restlessly, making him wish he could immediately drive everyone else out. He was left alone with Jiajia, but Chang Yu wanted more, so he could only try his best to suppress his thoughts and wait for the night to come. After finishing her bowl of soup, Jiajia finally calmed herself down and joined Zhenzhen and the others in their conversation. She said affectionately to Fusion, "From now on, just tell Auntie what you want to eat, and Auntie will make it for you." Fusion nodded vigorously, his cheeks bulging out, completely filled with food, leaving no room for him to speak. Jiajia quickly poured a glass of juice and placed it in front of Fusion. "Have some water first, eat slowly, I'll make more if you're not full." Chang Yu chuckled and joined the conversation. By the end of the meal, everyone had become much more familiar with each other. Chang Yu is most satisfied that not only is he about to win over Jiajia, but he has also changed his way of addressing Ma Xiaoling from Miss Ma to Xiaoling, which is a huge improvement. After the guests and hosts had enjoyed themselves, Jiajia and the other two women helped Chang Yu clear the table, ate some fruit after the meal, and then went their separate ways. Chang Yu saw everyone to the door. "It's getting late, so I won't keep you any longer. Feel free to come over and get together more often in the future." "Yes, definitely." Everyone nodded in agreement. After leaving the house, Zhenzhen and Ma Xiaoling both turned back to look at Chang Yu. They had been so focused on Fusion that they hadn't really interacted with Chang Yu much. Chang Yu smiled and waved to them. After the two turned around, Jiajia couldn't help but look back at Chang Yu as well. Chang Yu winked playfully, reminding her not to forget their appointment for tonight. Jiajia blushed and quickly walked towards the elevator. As she walked, her legs felt a little awkward and were clearly uncomfortable. Chang Yu thought of the slightly darker colored chair in front of the dining table and smiled silently. After everyone left, Chang Yu closed the door behind him and went downstairs. He planned to wander around the nearby bars to see if he could run into Yamamoto Mirai. As for the agreement with Jiajia, since everything happened so fast, Chang Yu wasn't sure if Jiajia would come. Even if they were to come, it would be at least an hour or two later. They had only just gone downstairs, and Jiajia would at least wait until Zhenzhen was sound asleep before sneaking out. Meanwhile, after Zhenzhen and the other two went downstairs, Jiajia smiled apologetically at Ma Xiaoling. "Xiaoling, you and Zhenzhen chat for a while. I worked up a sweat cooking today and am feeling a bit unwell, so I'm going to wash up first." Ma Xiaoling replied with a smile. "Jiajia, go ahead and get busy. I'm going back too, so I'll say goodbye to you all." "Xiaoling, are you going back?" Zhenzhen asked in surprise. "Yes, why go back so late? You can sleep with Zhenzhen." Jiajia smiled and tried to persuade her to stay. "I really can't keep you here. I have some things to do tonight, so I'll head back now." With that, Ma Xiaoling got up and walked towards the door. Reaching the door, she turned back and smiled at the two of them, saying, "I'm leaving now, Jiajia, Zhenzhen, you two should go to sleep early." "All right then, be careful on the road." Jiajia and Zhenzhen quickly came to the door to see them off. After Ma Xiaoling left, only the mother and daughter remained in the room, recalling the scene from that afternoon. For a moment, Jiajia was too embarrassed to face Zhenzhen, so she quickly greeted her and hurried away. "Zhenzhen, go wash up quickly and go to bed early." "Okay, good night, Mom." "Good night." Jiajia returned to her room and quickly found a change of clothes before going into the bathroom. She had to take a shower, being constantly wet and then dry was really making her feel uncomfortable. After taking a nice bath and changing into comfortable clothes, Wang Jiajia picked up the clothes she had taken off. Seeing the obvious stains, a series of images flashed through her mind, causing her face to suddenly turn bright red. She quickly gave it a cursory wash and tossed it into the washing machine to destroy the evidence. After arriving at the room door, she carefully listened to the sounds outside. Knowing that her daughter was still awake, she felt a strange sense of loss. Lying on the soft bed, Wang Jiajia tossed and turned, recalling the events of the day. One moment her face was flushed red, the next she was gritting her teeth. She just couldn't understand it. So many years had passed since she started raising Zhenzhen alone, and although she couldn't say her heart was completely at peace, but she had rarely experienced such emotions before, such a racing heartbeat, a feeling she had never even felt from Zhenzhen's father. But today, he easily lost his composure with a young woman, and she not only conquered him but also gave him a passionate kiss. He even, in front of Zhenzhen and Xiaoling. Thinking about this, Wang Jiajia wished she could disappear into a crack in the ground. What was wrong with her? How could I have been so caught off guard today? How could I have been so easily outmaneuvered by that young man? Should I go tonight or not? If I go, it'll be like a lamb entering a tiger's den, with no way back. Wang Jiajia was quite certain of this. Recalling the burning look in Chang Yu's eyes that seemed to want to devour her, Wang Jiajia felt her whole body burning. The scales in my heart seemed to have tipped unnoticed. After struggling for a long time, Wang Jiajia suddenly woke up, because she suddenly realized that deep down she actually longed to go up. This almost drove her to the brink of collapse. How could she have done this? Was she really such a promiscuous and wicked woman? Otherwise, why would she fall for a young man and be so easily manipulated by him? What Wang Jiajia and Chang Yu didn't know was that women are naturally drawn to strength, especially someone like Wang Jiajia. Having spent over a decade in isolation, raising her daughter alone, she yearned for strength even more. Deep down, she longed for someone who could see through her vulnerability, care for her, cherish her, and treat her like a little woman. It's just that her mother's biases are too strong, causing her to confine herself and never even dare to think about taking this step. Chang Yu himself is the purple gold zombie king, and his bloodline power is almost at the top of the food chain. Although he usually pretends to be an ordinary person and doesn't exude any aura, his noble bloodline naturally gives off an aura. Normally it's fine, when interacting with others, at most people will unconsciously prioritize him. However, when Chang Yu's heart flutters and he wants to pursue a woman, that aura naturally arises. Just like Yang Guo in Jin Yang's novels who had a unique fragrance, Chang Yu was in a similar situation, making him seem like a walking succubus. Otherwise, why would Xing Lu, who had held firm to her principles for so many years, have decided to indulge herself the first time she met Chang Yu? In the end, she was easily conquered by Chang Yu and became his kept woman. Of course, this is also related to Chang Yu's strength. If Chang Yu hadn't been so skilled in martial arts, Xing Lu wouldn't have been so easily conquered. The same is true for Wang Jiajia now. When Chang Yu chatted with her witty remarks and made her laugh so hard she was shaking, that aura unconsciously affected Wang Jiajia, and without her realizing it, it stirred up the desires within her. At the same time, Chang Yu's image was imprinted deep in her heart, which is the real reason why Wang Jiajia had no resistance to Chang Yu. Wang Jiajia tossed and turned in bed for a long time before finally gritting her teeth and getting up. She finally decided to go and meet Chang Yu. She muttered to herself, "I'll go see him and make things clear. What happened today was just an accident. We still need to keep our distance in the future." That's what she said, but what she really thought deep down remains unknown. So, she clearly decided that she just wanted to see Chang Yu, clear things up, and then they could each go their separate ways peacefully. But her body moved involuntarily to the wardrobe, picking and choosing, wanting to be in the best possible condition to see Chang Yu. Not only that, after choosing her clothes, she went to the makeup table and, unusually, put on a very attractive makeup look, maximizing her charm. After doing all this, quite some time had passed. She looked at her own attire, her pretty face slightly flushed. She began to imagine Chang Yu's reaction when he saw her dressed like this. Would he elegantly savor the food, or would he wolf it down? As she thought about it, her face turned even redder. She quickly patted her cheeks. Oh my god, what am I thinking? How could I be so shameless? I just wanted to talk things out with him. Why did I dress up like this? She hurried to the wardrobe, intending to change into a more normal outfit, but as she placed her hand on the buttons, about to unbutton them, she hesitated. After standing there for a long time, she finally removed her hand, opened the wardrobe, and took out a long trench coat. Draped over the shoulders, the carefully chosen, beautiful scenery is completely hidden beneath the trench coat. Perhaps she wanted to maintain her last bit of composure, or perhaps she wanted Chang Yu to discover the surprise himself, thus giving him the greatest joy. After putting on her trench coat, Wang Jiajia stood by the bed, took a few deep breaths, and after a long while, she finally calmed herself down. Arriving at the bedroom door, I gently opened it a crack and listened intently. After a long while, and only after confirming that there was no more movement in the living room, Wang Jiajia carefully opened the bedroom door. He tiptoed into the living room, cautiously glancing at Zhenzhen's bedroom door, and noticed that the lights inside were off. He breathed a sigh of relief, but still walked very carefully toward the door. Finally, after a long time, Wang Jiajia appeared silently outside her own door. But after coming out, she hesitated again. This series of actions had awakened some of her sense of shame. It's the middle of the night, and she's dressed so beautifully. Who would believe she just wanted to clear things up with Chang Yu? After hesitating for a long time at the door, she finally gritted her teeth and walked directly into the adjacent stairwell. She dared not take the elevator. What if she accidentally runs into one of the tenants and they ask her something? How is she supposed to answer? Although it was her first time doing something like this, as a young woman who had experienced the ways of the world, she immediately figured it out without any instruction. While Jiajia was washing up and changing her clothes with mixed feelings, on the 7th floor, Chang and his son, who had returned to their room, both chose to go into the bathroom. After a long time, the father and son came out again, looking puzzled. They looked at each other and both saw the other's confusion. Fusion's incredulous voice rang out, "Dad, I don't even have a stomachache." I didn't either." Tianyu's tone was also somewhat incredulous. After saying this, the father and son looked at each other in bewilderment. From the moment they tasted the food at dinner today, something was already off. Now that they no longer experienced diarrhea after eating, they immediately realized that Chang Yu was indeed suspicious and might even have seen through their identities. Fusion exclaimed excitedly, "Dad, let's go find Uncle Chang Yu. Maybe he can solve our problem." Tianyu was also very excited, but he quickly calmed down and comforted the agitated Fusion. "Fusion, don't rush. We don't know who Chang Yu is or what his purpose is. Besides, it's already late. It might be unwise for us to go there rashly. Who cares who he is? For 60 years, I've always been like this, a child at heart. Even if I were more mature, I could only ever hang out with a bunch of kids. Moreover, for the past 60 years, apart from expired blood plasma, we haven't been able to eat anything. Everything else tastes bland and tastes terrible, and it even gives us diarrhea. I've really had enough of this kind of life. Whatever his motives, even if he kills me, I just want a few days of normal life." Fusion appeared somewhat deranged, and roared hoarsely. Looking at Fusion now, Tianyu felt a pang of sadness. Compared to Fusion, at least he was an adult when he became a zombie. And Fusion, however, was just a child, and had remained a child for over 60 years. One can only imagine the resentment he felt. Zombies are actually very strange creatures. The more righteous a person is, the more evil a person becomes when they turn into a zombie. Furthermore, the fact that the ultimate power of zombies is love suggests that zombies are actually creatures with extreme personalities who are prone to getting stuck on trivial matters. When Tianyu and his son frantically restrained their instincts and fed only on expired blood plasma, they were actually close to the brink of madness. But for the past 60 years, in order not to worry Tianyu, Fusion has always pretended to be an innocent child, making Tianyu happy, and has become Tianyu's salvation. Similarly, Tianyu, his mentor, also became a pillar in Fusion's heart. The two relied on each other for support and comfort, which is why they never truly succumbed to demonic influence or were swayed by loneliness. Now that they finally see a glimmer of hope for things to return to normal, how could Fusion be willing to wait any longer? Even Tianyu himself finds it hard to bear. Fusion's words were like sharp, tempered knives, piercing Tianyu's heart and dissecting the deep-seated pain within him. 60 years of repression, pretense, the craving for blood and the fear of food, all the pent-up past replayed in his mind. Tianyu looked at the small figure in front of him. That face, which should have been innocent and carefree, was now filled with grief and indignation. A deep sense of powerlessness and an equally ignited desire overwhelmed him in an instant. Yes, 60 years have passed. How he longs to be like a normal person, sitting in the sunlight, enjoying a steaming bowl of wonton noodles, and experiencing the pure satisfaction that food brings. Instead of forever acting like a thief, stealing cold, expired blood plasma from hospitals to maintain his sanity and prevent himself from going insane. Fusion was right, he'd had enough of this life. Fusion. Tianyu's voice was dry and hoarse. He tried to take a step forward, but was forced back by the almost crazed light in Fusion's eyes. "Don't stop me, Dad." Fusion suddenly stepped back, his small body tense, with a hint of defensiveness. "I don't care if he's a god or a demon. I only know that he lets us taste food, that he lets us eat and drink like normal people without getting diarrhea. That's enough. That's enough." He was rambling incoherently, tears welling in his eyes, but stubbornly refusing to fall. "I'm going to find him right now, now." Before he could finish speaking, Fusion turned and rushed toward the door. "Resurrect!" Tianyu roared, his figure blurring instantly as he moved like a ghost to block the doorway, pressing his hands against Fusion's thin shoulders. His strength was immense, and Fusion was pinned to the spot, unable to move. Roar Fusion manifested his zombie form, his eyes instantly turning green, and two small fangs protruding from his mouth. A surge of power rose from his body, as if he wanted to break free from Tianyu's restraints. Tianyu's expression changed, and the next moment his zombie form also appeared. Holding Fusion tightly as he struggled wildly, Dad said anxiously, "Fusion, calm down, calm down. Dad won't stop you, but we can't just rush over like this. Dad will go with you later." Upon hearing this, Fusion regained some clarity of mind, his struggle lessened slightly, and he stared intently into Tianyu's eyes. "Dad, are you serious? Then let's go over there." Tianyu took a deep breath, suppressing the surging emotions in his heart, and said softly, Calm down first, get back to normal, and Dad will talk to you slowly. Okay, Dad, you can't lie to me. Kuang Fusion stared intently at Kuang Tianyu. I'm not lying to you, I'm not lying to you. Kuang Tianyu's voice trembled slightly. He understood Kuang Fusion's feelings very well, and at this moment, he was also suppressing his own inner impulses. He is a man in his 90s, so he naturally has more thoughts and cannot be as impulsive as Kuang Fusion. Kuang Fusion, still somewhat doubtful, withdrew his bloodline and returned to his normal child form. Only then did Kuang Tianyu breathe the sigh of relief and also revert to his zombie form. He pulled Kuang Fusion to sit on the sofa in the living room and said gently, Fusion, we don't even know who Chang Yu is or what his purpose is. It's really dangerous to go there rashly. Danger? We're not even afraid of death, what danger could there be? Kuang Fusion raised his small face, tears sliding down his cheeks. Dad, it would be better if it were always dark and hopeless, but now I see hope. I really can't take it anymore. I don't want to be a child anymore, and I don't want to go back to elementary school, which I've repeated dozens of times. I miss my mom's cooking so much, I want to eat and drink like a normal person. His final words, tinged with childlike grievance and sobs, struck the softest spot in Kuang Tianyu's heart. Kuang Tianyu's fingers trembled slightly as he looked at Kuang Fusion's tear-streaked face, his heart feeling as if it were being gripped by an icy hand. Fusion is right. This endless life is nothing short of a prison for them, even a child is being driven almost insane. He took a deep breath, trying to make his voice sound more determined. Tomorrow morning, I'll go see him. I'll probe, I'll ask him directly. Fusion, believe me, wait one more night. Let me think it over carefully. If he really has malicious intent, or if he can't help us, at least we still have each other. Dad promises you, even if he can't help us get back to normal, Dad will do everything he can, even if he has to beg him, to find a way so we can eat and drink normally again. He gently stroked Kuang Fusion's hair, his gesture heavy with an unprecedented sense of commitment. If he can help us. Dad swears, at any cost, I'll make sure you can live a normal life. Kuang Fusion's body trembled violently, and finally, as if he had exhausted all his strength, he collapsed softly onto Kuang Tianyu, sobbing silently. 60 years of pretense and strength completely collapsed at this moment. Kuang Tianyu held Kuang Fusion tightly, feeling the immense sorrow and pain emanating from his small body, his heart filled with a myriad of emotions. His gaze shifted downwards, as if he could penetrate the floorboards and see the man downstairs who had just prepared a lavish meal for them, driving Kuang Fusion to such madness. The night was deep, and the room on the 7th floor of Jiajia building seemed to be filled with a complex atmosphere of despair, hope, fear, and desperate gamble. Kuang Tianyu frowned, his mind racing with thoughts. In his arms, Kuang Fusion seemed like a real 6-year-old child. He cried himself to sleep in his father's arms, but his body trembled from time to time, indicating that he was not sleeping soundly. Kuang Tianyu patted Kuang Fusion's back tenderly, wanting to give him a little warmth. Before long, Kuang Fusion's body gradually relaxed, and the furrowed brows he had been frowning in his sleep also unfurrowed. He kept smacking his lips, and drool dripped from the corners of his mouth, clearly indicating that he had transitioned from a nightmare into a sweet dream. Kuang Tianyu smiled, took a tissue, wiped the drool from the corner of Kuang Fusion's mouth, and then fell into deep thought again. Today's events were too shocking, and with preparations for tomorrow's visit, he was destined to have a sleepless night. Just like room 601 downstairs right now. Outside Chang Yu's room in Jiajia building, 601, Wang Jiajia's figure stood silently. She raised her delicate hand, then lowered it again, repeating this several times, clearly caught in a dilemma. Inside the room, Chang Yu had already walked around outside and was now wearing a bathrobe, her hair still slightly damp, looking expectantly at the door of her room. I went out tonight and visited several bars nearby, but I didn't see Yamamoto Mirai. Thinking about the big meal tonight, he came home early, washed up, and sat on the sofa to wait. As soon as Wang Jiajia arrived at the room door, Chang Yu noticed her hesitation, and he was well aware of it. If he were to step forward and open the door now, Wang Jiajia would surely reluctantly agree to eat this feast. But Chang Yu had no intention of doing so. He believed that the groundwork laid tonight was sufficient. Now that Wang Jiajia has come up here, she can't escape his gentle trap. Chang Yu's task is to wait for her to take the initiative, so that she will be more proactive and cooperative in subsequent activities. Chang Yu looked at the dining table she had rearranged herself. Heart-shaped candles flickered gently on it, several plates of delicate pastries were arranged in a row, and a carefully prepared bouquet of flowers sat beside it. It had a romantic atmosphere, like a candlelight dinner. Everything was ready, and all that was left was for Wang Jiajia outside the door to overcome her inner barriers and personally open the door to her heart. Outside the door, Wang Jiajia took a deep breath and, with a slightly trembling hand, gently knocked on Chang Yu's door. This also meant that her psychological defenses had been completely broken down by Chang Yu. She had considered giving up, but she just couldn't bring herself to do it. While she hesitated, she started to worry that if she stood outside Chang Yu's door like this, a tenant might go out at night. Wouldn't she be discovered immediately, and then she'd be even more unable to explain herself? So she gritted her teeth and made up her mind. She was already here, and she wouldn't be willing to go back like this. Worried about being overheard by outsiders, she didn't ring the doorbell, but instead knocked lightly on the door. The sound was very faint, but it seemed to strike directly into the depths of Wang Jiajia's heart. Inside the room, Chang Yu took a sip of red wine, a smile spreading across his face. It's done. Without further hesitation, he put down the wine glass, and in a flash, went straight to the door. With one hand, he opened the door, and with the other, he pulled Wang Jiajia, whose delicate hand was still tucked in, and placed her against the entrance. He accurately located Wang Jiajia's red lips and kissed them directly. Just as Wang Jiajia was feeling uneasy, Chang Yu pulled her in. Before she could react, her red lips were already being taken. The door closed softly, and the two inside were already intertwined. In her dazed state, Wang Jiajia's cherry lips had already been captured, and under the stimulation of hormones, she instinctively responded to Chang Yu. Chang Yu scooped up Wang Jiajia and kissed her passionately as they walked towards the dining table. By the time Wang Jiajia came to her senses from the kiss, she had already been placed on a chair next to the table. Holding a bouquet of flowers, Chang Yu gazed at her with adoration. Jiajia, you're so beautiful. Wang Jiajia's face was flushed, clearly still recovering from the afterglow of the passionate kiss. She playfully patted Chang Yu's chest. Why are you in such a hurry? As she spoke, she took the flowers from Chang Yu's hand, sniffed them lightly, and a look of surprise appeared on her pretty face. She seemed somewhat dazed. She could hardly remember the last time a man had given her flowers. I vaguely remember him being a wealthy businessman with a good net worth, but Zhenzhen was still young at the time. He was completely focused on Zhenzhen and had no feelings for other men, so he directly rejected her. After Zhenzhen started working, she would only give herself a bouquet of carnations every Mother's Day. Unexpectedly, the roses she received again came from a handsome young man who was about the same age as Zhenzhen and the others, which made Wang Jiajia blush. I felt a little guilty and a barely perceptible sense of inferiority. After all, she was already quite old, while Chang Yu was in his prime. She was a little worried that this young man who had stirred her heart was just having a passing fancy and playing around. For a moment, I felt a mix of emotions, and my expression shifted uncertainly. Seeing Wang Jiajia's somewhat fluctuating expression, Chang Yu smiled gently and handed her a glass of red wine. Jiajia, come have a drink with me. His voice was slightly hoarse, but it had an added magnetic quality, as if it struck Wang Jiajia's heart directly. Her body trembled, and she involuntarily took the wine glass. Chang Yu was unaware of her thoughts about age, and if she had known, she certainly wouldn't have taken it seriously. It's important to know that although Chang Yu looks young, his actual age is much older than Wang Jiajia's. If Wang Jiajia really cares about her age in the future, Chang Yu can totally turn her into a purple gold zombie. Unlike Chang Yu's lineage, and unlike Kuang Tianyu and his son, they did not have so many restrictions, and lived a life worse than death. For people like Kuang Tianyu and Yamamoto Mirai, immortality is actually a punishment. But following Chang Yu was different. From Chang Yu to the zombies he developed, they could eat and drink as they pleased with the help of the essence blood bead. With unlimited lifespan and power and wealth far exceeding that of ordinary people, they could live a carefree and unrestrained life. As for the idea of eternal loneliness, that's utter nonsense. Zombies are like a bug in the system. They can turn the people they care about into their own kind and then stay together like a divine couple forever. Many people say they envy the Mandarin ducks more than the immortals, but when faced with life and death, they become like birds in the same forest, flying away separately when disaster strikes. However, Chang Yu could say he wanted it all, lifespan and love. If possible, Chang Yu would prefer to call his lineage a new kind of human with greater power. Chang Yu smiled and gently clinked his glass against Wang Jiajia's. After a crisp sound, he took a small sip. However, perhaps because she was still unsettled, Wang Jiajia actually took a big gulp of the drink, and her cheeks were already flushed. Chang Yu's Adam's apple bobbed slightly as he gently stroked Wang Jiajia's cheek. The romance was already created. Wang Jiajia was simply too charming at this moment, and he was reluctant to waste any more time. Seeing Chang Yu's burning gaze, Wang Jiajia immediately sensed that something was wrong, and a hint of panic flashed in her eyes. She quickly reached out to stop Chang Yu's chest from pressing down on her. His hot breath hit her cheek, making her heart feel as if it were on fire. But she gritted her teeth and suppressed her instincts, saying in a trembling voice, you, we can't go on like this. I'm so much older than you, we're not a good match. If others find out, I'll never be able to face anyone again. What happened before was a mistake. Let's forget about it and let everything go back to normal, okay? Wang Jiajia's voice was soft, and that slight tremor seemed to scratch at Chang Yu's heart. Instead of calming down because of Wang Jiajia's words, he felt his anger rise even higher. He grabbed Wang Jiajia's small hand, his eyes burning with passion as he gazed into hers. Jiajia, age is not a problem for me. The moment I first saw you, I was captivated by your intellectual elegance. Our casual encounters during the day only made me more enamored with you. Your image is completely on my mind right now, I can't easily erase it. As he spoke, he gently pulled her arm, giving Wang Jiajia no chance to react, and once again pulled her into his arms, effortlessly kissing her sexy red lips. Wang Jiajia stiffened, wanting to resist, but for some reason, when her cherry lips were kissed, she completely lost the strength to resist. Her entire body went limp, utterly powerless to resist. Wang Jiajia sighed inwardly. What a nemesis? Oh well, oh well. Without further thought, She dropped the roses she was still holding, reached out and hooked her arm around Chang Yu's collar, and began to respond passionately. Sensing Jiajia's response, Chang Yu's eyes burned even brighter. He slid his arm down and scooped Jiajia up in his arms. Their lips remained perfectly joined as they strode towards the bedroom, Jiajia seemingly completely immersed in the passionate kiss. She offered no resistance to Chang Yu's actions. Instead, she tightened her arms and wrapped her long legs tightly around Chang Yu's waist, allowing Chang Yu to more directly feel the softness of her body. Jiajia's kissing skills were unusually rusty, clearly because they had been neglected over the years, but Chang Yu showed no disgust whatsoever. On the contrary, because of this awkward kiss, he felt even more pity for Jiajia. After a long while, their lips slowly parted. By then, Chang Yu had already taken off Jiajia's trench coat, revealing the little scheme she had hidden beneath it. Chang Yu's gaze was intense, but Jiajia's pretty face flushed red. She turned her head away, not daring to look at Chang Yu. Her current expression clearly showed that her earlier rejection was just a lie. For a moment, Jiajia felt like she wanted to disappear into a crack in the ground. Stop looking. Jiajia's voice trembled, whether from shyness or invitation, it was hard to tell, but it instantly ignited a fire in Chang Yu's heart. Chang Yu no longer held back. He stepped forward, continuing to demand a kiss while also beginning his further conquest. Jiajia acted as if she hadn't noticed Chang Yu's actions, simply holding Chang Yu's neck tightly and kissing her earnestly. Before long, the two were completely naked before each other, and with a sigh, the fierce battle began. Chang Yu shouted loudly, drew his sword, and thrust it at Jiajia with lightning speed, one strike after another. Jiajia was panting heavily, trying to defend herself. Having not fought for over a decade, she was finding it difficult to keep up. Chang Yu showed no mercy, seizing the opportunity to kill her while she was ill. He flashed behind her, and as his longsword trembled, a hand struck the back of her head. Jiajia was no match for Chang Yu at all. She was quickly rooted and could only desperately try to defend herself. Although Jiajia was struggling to resist, her more than 30 years of cultivation were not to be underestimated, and she fought Chang Yu in this small space. Often, they could take advantage of Chang Yu's carelessness to launch a surprise counterattack, making Chang Yu dare not be careless at all. The entire battlefield was affected by the two, turning into chaos. Chang Yu was overjoyed and cheered for this rare opponent. Jiajia gritted her teeth and, relying on her profound skills, refused to admit defeat and persisted in her struggle. Chang Yu rarely encountered a worthy opponent, and at this moment, he felt a sense of mutual respect, so he couldn't help but slow down his attacks. Jiajia breathed a sigh of relief, regained her composure, and began to exchange blows with Chang Yu. The sounds of battle gradually ceased only when a faint white light began to appear on the horizon. Jiajia collapsed into Chang Yu's arms, feeling as if she didn't have the strength to move a single finger. Feeling a little annoyed, she turned her head and lightly bit Chang Yu's earlobe, who was looking smug. He said in a hoarse voice, "Are you a bull? You have no sense of chivalry whatsoever." Chang Yu chuckled, "It's mainly because Jiajia, you're so charming. If I didn't put in a little effort, wouldn't I be disrespecting your beauty?" Jiajia rolled her eyes at Chang Yu, smooth talker, definitely not a good person. A sweet feeling welled up inside, along with a secret awe at Chang Yu's extraordinary talent. "What do you mean there are only oxen that die from exhaustion, but no land that's been overplowed? That's absurd." Jiajia felt that if Chang Yu hadn't gone easy on her, she would probably be broken by now. My throat felt very hoarse, partly because of Chang Yu's request for a kiss, and partly because only the two people in the room knew about it. After all, Chang Yu had temporarily installed a soundproof barrier in the room to prevent disturbing the neighbors. Seeing that Jiajia's voice was hoarse, Chang Yu kindly helped her up, opened the bottle of mineral water on the bedside table, and carefully fed her the water. Jiajia returned an approving look, as if to say, "You've got some sense, kid." Then she began to sip the water slowly. The cool mineral water slid down her dry throat and into her stomach, and Jiajia felt completely alive again. Her strength began to return slowly. After drinking water, Jiajia leaned on Chang Yu's shoulder, quietly breathing in the hormonal scent emanating from him. After a long pause, she spoke gently, "Ayu, help me up. I should go back, or Zhenzhen will find out." Chang Yu's chin gently brushed against Jiajia's hair. The smooth touch made Chang Yu squint his eyes slightly. "Do you even have the strength to get out of bed?" Chang Yu teased. Jiajia gave Chang Yu a playful twist on the waist. "You still have the nerve to laugh? It's all your fault." Chang Yu chuckled and gently slid his hand down, startling Jiajia, who immediately reached out and tightly grasped Chang Yu's hand. She twisted her body slightly, looked at Chang Yu with a hint of pleading, and said softly, "I really can't take it anymore. Please let me go." There was even a hint of coquetry in her voice. Chang Yu gasped, then playfully slapped her on the pert spot. "Stop wiggling, or you really won't be able to walk." Jiajia blushed and quickly stopped what she was doing, saying cautiously, "Then help me up." Chang Yu tightened his grip, saying calmly, "I can let you go back, but I want to see you here again tonight." Jiajia was terrified. Feeling her body, which had only just regained a little strength, she felt that if she came again tonight, she would probably fall apart. She wanted to refuse immediately, but the words caught in her mind as the scenes from last night flashed before her eyes. Chang Yu's strong arms gave her a feeling of irresistible attraction, and she couldn't bring herself to say no. After hesitating for a moment, Jiajia finally raised her head, her face flushed, and said, I can come over, but you have to be gentle, or I'll never talk to you again. When she spoke, Jiajia's eyes were shy and timid, showing a rather girlish demeanor. Chang Yu's appetite was whetted by the sight, and he couldn't help but raise his head and kiss Jiajia's cherry lips again. Jiajia was startled, thinking that Chang Yu was about to start another fight. She was about to run away, but she felt that Chang Yu's kiss this time was very gentle and careful. She couldn't help but relax and let Chang Yu take what he wanted. After a long while, their lips parted. Jiajia buried her pretty face in Chang Yu's chest, quietly listening to his strong heartbeat. Feeling exceptionally content, his feelings for Chang Yu deepened even further, and he seemed to develop a slight dependence on him, making him somewhat reluctant to get up. Chang Yu stroked Jiajia's hair with satisfaction, then it's settled. I'll definitely be very gentle tonight. Jiajia gave a soft but made no move to get up, and Chang Yu didn't urge her either. He picked up the phone, sent a casual text message, and then tossed it aside. Holding Jiajia tightly, savoring the warmth of the moment, the two quietly embraced, chatting idly. As the sun began to rise, the feelings between the two seemed to have changed, no longer purely driven by hormones as they had at the beginning. Instead, they felt a connection on a deeper level. This time, the attraction made Jiajia glance at the sky outside. He lifted his head and gently kissed Chang Yu's lips. Let go of me, I really have to go down now, otherwise Zhenzhen will call later. Chang Yu remained silent, only slightly raising her head. After another passionate kiss, she gently said, go wash up first, otherwise, if we continue like this, it will only arouse more suspicion. Jiajia gave Chang Yu a playful glare, that's all your fault? Let go, I'm going to wash up. She then patted Chang Yu's shoulder. Chang Yu remained silent, showing no intention of letting go of her. Instead, he got out of bed and picked up Jiajia along with him. Jiajia felt a sudden weightlessness and quickly wrapped her arms around Chang Yu's neck, exclaiming, I really can't go on anymore, there's no time left. I'll come back to you tonight, okay. Chang Yu had a mischievous smile on his lips, but he didn't say a word and strode towards the bathroom. Jiajia pleaded, Ayu, tonight, please? Zhenzhen will wake up soon, and she'll worry if she doesn't see me. Chang Yu shook her head, chuckled softly, opened the bathroom door, and carefully placed Jiajia in the bathtub. He said somewhat jokingly, why don't you wash up first? Or I can help you. If you'd like, I can even have another match with you. Humph. Jiajia snorted irritably, you're so mean, always trying to scare me. As she spoke, the little girl's demeanor was fully displayed, creating a stark contrast with her mature figure, resulting in a charmingly unexpected effect. Chang Yu's heart melted at the sight. Noticing the odd look in Chang Yu's eyes, Jiajia quickly said, I'm going to take a shower. You should leave now. The pleading look in her eyes made Chang Yu's heart tremble. He couldn't bear to tease this young woman any longer, so he gently kissed her lips, adjusted the water temperature to a comfortable level, and then walked out of the bathroom with a smile. Staring at the closed bathroom door, Jiajia finally breathed a sigh of relief. Recalling Chang Yu's look just now, she couldn't help but chuckle. Her smile was like 100 flowers blooming, adding a splash of color to the entire bathroom. It was a pity that Chang Yu had already left, otherwise he probably wouldn't have been able to resist kissing her cherry lips again. Jiajia gently cleaned away the traces left by last night's fierce battle from her body, her fingers tracing the skin. Scenes from last night involuntarily resurfaced in her mind. She could clearly feel Chang Yu's infatuation with her, and a blush rose on her face again, but a satisfied and charming smile appeared on her lips. Chang Yu possessed strong bloodlines and keen hearing and eyesight. Even through the bathroom door, he could hear the sound of hands splashing water inside, which made him feel a little itchy. However, she also knew that Jiajia had reached his limit. Last night, during his first interaction with a woman in the drama, he became somewhat excited. The movements became a bit more intense, but fortunately, although Jiajia had been celibate for more than 10 years, her physique was surprisingly good, which allowed her to barely withstand the attacks. He shook his head, suppressing the ripples in his heart, and a smile appeared on his lips. He told her to rest well and savor the moment tonight. Lost in thought, I hastily put on some clothes and went to the door. When I opened it, a woman in uniform respectfully handed me 2 bags. Chang Yu smiled gently and reached out to take the girl. He recognized her, she was Meng Ling's secretary, who had come to pick him up at the airport when he returned to Daxia. Her arrival was, of course, Meng Ling's arrangement. Before getting up, Chang Yu had already informed Meng Ling to make some preparations, and the timing was just right. In the bathroom, after cleaning herself, Jiajia realized that Chang Yu had carried her in completely naked, and she hadn't brought any change of clothes with her. Besides, if I remember correctly, Chang Yu seemed to have torn my clothes a bit last night, so I couldn't help but curse him under my breath as a beast and also blame myself for not being prepared enough. I'll have to be careful on the way back now. I glanced around the bathroom, grabbed a towel, and wrapped myself in the beautiful scenery. However, the bath towel was far too small, giving the impression that it covered everything but not everything, which infuriated Jiajia, who cursed Chang Yu inwardly once again. Wang Jiajia carefully opened the bathroom door, intending to slip back to her room quickly while Chang Yu wasn't looking and changed into her own clothes. Having been through it all, she knew all too well how alluring she was to men in her current state. However, as soon as she opened the door a crack, she saw Chang Yu's smiling face, which startled her so much that she slammed the door shut again. Chang Yu smiled helplessly, then scratched his nose, wondering if he was really that scary. Jiajia, why did you close the door? Chang Yu asked, her voice sounding a little aggrieved. Humph. Wang Jiajia snorted from inside the door. Don't you know why you closed the door? Go get my clothes. But how can I give you the clothes if you don't open the door? Chang Yu's voice sounded even more aggrieved. I'll open it when you bring it. Inside the door, Wang Jiajia wasn't fooled at all. But I came here to bring you clothes. Real. Chang Yu said helplessly, would I lie to you? As she spoke, she waved the bag in her hand against the frosted glass of the bathroom. Wang Jiajia then carefully reopened the door, extended a hand, and said softly, give it to me. Chang Yu remained silent, then grabbed her hand, pulled her into his arms, gave her another deep kiss, and playfully scratched her a few times. Only then did she let go, and Wang Jiajia slapped Chang Yu's chest a few times in annoyance. You lied to me again. Chang Yu scoffed, who told you to be so wary of me? As she spoke, she handed over the bag. I had someone prepare a new set for you. Try it on and see if it fits. Wang Jiajia took the bag and gave Chang Yu an approving look. That's more like it. With that, he retreated back into the bathroom. A moment later, the bathroom door reopened, and Wang Jiajia, dressed in sportswear, looked quite dashing. Chang Yu's eyes lit up. This Jiajia's sister was quite alluring. Looking into Chang Yu's eyes, Wang Jiajia felt smug. It seemed her charm was as strong as ever. But she asked with a puzzled look, why are you providing sportswear? Chang Yu smiled mysteriously, walked to the dining table, and handed another bag to Wang Jiajia. Take it with you. Wang Jiajia took the bag with a puzzled look, and when she saw that it contained some home-style breakfast items, she immediately understood what Chang Yu meant. He couldn't help but look at Chang Yu with some suspicion, and said with a half-smile, so skilled, it seems young Master Chang has dealt with this kind of thing quite a bit. Upon hearing the change in address, Chang Yu realized that Wang Jiajia must be angry. Without explaining, he pulled Wang Jiajia close and kissed her passionately until she was completely mesmerized, then softly said, it's not what you think. I learned it online, this is my first time using it. Wang Jiajia was secretly delighted, but she gave a soft snort, who knows if you're just trying to comfort me. Chang Yu helplessly wrapped her arms around Wang Jiajia's voluptuous waist. Jiajia, I'm telling the truth. Wang Jiajia chuckled and gently kissed Chang Yu on the lips. Okay, I believe you, even if you're lying to me, I'll still believe you. As long as you don't just act on a whim and then discard what you've gained, I won't care about your other matters. After all, Jiajia is getting old and can't stay with you for much longer. Silly girl, I'm serious about you. Don't worry about the age difference, I'll take care of all that. Chang Yu tightened her arms around him, feeling a sudden pang of heartache. Wang Jiajia sighed softly, pressing her face against Chang Yu's chest. I believe you. It's getting late, I really have to go now. Okay, but remember to come over tonight, and don't go back on your word. At this moment, Chang Yu felt like a child, and was actually a little reluctant to let Wang Jiajia leave. Wang Jiajia smiled gently and kissed Chang Yu's lips again. Don't worry, I'll come. After saying that, he released Chang Yu and walked towards the door. As Chang Yu watched Wang Jiajia's dashing figure disappear into the distance, he felt a strange sense of shifting roles, like the hunter and the prey had been switched. On the 7th floor, Kuang Fusion opened his still slightly drowsy eyes and sat up abruptly. Dad. Kuang Tianyeo quickly and gently patted Kuang Fusion's back. Fusion, Dad's here, it's alright, don't be afraid. Kuang Fusion hugged Kuang Tianyeo tightly, his voice choked with emotion, and said, Dad, I dreamt about what happened 60 years ago. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. It's all over now. Kuang Tianyeo comforted him gently. Kuang Fusion's body trembled slightly, and it took him a while to calm down. He suddenly looked up, his tear-streaked eyes fixed on Kuang Tianyeo, his face full of expectation. Dad, it's dawn. Let's go find Chang Yu. Okay, go wash up and change your clothes, we'll be right there. The night also allowed Kuang Tianyeo to think things through, regardless of who Chang Yu really was or what his intentions were. He absolutely had to go and meet them, not only because of Kuang Fusion's pleas, but also because he himself had the same desire. He was already tired of this inhuman existence. Soon, the two were ready and arrived at the door of 601. It had been less than half an hour since Wang Jiajia left. He had only roughly cleaned the messy room once, and was planning to have someone come over later to do a full cleaning. There was no way around it. Last night I met a formidable opponent, a true match made in heaven. The battle was so intense that the living room, kitchen, balcony, sofa, everywhere bore the marks of the fight. If Chang Yu hadn't used magic to remove the smell, anyone who came in would probably have been able to smell it. Just as I was about to go out for another stroll, the doorbell rang. Chang Yu raised an eyebrow and instantly sensed the two people outside the door, a playful smile appearing on his lips. He walked to the door, without any intention of hiding anything, and opened the door generously, giving the father and son a slight smile. Good morning, both of you? Kuang Tianyeo was still wearing his signature trench coat as usual, and even though he was indoors, he was wearing sunglasses. Chang Yu couldn't help but secretly curl his lip. What a pretentious jerk. Kuang Fusion, dressed in a clean little shirt and overalls, tried his best to maintain a well-behaved expression on his face, and gave Chang Yu a big smile. Good morning, Uncle Chang. As she spoke, the expectation and longing in her large eyes became almost impossible to suppress. Mr. Chang seems to have known we were coming. Kuang Tianyu's tone was scrutinizing and knowing, making him even more certain that last night's lavish meal was no coincidence. The person in front of them must have already realized their identities, which is why they deliberately set a trap to lure them here. Chang Yu chuckled, leaned down and pinched Kuang Fusion's collagen-rich face, then gestured for someone to enter the room. Please come in, both of you. Kuang Tianyu's eyes were like those of a hawk. His keen, unyielding detective nature allowed him to notice the living room's obvious tidying up, yet still somewhat messy, the moment he stepped into the room. With a slight twitch of its nostrils, it seemed as if it could still catch a faint, fading scent of strange flowers. Kuang Tianyu was filled with complex emotions. Who exactly was this man? He was able to sense their identities and even cook food that zombies could eat. It's obvious that Chang Yu is no ordinary person, it's just that this seemingly mysterious guy has a somewhat chaotic private life. Relying on the zombies' physical abilities and keen senses, they solved many different kinds of cases. How could they not understand where that strange floral fragrance came from? After leading the two people inside, Chang Yu looked around, and a series of scenes flashed through his mind. Suddenly, he felt that it didn't seem appropriate to have the two of them sit anywhere. He couldn't help but give an awkward smile, then simply leaned back on the sofa and asked the question knowing the answer already. You two came to see me so early, is there anything I can help you with? Seeing Chang Yu's state, Kuang Tianyu felt a pang of embarrassment and pulled Kuang Fusion back from sitting on the sofa. After a moment of silence, gathering his thoughts, he finally spoke. I was deeply grateful for Mr. Chang's hospitality last night. Since returning home, Fusion has been constantly thinking about your cooking. He kept nagging me all night, and I had no choice but to come and ask Mr. Chang for advice this morning. I wonder if you could teach me your cooking skills. Or could you tell me how you managed to make the food so delicious? Kuang Tianyu emphasized the words delicious and palatable, clearly implying something specific. Chang Yu thought to himself, Kuang Tianyu truly lives up to his reputation as an old monster who's lived to be 80 or 90 years old. Even at this point, he still wants to test me again. With a quick glint in his eyes, he said, since you're unwilling to spell it out, then I'm happy to play dumb. Let's see who loses their temper first. I see. Mr. Kuang and Xiao Fusion really have a deep father-son bond, she said, smiling as she pinched Kuang Fusion's cheek. Fusion, look how good your father is to you. You must always be a filial child. Kuang Tianyu and his son exchanged a helpless glance. Kuang Fusion's eyes were full of anxiety, but he still had to give Chang Yu a well-behaved smile. Uncle Chang is right, I will definitely be filial to my father. Alright, I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'll just cook it myself. You guys watch and see if you can learn how, Chang Yu said gently, patting Kuang Fusion's hair. The two exchanged a surprised glance. Kuang Tianyu, suppressing his excitement, bowed slightly, then I'll have to trouble you, Mr. Chang. It's nothing, no need to be so polite. Chang Yu said as she walked towards the refrigerator. I took out some lean meat, washed it, sliced it, and cooked a pot of fragrant lean meat porridge. Throughout the entire process, Chang Yu's movements were smooth and neither too fast nor too slow, and he did not hide anything from Kuang Tianyu and his son. The father and son stood to the side, watching Chang Yu's movements intently, not daring to relax for a moment. After the porridge was cooked, Chang Yu served each of them a bowl. After receiving the porridge, the two looked at each other in confusion, both seeing the bewilderment in each other's eyes. This method seems no different from others, and all the ingredients are normal. Could last night have been an accident? Doubts arose in both of their minds. Chang Yu washed her hands, picked up a bowl of porridge, and smiled as she looked after the two of them. I was in a rush today and didn't have time to make anything else, just a simple bowl of porridge. I hope you don't mind. The two men held the bowls, unsure whether to drink them or not. They felt that this bowl of porridge might give them diarrhea again, but they had come to visit and personally requested it. Now that the host has invited them, how could they refuse? They gritted their teeth, thinking that if things didn't go well, they could simply take their leave. The two mentally prepared themselves, and as if they were about to go to their execution, they raised the porridge in their hands. The moment they tasted it, the two were stunned. How could this be? The ingredients are so ordinary, and we didn't see Chang Yu do anything wrong, so why does the lean meat porridge taste so delicious? The two, refusing to believe it, picked up their bowls and drank from them in large gulps, seemingly still unable to believe it. Chang Yu secretly rejoiced, but feigned concern, saying, drink slowly, be careful it's hot. There's more in the pot if you're not full. But the father and son were not listening to any of this at the moment. Firstly, they wanted to verify the effect of the porridge, and secondly, the pain of not being able to eat for so many years could not be relieved by last night's big meal. Kuang Fusion let out a small, satisfied whimper. The warm, soft porridge, with a hint of meaty aroma, slid down his throat and into his stomach, giving his stomach a long-lost feeling of warmth and comfort. Kuang Tianyu suddenly looked up at Chang Yu, his eyes filled with utter shock and ecstasy. It's real? Last night wasn't an illusion? This Chang Yu, he really can make them eat like normal people. Chang Yu put down his spoon and met Kuang Tianyu's shocked and ecstatic gaze. His gentle smile remained, but his eyes became exceptionally deep, as if they could penetrate one's heart. Mr. Kuang, Chang Yu's calm voice rang out, tinged with a barely perceptible hint of mockery. It seems you really do approve of my skills. Kuang Tianyu's hand holding the bowl trembled slightly, and his gaze towards Chang Yu became even more suspicious. Who exactly are you? What is your purpose in deliberately leading us here? Chang Yu pretended not to understand what Kuang Tianyu was saying, and after a slight pause, asked, Mr. Kuang, what are you talking about? Didn't you come to me yourselves? Kuang Tianyu frowned, not believing Chang Yu's story at all. However, they had witnessed the entire process of Chang Yu making porridge. Keep in mind that they are second-generation zombies, with Kuang Fusion being an even more powerful second-generation zombie in terms of mental and spiritual abilities, possessing keen insight. Even though they were malnourished due to long-term consumption of expired blood, they were still able to tamper with it right under the noses of the father and son. This suggests that Chang Yu's strength may surpass theirs. As an anomaly in the zombie world, they have always been hiding among humans. The only people I encountered who were supernatural were He Yingkaiu and the Ma family. Kuang Tianyu could sense that whether it was He Yingkaiu, Ma Dana, or Ma Xiaoling, the new generation successor of the Ma family, their strength was very weak, and they could not pose any threat to second-generation zombies like them. But Chang Yu was different. Although Chang Yu did not reveal any aura, Kuang Tianyu did not have the slightest intention to fight. Given his unusual nature, Kuang Tianyu even began to suspect that the person before him was Zhang Chen. If Chang Yu really was Zhang Chen, then all these inconsistencies can be explained. Having been a zombie for 60 years, he naturally knew that there was a bloodline theory among zombies, and that higher bloodlines could suppress lower bloodlines. Therefore, the only thing that could prevent these two second-generation leaders from even considering taking action was the first-generation general. As the source of their bloodline, it's only natural that Zhang Chen could cook food that zombies could eat. Kuang Tianyu thought so, and he asked the same question. The thought that Chang Yu might be the one who caused them to become this inhuman and ghostly Zhang Chen made him not want to keep playing games. He asked directly, Are you Zhang Chen? Kuang Tianyu stared intently into Chang Yu's eyes, not wanting to miss any change in them. Cough cough. Kuang Fusion, who was engrossed in drinking his porridge, was startled by Kuang Tianyu's words. He spat out the porridge before he could even swallow it, and then began to cough violently. If Chang Yu hadn't dodged quickly, he would have been sprayed with porridge directly in his face. He looked at Kuang Tianyu, who was quickly trying to soothe Kuang Fusion, with a dark expression, and lost all interest in joking. Zhang Chen? What Zhang Chen? I'm not one. He then glared fiercely at Kuang Tianyu. You too, remember to clean the floor before you leave. By this time, Kuang Fusion had recovered, and Kuang Tianyu asked with suspicion, You're really not Zhang Chen? Then who are you? Our identities can't be hidden from you. Chang Yu smiled gently, leaning back in his chair with a relaxed posture. His gaze shifted between Kuang Fusion, whose face was flushed with excitement and who was once again engrossed in eating, and Kuang Tianyu, who was on high alert as if facing a formidable enemy. Who I am is not important for now. Chang Yu's voice carried a strange soothing quality, yet contained an undeniable sense of power. What's important is, Mr. Kuang, wouldn't you like to change your way of life? He paused, looking at Kuang Tianyu's suddenly contracted pupils, and slowly added, Yes, what I mean is, no more living on expired blood, no more worrying about diarrhea, and like now, being able to eat normally. Although Chang Yu did not say it explicitly, he clearly knew their identities and was also very familiar with their past. Kuang Tianyu's hand holding the spoon tightened suddenly, and Kuang Fusion also stopped drinking his porridge again, looking at Chang Yu with longing. Kuang Tianyu's voice trembled slightly. What exactly do you want? How do you know about us? And why are you helping us? Chang Yu chuckled and waved his hand. I'm just an ordinary person. As for why I know about your affairs, I don't actually know, I just guessed. As for why I helped you, well, maybe it's because I like you, and it was just a small favor for me. What are your conditions? Kuang Tianyu asked calmly, not believing Chang Yu's explanation. Chang Yu gently stroked his chin. Speaking of which, it seems like you have nothing to help me with. If you really want me to make a condition, then each of you should owe me something, and I'll collect from you in the future. For now, I will allow you to eat normally. From now on, you must strive to adapt to your own power and grow quickly. Kuang Tianyu's expression shifted. These unconditional conditions made it even harder for him to make a decision. But Kuang Fusion, standing to the side, didn't have so many thoughts and readily agreed. Okay, you teach us how to eat normally, and we'll promise you one thing. At this moment, Kuang Fusion was so overwhelmed by the joy of being able to eat normally that he didn't care about the consequences of agreeing to this condition. He had grown to loathe the taste of expired blood, but these two large meals successfully rekindled his craving for normal food, and he no longer wanted to eat any expired blood plasma. Kuang Tianyu, standing to the side, still hesitated. Seeing this, Chang Yu looked at Kuang Tianyu and delivered the finishing blow. I forgot to tell you something. Your old nemesis, Kazuo Yamamoto, has also become a zombie, and he's plotting to turn this world into a zombie world. Chang Yu's last words were like a depth charge dropped on a calm lake. What? Kuang Tianyu suddenly stood up. The chair behind him was knocked over by the tremendous force, making a screeching sound. His eyes instantly turned bloodshot, and a violent, uncontrollable aura erupted from him. The air in the entire restaurant seemed to freeze, and the temperature plummeted. Chang Yu snapped his fingers lightly, and a barrier immediately enveloped the entire room, preventing Kuang Tianyu's aura from dissipating into the outside world. The current situation is quite good. He doesn't want Kuang Tianyu's zombie identity to be exposed so soon. Unlike the original drama, due to Chang Yu's interference, Kuang Tianyu was unable to obtain news of Yamamoto Kazuo from Chu Chen. However, he had always believed that Yamamoto Kazuo was not dead and had been investigating the matter for years. Now that the news had been suddenly confirmed, it was understandable that he lost his composure. Where is Yamamoto Kazuo? Kuang Tianyu clenched his fists, his entire body turning into a zombie-like form from rage. Dad. Kuang Fusion was also frightened by his father's sudden outburst of rage and terrifying aura. His face turned pale, and he instinctively hid behind Chang Yu, tightly clutching the hem of his clothes. Chang Yu remained unmoved by Kuang Tianyu's imposing aura, calmly taking a sip of porridge. It was as if there was an invisible barrier around him, keeping out Kuang Tianyu's murderous aura, which was enough to terrify ordinary people, without even causing a ripple. Mr. Kuang, calm down. Chang Yu's voice remained calm, yet it carried a strange penetrating power, like ice water poured on Kuang Tianyu's boiling rage. Anger won't solve anything. You should know that he's just like you, and unlike you, he's not malnourished. You're no match for him right now. These words were like a cold awl, piercing through Kuang Tianyu's raging emotions. His body swayed violently, the bloodshot in his eyes faded, replaced by a deep sense of powerlessness. He knew all too well the strength of the second-generation zombie. 60 years ago, as a guerrilla leader, he was able to fight on equal terms with Yamamoto Kazuo, that Japanese major. He also knew the character of those Japanese pirates very well. How could they possibly be like him and Fusion, suppressing their zombie nature and retaining their humanity? The fact that they haven't caused a major stir in the world is already a testament to their restraint. In any case, Kuang Tianyu doesn't believe in the humanity of the Japanese. Otherwise, so many horrific things wouldn't have happened back then, and as Chang Yu said, Yamamoto Kazuo intended to turn the whole world into a zombie world. He didn't see anything wrong with it at all. In his eyes, the Japanese were simply inhuman beings. He slumped to his feet, picked up the chair that had fallen over, and slowly sat down. His tall frame appeared somewhat hunched, and the imposing aura he had just displayed was completely gone, leaving only heavy exhaustion and a tremendous sense of crisis. Then what should I do? Kuang Tianyu's voice was dry and hoarse. He absolutely would not watch Yamamoto Kazuo turn this world into a zombie world. That's just his personality. Even if he's living a life worse than death, he'll still try to maintain the beauty of this world. Chang Yu nodded secretly. He himself was not that kind of person, but that did not stop him from admiring such people. First, you need strength, Chang Yu said bluntly. For the past 60 years, you've been surviving on expired blood plasma. Your strength has regressed rather than improved, leaving you pitifully weak. In your current state, you might not even be able to handle Yamamoto Kazuo's henchmen, let alone him. Kuang Tianyu's face turned ugly, but he couldn't refute it. Chang Yu was telling the truth. I will have someone teach you how to properly utilize your own strength, and I will also teach you how to eat normally. Chang Yu slightly raised his bowl, indicating that he was capable of doing these things. And then, what exactly do you need? Kuang Tianyu pressed. Despite limited contact, Kuang Tianyu had already discerned that Chang Yu was definitely not the type of person who would help others for no reason. And then, Chang Yu asked helplessly. He admitted that he wasn't exactly a saint, and that he was also the type to do things without a reason. But this time he really didn't have any ulterior motives. At most, he just wanted Kuang Tianyu to grow up as quickly as possible and shoulder the mission that he should have originally shouldered. After all, Yamamoto Kazuo was just a minor boss in the early stages of the game for Chang Yu, while Chang Yu has now grown into the #1 player in the game. It's just a minor monster. He really has no desire to fight it. He's quite content to just play around like this for now. At most, he would intervene at the last moment, interrupting the Buddha's great Sun Tathagata purification mantra and preventing the world from evolving anew. To be honest, Chang Yu was really interested in the great Sun Tathagata purification mantra, and he had now mastered some spacetime power. However, it is nowhere near as effective as the great Sun Tathagata's purification mantra, which reverses time by 60 years and erases everyone's memories. Chang Yu felt that it was as if Buddha had sacrificed himself to create a new parallel world. Regardless of the circumstances, Chang Yu would never allow himself or those around him to lose their memories or suffer any accidents during these 60 years. After all, he couldn't guarantee that he would reappear 60 years later. What if he disappeared due to the world's correction, or all his efforts over the years were in vain? That wouldn't be fun. If Chang Yu really had any bad intentions, then it was probably just a little bit. He wanted to create a sense of crisis for Kuang Tianyu, so he would work hard to improve his strength and stop him from hanging around in front of Ma Xiaoling and Zhenzhen all the time, affecting his evolution towards becoming the Dragon King of Huaju. There's no then. If you don't want to, then forget it. Chang Yu was somewhat disheartened and didn't bother with the two anymore. Unexpectedly, this only strengthened Kuang Tianyu's resolve. It must be said, there are quite a few shameless people out there. Kuang Tianyu took a deep breath, looked directly at Chang Yu, and said, word by word, "All right. We promise you." As long as you can give us the power to fight him and stop Yamamoto Kazuo, we will do our utmost. It has to be said that at this moment, Kuang Tianyu must have been imagining some kind of moving drama, because his words even sounded somewhat tragic. Chang Yu remained silent, unsure of what to say, and somewhat listlessly handed Meng Ling's business card to Kuang Tianyu. Go find the person on the business card, she'll arrange everything. He casually waved his hand, indicating that the two could leave. He had no interest in being someone else's babysitter. He would just have Meng Ling arrange for them to receive essence blood beads or purified blood plasma regularly. Kuang Tianyu took the business card, gave Cheng Yu a deep look, and then took his leave with Kuang Fusion. After the two left, Cheng Yu didn't want to stay any longer. She called Meng Ling to arrange things for Kuang Tianyu and his son, and asked her to call a cleaning service to clean the house and change the sheets. Cheng Yu strolled leisurely towards the outside of Jiajia building. As she exited the elevator, she encountered a mother and child. However, this time it wasn't Ping Ma and Luo Kaiping and his mother, but another pair of people in the building who appeared frequently and were always swindling and cheating, Jin Ma and Jin Zhenzhen. In fact, in the original novel, Luo Kaiping's transformation into the evil Azura was also inextricably linked to Jin Zhenzhen. It was because he and Jin Ma, amidst the series of deaths in Jiajia building, tricked Wang Jiajia and other tenants in the building into donating money to them. The ritual performed on the day of the 3 broken days summoned countless wronged souls and wandering ghosts. When Luo Kaiping jumped off the building, he happened to land on the car that Ma Xiaoling was pretending to be a ghost in. This led to Luo Kaiping being possessed by 100 ghosts, ultimately evolving into an evil Azura. Of course, their identities were eventually exposed, but this drama has too many saintly characters, and in the end, no one blamed them. Even the money he had been swindled out of wasn't recovered, and in the end, Jin Zhengzhong even became Ma Xiaoling's apprentice. It's almost comical. The Ma family's Taoist arts have always been passed down to women, not men. Even the male members of the family are not allowed to learn them. However, Ma Xiaoling was morally coerced by everyone and accepted Jin Zhengzhong as her disciple. Unfortunately, Kim Young, that good-for-nothing, didn't cherish such a good opportunity. He was always slacking off and ended up being bewitched by a Japanese female ghost. While Cheng Yu was sizing up Jin Zhengzhong and his mother, the two of them were also sizing up Cheng Yu. Little did they know, Cheng Yu was inwardly criticizing them. Sister Jin even greeted them familiarly, but the way she looked at them like they were easy prey made Cheng Yu somewhat displeased. I heard that a new tenant moved into Jiajia building a couple of days ago. It must be that young man. He's quite a handsome young man. Good morning, you two. Cheng Yu was a little reluctant to talk to them, but since they had greeted him so warmly, he couldn't just leave. After all, he wanted to spend more time at Jiajia building and didn't want to leave a bad impression. Jinji wasn't embarrassed at all by Cheng Yu's cold tone. Instead, she stared intently at Cheng Yu's outfit and enthusiastically introduced herself. I'm Jin Ma, and this is my son, Jin Zhengzhong. He's the reincarnation of the Sunmu boy from heaven. If you ever need any exorcism or warding off evil services, remember to come to my son. Since we live in the same building, I can give you a discount. Clearly, in her eyes, Cheng Yu has probably already been categorized as a fat sheep, and she wants to develop a potential client. Kim Young, standing to the side, perfectly cooperated with his mother, giving a light, faint Cheng Yu nodded indifferently. I have some things to attend to. Let's talk another time. Before the two could react, he walked past them and headed out of the Jiajia building, secretly pondering the news he had just received, finding it quite a coincidence. On the other side, Jin's mother wanted to say something more, but Cheng Yu was already out of the Jiajia building in a hurry, so she had to give up. Jin Zhengzhong, watching Cheng Yu's retreating figure, suddenly felt uneasy, as if something important was about to leave him. After Cheng Yu walked out of the building, he took out a car key from his pocket and unlocked a car parked downstairs. Heading towards the Four Seasons Hotel, this car was specially prepared by Meng Ling for his transportation. At this time, Meng Ling should still be busy at the company, and Kuang Tianyu and his son might come to visit later. Lingzi seems to be fine for now. He plans to pick up Xinglu first and have lunch with Lingzi. It's a bit inconvenient to always go to hotels, so let her stay with Lingzi and the others for a couple of days, and then move out once the accommodation is arranged. Cheng Yu drove away from Jiajia building, leaving the little incident involving Jin Zhengzhong and his mother behind. He arrived at the Four Seasons Hotel and picked up Xinglu, who was clearly dressed up and looked radiant. When Xinglu saw him, her eyes were filled with undisguised admiration and affection. Brother Yu. She jogged over and naturally took Cheng Yu's arm. Okay, let's go, I'll take you to meet a friend. Cheng Yu smiled and drove Xinglu towards Meng Ling and Ling Shi's residence. The two women lived near Jiajia building, so Cheng Yu quickly parked the car back in its original spot and led Xinglu into the building next to Jiajia building. When Xinglu saw Ling Shi, who was stunningly beautiful and had a girl next door feel to her, a look of amazement and sadness flashed in her eyes. She had long understood that a man like Cheng Yu could not possibly have only one woman by his side. Meng Ling was clearly Cheng Yu's woman before, and now there's Lingzi too. And as I said before, I might just be a canary in a cage. I understand this, but I still can't help feeling a little sad. Lingzi didn't seem surprised by Xinglu's arrival. She greeted her gracefully and, seeing Xinglu's somewhat downcast expression, even took the initiative to chat with her and comfort her. Lunch was a private chef's meal arranged by Lingzi, and it was exquisite and delicious. Under Chang Yu's guidance, the atmosphere wasn't awkward at all. Seeing Lu has a cheerful personality, and with Chang Yu and Ling Shi's intentional intervention, she quickly recovered. After giving Chang Yu a disdainful look, she chatted and laughed with Ling Shi. Beautiful women always seem to find common ground quickly, and before long, the two became like best friends. Chang Yu couldn't help but shake her head and sigh. Women are truly peculiar creatures. These feelings always come so suddenly. When things are going well, they're inseparable, but the slightest setback and they become nothing more than fair-weather friends. After the meal, the lingering resentment in seeing Lu's heart seemed to have completely dissipated, and she returned to her usual generous and open self. Lingxi raised an eyebrow at Chang Yu, seemingly trying to curry favor. Chang Yu chuckled and smoothed her long, flowing hair. After lunch, the atmosphere among the three seemed to become subtle again. Lingxi, being an experienced woman, rolled her eyes slightly and then pulled Xingla towards the room. Seeing Lu's face flushed slightly. Although she was a new wife, she had seen it all and knew what was going to happen next. Although she had become familiar with Chang Yu in all aspects over the past few days, she had never actually experienced what was about to happen. She felt a little shy for a moment, but then she saw Lingxi's calm yet slightly excited eyes beside her. She realized that these things were probably commonplace for Chang Yu. Although she felt a pang of sadness, she quickened her pace to keep up with Ling Shi. A sigh escaped her lips. It's come to this point already. Since she's not going to leave Chang Yu no matter what, she'll naturally have to adapt to their rules. After a thoroughly enjoyable post-dinner discussion, Chang Yu looked at the two beauties, whose relationship had clearly grown much closer, and with a slight smile, he turned and left. The sun had begun to set, and it was around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Chang Yu didn't drive, he simply walked slowly towards a location. Before long, he passed through layers of buildings and arrived at a relatively quiet street. On the street corner, a sign shimmering with a soft blue light came into view, waiting bar. That's right, this is the place where Bai Susu and Xiaoqing live in seclusion. The saying true hermits live in the city is exactly like this. This place is actually not far from Jiajia building. Miao Shan, being the embodiment of Guanyan's tears, is always successful in divination and prophecy. Naturally, she could calculate the location of Su Xian's reincarnation, so the location she pointed out to Bai Susu would not be too far from this reincarnation. If I remember correctly, Kim Yongcheng is the reincarnation of Su Xian, so it makes sense that waiting bar is so close to Jiajia building. Moreover, there's a scene in the original drama where Wang Jiajia invites Xiaoqing to an open-air party, which is unlikely if they're far apart. Chang Yu had previously arranged for people to investigate nearby bars, originally intending to find Yamamoto Mirai, but unexpectedly discovered the location of waiting bar. The timeline Chang Yu is currently in should still be considered the era of the first season of My Date with a Vampire, although Bai Susu's 5 signs of decay are gradually appearing. However, they haven't encountered Fahe yet, so they haven't perished. Ma Xiaoling's aunt, Ma Dingdang, naturally hasn't had time to take over waiting bar and become the new owner. Similarly, it's highly unlikely that the two cats will transform into human form. However, it's hard to say for sure, even the flapping of a small butterfly's wings can create a storm on the other side of the ocean. Not to mention Chang Yu and his zombie crew, even if the plot completely falls apart, Chang Yu wouldn't be surprised. Stepping through the slightly ajar wooden door, a serene atmosphere, completely different from the hustle and bustle outside, immediately greets you. The air was filled with a faint scent of sandalwood, the aroma of aged wine, and an indescribable freshness. The bar's interior design is not modern and ostentatious, but rather carries a strong classical charm and traces of time. The dark wood bar counter, the high-backed leather sofas, and even the deliberately dim and soft lighting made Chang Yu unconsciously slow down after entering the bar. At this time of day, office workers have just finished get-off work, and nightlife hasn't started yet, so there aren't many people in the bar. Only in some corners could I see a few people sleeping soundly, slumped over tables. Chang Yu looked around, his gaze lingering on the sleeping people for a moment, and immediately understood that this must be the effect of the heart wine. It is said that the recipe for heart wine was passed down from Miao Shan to Bai Susu. It can help people see their inner obsessions clearly in their dreams and face their true selves. Of course, different people will have different reactions after drinking the heart wine. For example, Ma Xiaoling saw her predestined relationship from her past life. Kazuo Yamamoto saw his deceased wife, Yuki Yamamoto, while Young Kim saw his own inner greed. Regardless of the reaction, it will induce a state similar to a hallucination or deep sleep, allowing the mind to relax. People are under so much mental stress these days, I wonder how many people can't sleep at night. Just by looking at the number of customers who come in before dark these days, you can tell that Bai Susu's bar business is actually quite good. Chang Yu's gaze swept across the bar before landing on the area behind the bar counter, where a woman was meticulously and slowly wiping a wine glass with a clean, soft white cloth. Her movements were elegant and composed, exuding a unique charm. Chang Yu looked at the woman with great interest. She was wearing an elegant moon-white cheongsam that accentuated her graceful figure. Her long, black hair was loosely tied up, revealing her beautifully swan-like neck. Her features were so exquisite that she resembled a fairy in a painting, and her temperament was aloof and otherworldly, as if she did not belong to this mundane world. However, deep within those eyes, which were as clear as autumn water, lay an unyielding loneliness and a faint trace of weariness. Judging from her appearance alone, the woman seemed to be only 16 or 17 years old, but she possessed a unique charm. This further enhances her appearance, making her seem like a fine wine that has been aged over time. At first glance, one can tell that she is not as simple as she appears on the surface, making one want to explore her more deeply. Chang Yu clicked her tongue in amazement. This must be Bai Susu, the owner of this bar? As expected of a serpent demon that has been passed down through the ages, even though she has begun to experience the 5 signs of decay, her appearance and aura are still captivating, making her the perfect choice for those who wish to inherit the spirit of Mend. However, Chang Yu also admired and respected this woman's devotion and enduring love. People often desire what they lack most. Before Bai Susu transformed into a demon, she was only saved by Su Xian once, and she gave herself to him in return. However, Su Xian's subsequent behavior was completely unworthy of Bai Susu's infatuation. If it weren't for Su Xian, given Bai Susu's background, she might have had a chance to become an immortal or even an ancestor. But she was willing to stay in the mortal world, waiting for Su Xian's return. Even now, as the 5 signs of decay descend upon the mortal, she has never given up, all for the sake of seeing Su Xian one more time. I don't know if it's a parody by the TV series or what, but the original Su Xian was already despicable enough, and now this Su Xian reincarnated as Zhenzhen the vampire is even worse. He's an utterly useless good for nothing but causing trouble, a complete waste of Bai Susu's years of waiting. Chang Yu suddenly felt a pang of sympathy for Bai Susu. Although he was a scumbag, he was much better than Zhenzhen. At least he wouldn't run away, and he could even save Bai Susu's life. In addition, there's her lively and cheerful sister-in-law, Xiaoling, whom Chang Yu feels she also needs to try and win over. Having made up her mind, Chang Yu put on a warm smile, went straight to the bar, and lightly tapped the table with her fingers, breaking the quiet atmosphere. Bai Susu paused in wiping the wine glass, looked up in surprise, and a hint of emotion flickered in her eyes. Looking at this ordinary person in front of her, who was no different from anyone else except for his good looks, Bai Susu couldn't help but feel a little doubtful. She hadn't even noticed Chang Yu's arrival before he made a commotion. Could it be that the 5 signs of decay of heaven and man had begun to cloud her senses? Suddenly, Bai Susu felt a wave of sadness wash over her. She hadn't even seen Su Xian again. Was she about to die prematurely? Chang Yu keenly noticed the astonishment and fleeting sadness in Bai Susu's eyes. He realized that his habitual concealment of his aura had likely frightened the extremely sensitive white snake, who was currently in the midst of the 5 signs of decay. She probably mistook it for a sign of her own decline. Chang Yu's smile remained unchanged, but instead gained a touch of gentleness and just the right amount of apology. He nodded slightly. Sorry to bother you. I was just passing by and was drawn in by the unique name, so I walked in without thinking. Waiting bar, waiting, who knows what stories are hidden within. Chang Yu's voice was deep and pleasant, but his eyes were fixed on Bai Susu across from him with a meaningful gaze. Bai Susu quickly composed herself. Her 1,000 years of experience made her realize that the person before her was not as simple as he appeared. Although her senses were weakened by the 5 signs of decay, she was still capable of completely unaware of an ordinary person approaching. Moreover, upon calming down, she realized that her senses had not been significantly weakened. The fact that this person could appear before her so silently, without her even noticing, is definitely not as simple as his appearance suggests. She picked up the wine glass again, her fingertips applying slight pressure, but her face remained calm, and a gentle smile even appeared at the corner of her mouth. Welcome. What would you like to drink, sir? Her voice had a unique charm that came with maturity, and it was very captivating, but Chang Yu sensed a faint wariness in it. This bar looks so unique, it must have its own special features. I don't know what to drink, so how about you recommend something, beautiful lady? Chang Yu smiled and stared intently at Bai Susu. He wanted to see if Bai Susu would still offer him a cup of wine in this situation. Perhaps it was because Chang Yu's gaze was too intense. Bai Susu unconsciously brushed her long hair behind her ear and spoke softly. Sir, you possess an extraordinary air, and the wine you drink must be exceptional as well. How about I mix you a glass of our signature heart wine? Excellent. Chang Yu nodded slightly, pulled over a high stool, and sat down, watching Bai Susu's actions with great interest. He was quite interested in the heart wine. Bai Susu smiled, and with a flick of her fingers, various ordinary wines blended together in her hands, and soon a glass of grayish-white wine appeared in front of Chang Yu. The process was completely undisguised, as if they hadn't even seen Chang Yu's gaze, showing no fear whatsoever that he was stealing their knowledge. Please, sir. Bai Susu gestured, a hint of inquiry in her eyes, eager to see the man's reaction after drinking the heart wine. A drink made by a beautiful woman herself must taste extraordinary. Chang Yu picked up the glass, brought it to his nose, and sniffed it lightly. As expected, he couldn't smell anything. Without further hesitation, he raised his glass and drank it all in one gulp. The liquor went down his throat, but he still couldn't taste anything. It was just like drinking a glass of plain water. Chang Yu closed his eyes slightly, his mind following the wine as it sank into his body. Then a strange thing happened. After the wine passed his throat, it did not continue to flow into his stomach. Instead, it transformed into an invisible gas, flowing through a special channel directly towards Chang Yu's crown, seemingly aiming to penetrate his soul. Unfortunately, even the consciousness generated from absorbing the bloodline of the Ma family failed to break through Chang Yu's mental defenses, let alone a small cup of heart wine. Before the smell of alcohol even got close to Chang Yu's sea of consciousness, it was burned away by an invisible flame, leaving no trace in a short while. Chang Yu observed that the spiritual fire formed from his spirit seemed to burn even more fiercely after the wine in his heart had been burned away. After the flames reintegrated into his soul, Chang Yu actually felt that his soul had grown stronger, and even the samadhi true fire that emerged from the convergence of his essence, energy, and spirit had improved slightly. This caused the three-colored energies within the constantly rotating corpse core in his danshan to seem to further merge, with a touch of chaos appearing on the purple energy at the center. Chang Yu suddenly opened his eyes, his gaze brightening. Good stuff. Then, staring intently at Bai Susu, he said, "Beautiful lady, 3 more cups, please." Bai Susu was taken aback. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation. Everyone who had drunk the heart wine before had fallen asleep immediately, including herself. It's fair to say that she's been able to sustain herself for so long thanks to the dream-inducing effects of the heart wine, otherwise, she probably wouldn't have been able to continue. Who would have thought I'd run into such a weirdo as Chang Yu today? Not only did he not get drunk after just 1 cup, he actually wanted 3 more. However, she didn't say anything, but quickly started mixing drinks. She was also very interested in seeing where Chang Yu's limits were. Bai Susu's hands moved swiftly, and in no time, 3 more glasses of grayish-white liquor appeared on the table. Chang Yu didn't stand on ceremony, raising his glass and drinking it down one by one. He then closed his eyes again, but after a short while, he opened them again, a hint of disappointment in his eyes. The heart wine did indeed have some effect on him. In addition to enhancing his mental strength, it could also promote the integration of his internal forces through the combined effects of essence, energy, and spirit. Aside from the first cup which had a noticeable effect, the remaining 3 cups, while having some effect, were negligible. Moreover, Chang Yu could feel that she was already saturated today, and drinking more wouldn't make much difference. As for the idea of seeing his own obsession, Chang Yu felt nothing at all. It was unclear whether he himself had no obsession, or whether the heart wine had been refined and thus lost its effect. However, Chang Yu still decided to visit Bai Susu for a few drinks whenever he had free time, since there weren't many things that could help him integrate the power within his body. Even the smallest mosquito leg is still meat, and besides, there are 2 beautiful women here. Chang Yu himself is also very curious about the snake demon, having previously imitated Ning Kechen. Now he wants to emulate Su Xian and study snake demons, wondering if their bodies are as cool and refreshing as snakes, or... Suppressing his rising anger, Chang Yu smiled at Bai Susu, whose face showed shock. "Your cooking skills are indeed extraordinary, beautiful lady. I really like it." As he spoke, Chang Yu glanced at his wrist, at the watch Lingzi had just put on him. "However, it's getting late today, and I have some things to attend to. I can't discuss the mysteries of wine with this beautiful lady right now. I'll come find her for a drink another day." After saying that, Chang Yu casually put down a few banknotes and strode out of the bar, leaving Bai Susu in a daze. Just like that, he left. Bai Susu murmured to herself behind her. She was still in shock from the ineffectiveness of the heart-wrenching wine, and she never expected that this man would just leave like that. However, she became even more certain that this man was definitely not simple. His visit today was certainly not just a casual stop. After all, that ordinary person could drink 4 cups of wine in a row and still be fine. "Sister, what are you looking at?" As Bai Susu stared blankly at the bar entrance, wondering who Chang Yu was, a clear female voice suddenly rang out from behind her. Bai Susu turned her head, and there stood Xiaoqing, dressed in green, with a slender figure and youthful beauty. Curious, I followed her gaze toward the door, only to catch a glimpse of Chang Yu's back. Bai Susu's fingers unconsciously traced the rim of the empty wine glass, her expression turning serious. "Chinger, things are likely to get turbulent from now on. Be careful in your dealings with others. Is it because of that person from earlier?" Xiaoqing asked curiously. Bai Susu nodded slightly, then gently shook her head. "That person is indeed special. He drank 4 cups of heart wine without any reaction. He didn't seem to have any ill intentions towards us, but his arrival made me uneasy. Something was bound to happen next. If he dares to make my sister uneasy, then I'll strike first and wipe him out." Xiaoqing's eyes flashed with a fierce light, her pupils contracted into thin slits, and a thin blue sword appeared in her hand without her noticing. At the same time, an uncontrollable aura emanated from the area. The person sleeping in the bar seemed to sense something and shifted restlessly, as if about to wake up. Bai Susu quickly grasped Xiaoqing's hand, gently comforting her. "Chinger, don't be impulsive. We don't yet know whether the newcomers are friend or foe. Moreover, he didn't reveal his aura at all, yet he gave me a very dangerous feeling. His strength must be considerable. Chinger, you might not be his match." Hearing Bai Susu's words, Xiaoqing reluctantly sheathed her sword. Then, "Sister, what should we do next? Perhaps we should go somewhere else." Bai Susu shook her head slightly. "I will wait here for Su Xian to return." Then, with a hint of worry, she looked at Xiaoqing. "The world is probably not going to be peaceful from now on. Chinger, why don't you?" "No, I want to stay here with my sister." Before Bai Susu could finish speaking, Xiaoqing interrupted her. Bai Susu was somewhat moved and grasped Xiaoqing's hand in return, her eyes flashing as if she had made a plan. Then let's stay here and observe how things unfold. Bai Susu did not reveal her true intentions. Instead, she went along with Xiaoking's words. After all, having been together for 1,000 years, Bai Susu naturally knew Xiaoking's personality very well. At this moment, the people who had been sleeping in various corners of the bar began to gradually wake up and groggily walk outside. Bai Susu and Xiaoqing exchanged a glance and then stopped chatting. Chang Yu stepped out of waiting bar. He noticed Xiaoqing's appearance and wanted to turn around for a look. However, to maintain the mystery, he held back. Of course, he heard their conversation. This made him shake his head and chuckle. He hadn't expected his appearance to cause Bai Susu unease. Then he shook his head. Whatever, I'm just here to make an appearance and witness the magic of Xinjiu. Someone like Bai Susu, whose life is almost entirely sustained by obsession, won over by her will not be easy. However, Xiaoqing could be a potential breakthrough point. After thinking for a moment, Chang Yu took out his phone and glanced at it, a mysterious smile once again appearing on his lips. It's truly a case of the flowers you carefully plant may not bloom, while the willows you casually plant may thrive. He glanced at his watch. Although it's already dark, there's still plenty of time until midnight. I won't miss my date with Jiajia. Thinking of this, Chang Yu raised her eyes to determine the direction and walked towards an alley next to Jiajia building. When he was searching for Yamamoto Mirai, he had already explored all the alleys in the area, and he was especially familiar with the locations of the various bars in the vicinity. Chang Yu's original plan was to go out for a walk every night to see if she could find Yamamoto Mirai, who was always looking for food. I hadn't noticed it for the past few days, but now the day of the third break is getting closer and closer. Chang Yu and Jiajia were in the honeymoon phase and had no time to go out at night. He then directly assigned the task of finding Yamamoto Mirai to his subordinates. As for Yamamoto Mirai's appearance, Chang Yu and the others already knew what she looked like. Even when he was in Japan, Chang Yu had seen Yamamoto Mirai from afar, but he was too cautious at the time. To avoid being discovered by fate prematurely, Chang Yu and the others simply did not approach her. To his surprise, only one day after the mission was assigned, his men not only found the green snake but also the white snake. They also discovered Yamamoto Mirai's whereabouts and were waiting for Chang Yu to rescue her. In order not to affect her date with Jiajia later, Chang Yu quickly arrived at the front of a bar. This bar is completely different from waiting bar. You're greeted by deafening music as soon as you enter. In the center of the dance floor, men and women dressed in revealing outfits were dancing energetically, and the air was thick with the scent of hormones. Chang Yu frowned slightly, his gaze sweeping over the bar with a hint of displeasure. Clearly, the environment did not suit his taste. Soon, Chang Yu's gaze paused, settling on a woman with short, neat hair at the corner of the bar, whose gaze was somewhat indifferent. The woman was extremely beautiful and bore a resemblance to Wang Zhenzhen, but she possessed a more heroic air that Wang Zhenzhen lacked. But at this moment, his expression was extremely empty, and his whole body exuded an extremely decadent aura. Before her lay a glass of blood-red liquor, but she showed no intention of touching it. Found it. Chang Yu smiled and strode towards the woman, his expression changing to that of a typical scumbag. Upon approaching the woman, Chang Yu deliberately scanned her up and down with intense gaze, displaying great interest. Then, as if they were old friends, he put his hand on the woman's shoulder, a smile typical of bar pickups on his face. Hey beautiful, wanna grab a drink? Then, he snapped his fingers and ordered 2 drinks from the bartender, placing them in front of the two of them. The woman frowned slightly, clearly displeased with Chang Yu's actions. However, for the sake of tonight's dinner, she chose not to make a scene. Instead, she picked up her wine glass and gently clinked it with Chang Yu's. Then, in a very discreet manner, he poured out some of the liquor, without actually drinking it. Clearly, due to the limitations imposed by their zombie status, even fine wine would cause them diarrhea. The woman was none other than Yamamoto Mirai. She had come to the bar tonight because she was suffering from a blood addiction and wanted to find someone who deserved to be punished. Chang Yu actually took the initiative to come closer, and his hands were so improper, so Yamamoto Mirai naturally wouldn't be polite. She immediately decided that the man in front of her would take care of dinner tonight. Chang Yu smiled. He knew Yamamoto's future plans perfectly well, but he had no intention of exposing them. Instead, his smile deepened, since this was something he had deliberately done. Chang Yu immediately began his performance. After putting down his wine glass, he reached out and grasped Yamamoto Mirai's soft hand, gently kneading it in his palm. Why are your hands so cold, beautiful lady? Did you catch a cold? As he spoke, he gently pulled Yamamoto Mirai's arm around her shoulder, drawing her into his embrace as if to offer her warmth. Caught off guard, Yamamoto Mirai was pulled into Chang Yu's arms. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, and his body tensed instantly, as if he was about to lash out. A moment later, her body relaxed again, but the cold light in her eyes intensified. He scoffed inwardly, I'll let you get away with this little advantage for now, you'll pay with your life later. Seeing that Yamamoto Mirai chose to hold back for the time being, Chang Yu's lips curled into a wicked smile. The hand that was originally around her shoulder slid down and wrapped around her soft waist. Yamamoto Mirai stiffened again, her eyes flashing with cold light, clearly on the verge of losing control of her killing intent. Just then, a group of people came down from the stage and sat near the two of them, chatting and laughing while holding wine glasses. To avoid causing panic, Yamamoto Mirai had no choice but to endure it again. Then she picked up her glass, intending to get Chang Yu drunk before making her move. Chang Yu didn't care at all, drinking one glass of wine after another that Yamamoto Mirai handed him. Of course, he wouldn't let this rare opportunity slip by, his hands moving freely around Yamamoto Mirai's waist. Soon, a blush spread across Yamamoto Mirai's face, and she gritted her teeth as she continued to force-feed Chang Yu wine with resentment. Before long, the group of people next to them returned to the dance floor. Seeing that it was almost time, Chang Yu pretended to be drunk. She stood up unsteadily, without removing her hand from Yamamoto Mirai's waist. Yamamoto Mirai was secretly plotting how to punish Chang Yu later and did not notice him suddenly getting up. As a result, Chang Yu pulled him by the hand, causing him to lose his balance and fall off the high stool, landing in her arms. After a while, Yamamoto Mirai finally came to her senses, feigning weakness and coquettishness. "Why did you suddenly get up? You startled me." As she spoke, she patted her chest, using this as an excuse to break free from Chang Yu's embrace, though her waist was still held by Chang Yu, preventing her from completely escaping. Chang Yu, slightly drunk, said, I need to go to the restroom. Will you come with me?" As she spoke, she leaned close to Yamamoto Mirai's pretty face and kissed it, then staggered towards the bathroom. The movement was so fast that Yamamoto Mirai hadn't even had time to react before Chang Yu carried her forward. She angrily wiped the drool from her face. "I'll let you be smug for a few more minutes. I'll take care of you when we get to the bathroom." The bar is quite considerate, each restroom is quite large and independent, offering a high degree of privacy. Under the strange gazes of several drunk men at the sink, Yamamoto Mirai was directly led by Chang Yu into a private restroom. Upon entering, Chang Yu showed no intention of using the restroom. Instead, she turned around and pinned Yamamoto Mirai against the bathroom door. Then he skillfully kissed her cherry lips. Yamamoto Mirai had been preparing to bare her fangs and attack the moment she entered the room. As a result, she was caught off guard by Chang Yu's kiss. Normally, this wouldn't have been a big deal, Yamamoto Mirai could have simply pushed him away and bit his neck. However, Chang Yu's kiss seemed to have a magical power, even though Yamamoto Mirai had dated boyfriends before. However, under Chang Yu's skillful technique, she was momentarily stunned. Even the raging bloodlust in his heart subsided at this moment. This gave Yamamoto Mirai an unprecedented sense of ease, and she couldn't help but become immersed in it, her arms unconsciously wrapping around Chang Yu's back. It wasn't until Chang Yu's anger flared up and he instinctively began to conquer and seize territory that Yamamoto Mirai felt a fiery heat before her. She suddenly woke up with a start, pushed Chang Yu away, glared at him with a flushed face, and was extremely puzzled. "How could I have done this? It's not like I haven't come to bars to eat before." Each time, the man was so infatuated that he didn't even get the slightest advantage before dying in his dream. "What's going on this time? Not only did this man take advantage of me from the very beginning, but I was also so submissive just now, without even a hint of resistance. You should know that although she often forages for food this way, she has never been tempted to eat it. Although she and Shinjo Domoto were separated because of Kazuo Yamamoto, she never forgot him deep down. However, today, thinking of Shinjo Domoto, Mirai Yamamoto immediately suppressed the strange feeling coming from her body. His eyes flashed with a fierce light, and he looked at Chang Yu with a ruthless expression. For some reason, Yamamoto Mirai really wanted to see Chang Yu panicked at that moment. Anyway, the restroom is a private space, and the bar is so noisy, so even if Chang Yu exclaimed, it wouldn't have any impact. However, when Yamamoto Mirai looked at Chang Yu, she did not see the slightest fear on his face. Chang Yu looked at Yamamoto Mirai with great interest, clicking her tongue in amazement. "I must say, those two little sharp teeth of yours actually look quite cute." Yamamoto Mirai's fierce expression faltered instantly. "What the hell is this? I'm a zombie, a vampire zombie? What on earth is this man doing here?" she asked, somewhat unwillingly. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Chang Yu asked, puzzled. "Why should I be afraid of you?" Mirai Yamamoto pointed to the two sharp fangs near her mouth. "I'm a zombie, a vampire zombie." Chang Yu shook her head slightly. "Don't be afraid, it's quite cute." Yamamoto Mirai's lips twitched, and then a ferocious expression returned to her face as she lunged directly at Chang Yu. "I don't care if you're afraid or not, today you will surely become my prey." Although I don't know why, after kissing Chang Yu, my previously intense blood craving suddenly disappeared. But Yamamoto Mirai, already enraged, couldn't be bothered to think about any of that. She had no feelings for Chang Yu. The instinctive reaction that his body had previously exhibited made Yamamoto Mirai uneasy, further solidifying his determination to eliminate Chang Yu. Chang Yu neither dodged nor evaded, but caught Yamamoto Mirai as she lunged at him, letting her sharp teeth approach the carotid artery in his neck. Her hands began to automatically relieve the wonderful moment, and Yamamoto Mirai instantly sensed Chang Yu's actions. She glared at Chang Yu resentfully, then sneered. He deserved it. Even at this point, she didn't forget to take advantage of herself. Yamamoto Mirai had already automatically labeled Chang Yu a lecherous glutton. At the same time, she wiped away the ripples in her heart and ignored Chang Yu's unrestrained large hand. He scoffed inwardly. "Since you're going to die anyway, let you take advantage of me a little more. What's the harm?" Then, without hesitation, he bit down directly on the carotid artery in Chang Yu's neck. The moment it entered my mouth, I felt that Chang Yu's skin was even more delicate than a woman's, and it was so soft that it seemed I could easily pierce it with her sharp teeth. However, when Yamamoto Mirai was about to pierce Chang Yu's carotid artery, he felt that Chang Yu's skin was unusually supple. Her skin changed shape with her teeth, but no matter how hard she bit, she could never break through Chang Yu's skin and draw blood from it. Chang Yu felt an itch on his neck. Yamamoto Morai's bites were like flirting, which fueled his anger and made his hands become even more unrestrained. Yamamoto Morai tried to bite Chang Yu's neck for a long time, but she couldn't break through it. Instead, Chang Yu kept breaking through her defenses. Feeling a cool breeze behind her, Yamamoto Morai quickly shoved Chang Yu aside, retreated swiftly to the door, and lowered the hem of her skirt that Chang Yu had lifted. She looked at Chang Yu with a wary expression. Even if she were naive, she would understand that the man in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. All that had happened before was just a game she'd been played for. In an instant, Yamamoto Morai's face turned bright red, her eyes filled with anger, and she asked through gritted teeth. Who are you? Why are you toying with me? Chang Yu calmly straightened his slightly disheveled clothes, and with a swift movement, pinned Yamamoto Morai against the bathroom door once more. Then he directly dropped a bead of blood essence into Yamamoto Morai's slightly parted red lips. Yamamoto Morai shoved Chang Yu aside and bent down to spit out the bead of blood essence. However, the essence blood bead melted instantly upon entering her mouth, spreading throughout her entire body in a moment, bringing her a warm and comfortable feeling, and her strength seemed to have increased somewhat. It seemed like a good thing, but Yamamoto Morai didn't believe Chang Yu would be so kind after discovering she couldn't vomit anything. She looked up at Chang Yu warily. What did you give me to eat? Chang Yu gently lifted her chin, smiling brightly. Can't you feel the good stuff that suppresses your blood addiction? Yamamoto Morai's expression was slightly surprised. Upon closer inspection, she discovered that the surging blood craving had vanished as if it had disappeared entirely. She now had no desire to drink blood at all. When did Yamamoto Morai's blood addiction disappear? Suddenly, her face flushed slightly, as if she hadn't felt that bloodthirsty desire when the man kissed her. I was just too angry and embarrassed at the time to notice that. The thought that her blood addiction, which had troubled her for so long and made her feel like a monster, might be cured by the man in front of her. Yamamoto Morai's face immediately lit up with ecstasy, but she quickly composed herself and looked at Chang Yu with a mixture of shame and anger. Who exactly are you? What are your motives? Why are you humiliating me like this? Chang Yu took out a tissue and gently wiped the lipstick from Yamamoto Morai's lips, smiling as she said, Who I am isn't important. You just need to know that I can help you. What are the conditions? I don't believe anyone would help me for no reason. Yamamoto Morai did not avoid Chang Yu's actions. However, he remained wary, not believing at all that Chang Yu would be so kind. What do you think? Chang Yu smiled broadly, deliberately leering at Yamamoto Morai from head to toe. The hand that was originally at her lips slowly began to move downwards. Yamamoto Morai slapped Chang Yu's large hand away, her expression showing some shame and indignation. Shameless. Chang Yu chuckled, casually slipped a small jade bottle into the crevice under her neck, and then opened the bathroom door. When you experience withdrawal symptoms, take one pill, think it over carefully, and if you've made up your mind, come find me at Jiajia building. You'll likely find a surprise there. After saying that, Chang Yu didn't linger and strode out of the bar. Yamamoto Morai, embarrassed and annoyed, pulled the jade bottle from her bosom and muttered, Damn you, you filthy scoundrel! What do you take me for? If it weren't for the fact that even zombie teeth couldn't penetrate Chang Yu's skin just now, Yamamoto Morai, worried that she couldn't win, would probably have directly taken action to deal with Chang Yu. After a moment, she calmed down, her fingers stroking the jade bottle as she stared blankly at Chang Yu's retreating figure. Who exactly are you? Jiajia building? I'll go. Then, clutching the jade bottle, she quickly left the bar, wanting to confirm whether her blood addiction had truly been suppressed. Meanwhile, when Chang Yu walked out of the bar, it was already close to midnight. He had texted Wang Jiajia before he came, explaining that he had something to do that evening and might be back late. If Wang Jiajia arrives, she can wait in the room, but she absolutely cannot be absent. She imagined that Wang Jiajia was probably already bathing and waiting for her in her room. Chang Yu's anger, which had just been stirred up by Yamamoto Morai, immediately burned even more fiercely, causing him to involuntarily quicken his pace once again. Chang Yu quickly returned to Jiajia building. As soon as she opened her bedroom door, she sensed a familiar breathing sound coming from inside. Chang Yu took 2 quick steps, preparing to rush into the bedroom, but stopped when he reached the bedroom door. Her breathing was so steady that it was obvious Wang Jiajia was asleep in the bedroom. Thinking back to how hard she tried last night to please me, she must be exhausted and hasn't had a good rest yet. That's why she fell asleep right away. Chang Yu couldn't help but feel sorry for Wang Jiajia. With a sigh, she turned and went into the bathroom, took a cold shower, and washed away the smell she had picked up from Yamamoto Morai at the bar. He then gently opened the bedroom door, slipped inside, and went to the bedside, looking at Wang Jiajia's peaceful sleeping face. Chang Yu couldn't help but gently kiss her lips before carefully lying down beside her, preparing to take a nap. No sooner had Chang Yu lain down than Wang Jiajia rolled over and wrapped her arms around his neck, murmuring sleepily, Ayu, you're back. Chang Yu gently stroked her hair and said softly, I'm back. Continue to rest. Wang Jiajia gave a soft then shifted to a more comfortable position, snuggling completely into Chang Yu's arms. Chang Yu couldn't help but gasp, hiss. I had just finished showering when Wang Jiajia also. Chang Yu suddenly felt unwell, her anger rising to her head, making it impossible for her to fall asleep. He unconsciously tightened his arms, pressed his chin against Jiajia's earlobe, and spoke in a slightly hoarse voice. Jiajia, why don't you go to sleep later? Jiajia was being held by Chang Yu. She had already closed her eyes and was about to fall into a deep sleep when Chang Yu's restrained voice rang in her ear. She couldn't help but open her eyes again, and as she moved slightly, she felt the burning passion in Chang Yu's heart. She immediately snapped out of it, her face flushed, and without saying a word, she wrapped her arms around Chang Yu's neck and kissed him. Jiajia's kiss was like a thunderbolt striking a prairie fire, instantly filling the bedroom with a cacophony of noise. Chang Yu gently stroked Jiajia's hair, looking at her tired yet content sleeping face, his heart filled with tenderness. He gently covered her with the blanket, then leaned against the headboard, his thoughts drifting away. The next morning, just as dawn was breaking, Jiajia slowly woke up and opened her eyes to find Chang Yu gazing at her tenderly. Awake? Chang Yu asked softly. Jiajia blushed, nodded gently, and asked in a slightly hoarse voice, were you all right last night? Chang Yu smiled and pinched her nose. A barely perceptible glint of light flashed from his fingertip, easing the redness and swelling on Jiajia's lips. I should be the one asking you. Aren't you tired? For 2 consecutive days, even though Jiajia was already at the age where she was as vigorous as a wolf, she was finding it hard to keep up. Although Chang Yu felt sorry for her, she didn't want to make Chang Yu suffer, so she still used some special methods. Jiajia blushed and shook her head, her eyes filled with tenderness. As long as it's you, anything is fine. The two smiled at each other, and a warm atmosphere filled the room. Just like yesterday, Chang Yu thoughtfully prepared breakfast for Jiajia. After Jiajia went downstairs, Chang Yu threw the bed sheets and blankets into the washing machine to wash them. After changing into a brand new set of clothes, I lay back down on the bed and went back to sleep. Anyway, I don't have anything to do today, and I've already met everyone I needed to see. It's time to get a good night's sleep. Not long after, there was a knock on Chang Yu's door, accompanied by Zhenzhen's voice. Brother Yu, are you home? Chang Yu rubbed her sleepy eyes, casually threw on a coat, and got up to open the door. Zhenzhen, so early, is there something you need? Ah, brother Yu. Zhenzhen exclaimed in surprise, and quickly covered her eyes with her hands, but the gaps between her fingers were wide open. Her eyes darted around, staring at the faintly visible muscle lines beneath Chang Yu's loose outer robe, and she secretly swallowed. He thought to himself, I never expected that brother Yu would not only be handsome, but also have such a great physique. I wonder what it would feel like to lie on his abs. Instantly, Zhenzhen felt her face burning red, and she quickly spat in her mind a few times. Oh my god, what am I thinking? This isn't me, it can't be me. He silently berated himself, but his eyes kept peeking through his fingers at Chang Yu's glimpses of what lay hidden beneath his loose outer robe. It's often said that men are lustful, but women are no less so. Otherwise, the concepts of being obsessed with looks or being infatuated with men wouldn't exist in later generations. Most men don't care much about their appearance and don't like to exercise. Men like this, unless they are very rich or very talented, will find it difficult to attract the attention of beautiful women, and naturally, it is rare to see their lecherous side. The phrases beautiful person, handsome person, still make a lot of sense. Chang Yu, being a zombie, relies on his bloodline and doesn't train much. But the zombie's power didn't appear out of thin air. The burst of bloodline also requires a strong body to support it. Therefore, his physical body was constantly tempered by the power of his bloodline with each advancement. He doesn't have those big bellies, and his muscles aren't the kind of useless, bulky muscles built with protein powder. Every muscle in his body possesses immense explosive power, and they are evenly distributed and perfectly sized, resulting in a streamlined physique. He has the perfect proportions, looking slim in clothes and muscular underneath, and combined with his handsome and dashing appearance, he's incredibly attractive. Even the mature and intellectual Jiajia was captivated by him, let alone the naive and innocent Zhenzhen. Chang Yu was jolted awake by Zhenzhen's exclamation, only to find Zhenzhen frozen in place like a statue. Although her hands were covering her face, the gaps between her fingers allowed Chang Yu to clearly see her bright red cheeks and the occasional glimpses of her eyes. Chang Yu glanced at the outer robe he had casually draped over his shoulders, finding it somewhat amusing. It offered no attempt to conceal his identity whatsoever. Instead, his eyes darted around, and he quietly leaned close to Zhenzhen's earlobe, maximizing the magnetism in his voice. Is it pretty? So beautiful. Zhenzhen responded subconsciously, then realized what was happening. In a flash, her whole body turned bright red, from the tips of her ears all the way down to her neck, before being covered by her clothes. Chang Yu didn't see it, but he believed the situation wasn't much better. He chuckled to himself, what a naive and shy girl. Hey guys, if you like it, could you please give it a 5-star review? Chang Yu stepped forward, almost pressing against Zhenzhen's delicate body, and whispered like a devil, want to touch her a couple of times. Zhenzhen asked, almost as if possessed, is it really okay? As he spoke, he reached out his hand, which trembled, and when his fingertips touched Chang Yu's abdominal muscles, it felt as if he had touched a branding iron. She quickly withdrew her hand, took several steps back, and stammered, I didn't. Soon, she lowered her head again, her face flushed red as if it were about to bleed, and tears welled up in her eyes. Seeing his expression, Chang Yu quickly dropped his teasing look, afraid that if he continued to tease her, this shy girl might actually cry. He reached out a hand and ruffled Wang Zhenzhen's hair, saying gently, "All right, I was just teasing you. What brings you here so early? Brother Yu, you're so mean." For some reason, Wang Zhenzhen suddenly mastered the art of coquetry without being taught, and tapped Chang Yu's chest a few times with her little fist. After knocking, Wang Zhenzhen subconsciously rubbed her fists a few times, took a few deep breaths to calm herself down, and remembered her purpose for coming. She instinctively stepped forward and tugged at Chang Yu's sleeve. "Brother Yu, Aunt Ping passed away yesterday. Mom asked me to come up and ask if you wanted to come and see her." Chang Yu was slightly taken aback when he heard Wang Zhenzhen's words. Did Ping's mother pass away? He frowned slightly, pondering to himself. According to the original plot, Ping Ma should indeed have died at this point. Chang Yu never expected that she would see Yamamoto Mirai just yesterday, and that Ping Ma would die that very night. It seems this storyline started last night. However, since I disturbed Yamamoto Mirai's peace of mind last night, she probably won't be in the mood to fulfill Hama's wish. Since Ping Ma died of natural causes, Luo Kaiping probably won't have the chance to become a hungry demon. Those two innocent girls in the Jiajia building should be safe and sound now. Seeing his silence, Wang Zhenzhen assumed he was hesitating, so she explained softly, "Ping Ma was the mother of Luo Kaiping, the tailor downstairs. Ping Ma is gone, and Ping Ji must be very sad. Ma thought that since we're all neighbors, she should go and comfort him." Chang Yu snapped out of her daze and, wanting to check on Ping Ma's condition, nodded and said, "Okay, I'll change my clothes and come down right away." Wang Zhenzhen hummed in agreement, but her fingers still gently gripped the hem of his clothes, as if she still had something to say. Chang Yu looked down at her and noticed her cheeks were slightly flushed and her eyes were darting away. He couldn't help but smile and ask, "What's wrong? Is there something else?" Wang Zhenzhen bit her lip, mustered her courage, and said, "Brother Yu, please don't tease me like that again." Chang Yu raised an eyebrow. "What?" Wang Zhenzhen glared at him, embarrassed and annoyed, and stomped her foot. It was just like that." Chang Yu couldn't help but laugh out loud, reaching out to ruffle her hair. "Okay, I won't tease you anymore. But..." Chang Yu leaned closer to Wang Zhenzhen. "You really don't want to touch it?" Wang Zhenzhen's face flushed bright red, and she glared angrily at Chang Yu. "Brother Yu." Chang Yu shook her head with amusement. "All right, I won't tease you anymore. I'll go change my clothes first. Do you want to come in and wait?" Wang Zhenzhen pouted, turned around, and ran away, saying, "No way." But before turning to leave, she didn't forget to remind him, "Brother Yu, hurry up. Mom's waiting downstairs." Chang Yu nodded with a smile, continuing to tease, "That's fine, otherwise I'd have to worry about you peeking." Wang Zhenzhen stumbled, turned around and glared fiercely at Chang Yu, then waved her little fist before continuing to run away. After Chang Yu closed the door, the smile on his face gradually faded. Ping Ma's storyline has been disrupted, which means I've officially changed the plot. I wonder what unexpected changes might occur next. Fate, I wonder if you were involved in this, and how you would react. Downstairs, Wang Jiajia and Wang Zhenzhen were already waiting at the door. Seeing Chang Yu come down, Wang Jiajia went to greet him gently, her eyes overflowing with affection. If Wang Zhenzhen hadn't been so slow to react, she probably would have noticed that Wang Jiajia's voice was excessively gentle at that moment. "Ayu, you're down now, let's walk together." Chang Yu nodded, and while Wang Zhenzhen wasn't looking, she winked playfully at Wang Jiajia. Wang Jiajia smiled and stood next to Chang Yu. Chang Yu strode forward, her gaze inadvertently sweeping over Wang Zhenzhen, noticing that she was looking down, her ears slightly red, clearly still embarrassed by what had just happened. He chuckled inwardly, but outwardly maintained a serious demeanor as he followed the mother and daughter to Luo Kaiping's house. "As soon as I reached the door, I heard Luo Kaiping's heart-wrenching cries coming from inside. Mom, don't leave me alone." Wang Jiajia sighed and gently knocked on the door. "Aping, we've come to see Ping's mother." The crying inside the door stopped abruptly. A moment later, Luo Kaiping opened the door, his eyes red. As soon as the door opened, Wang Jiajia and Wang Zhenzhen couldn't help but shiver, feeling as if a cold wind had hit them in the face. Chang Yu raised an eyebrow slightly. The yin energy in this room was a bit too strong, something had probably happened again. He then subtly observed Luo Kaiping, whose eyes were red-rimmed and whose face was filled with sorrow, and a mysterious smile appeared on his lips. Upon seeing the three of them, Luo Kaiping forced a bitter smile. "Aunt Jiajia, Zhenzhen, you've arrived." He even nodded politely to Chang Yu. Wang Jiajia said softly, "Aping, please accept my condolences. Your mother doesn't want to see you so sad." Luo Kaiping looked dazed, his eyes filled with tears again, and he spoke to the three of them with a choked voice. "Jiajia, Zhenzhen, and this gentleman, please come in." Chang Yu walked calmly in front of the two men and gently patted Luo Kaiping on the shoulder. "Mr. Luo, life and death are predestined. Aunt Ping was old, this is just a natural death. You should accept this with compassion." Luo Kaiping was taken aback for a moment, then nodded gratefully. The three of them went inside to pay their respects, offered a few words of comfort to Ping Ji, and then took their leave. Just as they were leaving, another stylishly dressed girl walked in. From how Wang Jiajia and the others addressed her, Chang Yu learned her name. This girl was Pippi, one of the girls who was strangled to death by Ping's mother. She was a dancer who worked in nightclubs every night. but she is a kind-hearted girl, and she has a crush on Ping Ji because they are neighbors. Pippi learned of Ping Ma's death immediately and has been coming to comfort Ping Ji ever since. However, her fate in the original story was not good. Just because she showed Ping a little more concern, she was strangled to death by Ping's mother, which was a pity. Chang Yu had a sudden thought, and a ray of inspiration fell on Pippi. The plot had changed, and she wasn't sure if the girl would encounter any accidents. However, marking it in advance will allow you to know immediately if anything happens. The three of them returned to Wang Jiajia and Wang Zhenzhen's residence together. As soon as she sat down, Wang Zhenzhen hesitated before speaking. Mom, Yuji, do you guys feel like Ping Ji is acting a little strange? As she spoke, Wang Zhenzhen subconsciously rubbed her arm, trying to shake off the goosebumps. Chang Yu smiled slightly and took out 2 amulets from his pocket. Keep these on your person. Be careful these next few days, and don't go out at night. Ayu, do you mean? Wang Jiajia's eyes showed horror. Chang Yu patted the back of her hand. It's okay, Jiajia, it's just a small problem. Chang Yu then looked at Wang Zhenzhen. Zhenzhen, call Miss Ma later and ask her to come and handle this. She's a professional in this area. Chang Yu decided to have Ma Xiaoling take action directly, not giving Jin Zhengzhong and his mother a chance to play tricks. On the one hand, I've been thinking about Wang Jiajia these past few days, and I really miss Ma Xiaoling's long, 42-inch legs since I haven't seen her for days. At the same time, I also wanted to see if this would disrupt the storyline of Jin Zhengzhong becoming Ma Xiaoling's apprentice. If Kim Young doesn't stay with the main group, then the timing of his later meeting with Bai Sahan will be uncertain. It will likely be delayed, giving Chang Yu more time after all. It's the white snake. There's no chance to be a dragon knight for now, but being a snake man for now is fine too. Chang Yu was really unwilling to give up like this. Since his bloodline broke through the generational barrier, Chang Yu's heart has changed. He is no longer as worried and cautious as before, and no longer dares to do anything. His current mindset leans more towards a carefree, playful attitude towards life. Of course, he is not free from worldly desires, and in the process of this carefree lifestyle, he also wants to pick more beautiful flowers. At the same time, Chang Yu also wanted to try to awaken Bai Susu's desire for life. Currently, Bai Susu is suffering from the 5 signs of decay and is determined to die. If Chang Yu could rekindle her hope for life, perhaps then she could rightfully taste the blood of the 1,000-year-old snake demon. I wonder if it will cause his strength to surge, just like the dragon blood incident. Upon hearing Chang Yu's words, Wang Jiajia spoke in surprise before Wang Zhenzhen could reply. Ayu, do you mean Xiaoling can catch ghosts? Chang Yu smiled and nodded. Seeing him nod, Wang Zhenzhen, who was standing next to him, started chattering to Wang Jiajia about Ma Xiaoling. After hearing Wang Zhenzhen's explanation, Wang Jiajia's face showed an incredulous expression. I really didn't expect that Xiaoling, who usually looks so fashionable and beautiful, would have such abilities. Chang Yu picked up his teacup, took a sip, and smiled. You can't judge a book by its cover. Xiaoling is a descendant of the Ma family of the Exorcist Dragon clan, specializing in dealing with these supernatural events. Wang Zhenzhen had already taken out her phone and dialed Ma Xiaoling's number. Hello, Xiaoling? It's me, Zhenzhen. Are you free right now? It seems like there's been a bit of a problem here. Ma Xiaoling's clear voice came from the other end of the phone. What's wrong, Zhenzhen? What happened? Wang Zhenzhen briefly recounted the passing of Ping's mother and the unusual circumstances in Luo Kaiping's home. After hearing this, Ma Xiaoling immediately said, I'm currently out of town and heading back now. I might not arrive until tomorrow morning. Don't make any rash moves yet. If you can't make it tonight, stay out for the night. After hanging up the phone, Wang Zhenzhen looked somewhat nervous. Xiaoling isn't in Hong Kong right now. She suggested we not stay in the building tonight. Wang Jiajia's expression also tensed up, and she instinctively grabbed Chang Yu's hand. Ayu, what do we do now? Chang Yu glanced at the sky outside. It wasn't noon yet, and even if Ping Ma did something unusual, it would be evening by then. He glanced back at the mother and daughter's somewhat panicked faces, and a thought struck him. This might be an opportunity. After thinking for a moment, Chang Yu patted their shoulders reassuringly. Since Xiaoling suggested we go out, how about I take you out for a day? We can just find a hotel to stay in tonight and wait for Xiaoling to come back. The two women hesitated, exchanging a glance. Wang Jiajia then asked tentatively, but what will happen to the other residents in the building if we leave? Chang Yu smiled slightly. I know a little about paranormal events. Ping Ma died of old age, so even if she really became a ghost, she wouldn't be too ferocious. Ghosts need time to grow. In one night, she can only scare people at most. She might not even be able to get into other people's houses. In Hong Kong, the atmosphere is already quite supernatural, and most households have some items to ward off evil spirits. While it might not be of much use, it should be enough to intimidate Ping Ma, who has just become a demon. Therefore, in ancient legends, when a place is haunted, those who come to exorcise the ghosts will ask them to keep their doors and windows tightly closed and not to go out at night. As long as the people in the building don't wander around at night, they probably won't even feel a little fright. Wang Zhenzhen and Wang Jiajia found Chang Yu's analysis very reasonable. Wang Jiajia also let go of Chang Yu's hand, and the tension on her face eased a lot. I'll send out a notice to remind everyone not to go out tonight. Chang Yu nodded. The atmosphere of the supernatural was strong in this era, especially in Hong Kong. Perhaps some people had not experienced it, but most had heard of some supernatural events. The fact that someone had died in the building would have given the tenants some preparation, but once Jiajia's announcement was released, even the boldest ones would likely be more cautious. Wang Zhenzhen calmed down a bit and looked at Chang Yu. Brother Yu, Aunt Ping won't show up during the day, will she? Chang Yu shook his head. When a person first becomes a ghost after death, they are very afraid of sunlight. It's almost noon now, the time when yang energy is at its peak. Even if Pingma were a ghost, she could only stay in her room and wouldn't dare step outside. Wouldn't that put Brother Ping in great danger? Wang Zhenzhen nervously grabbed Chang Yu's arm. Chang Yu glanced at Jiajia, who had already picked up a pen and paper to write an announcement, and then comforted Wang Zhenzhen by holding her small hand. Ping's mother loved Ping the most when she was alive. Even if she becomes a ghost, it would only be because she worries about Ping. Therefore, she would never harm Ping. That's good. Wang Zhenzhen felt relieved and was about to pat her chest to calm her nerves when she realized that Chang Yu was holding her hand. Her face flushed red instantly, and she glanced at Jiajia somewhat guiltily, noticing that she hadn't noticed what was happening. Then she whispered to Chang Yu, Brother Yu, just in case, I'd like to go and inform the other residents myself. Can you come with me? Chang Yu was taken aback. He glanced at Jiajia, who was writing the announcement. To be honest, he would rather send Wang Zhenzhen away and comfort Jiajia alone. Since Wang Zhenzhen had already spoken, he couldn't very well refuse. Looking somewhat troubled, he said, I think Jiajia seems a little scared. Why don't we wait until she finishes writing the announcement before we go together? Wang Zhenzhen nodded obediently and quietly tugged at the little hand that Chang Yu was holding. Chang Yu pretended to have just noticed, quickly let go of Wang Zhenzhen's hand, and nodded slightly apologetically to her. Wang Zhenzhen blushed slightly but said nothing. She got up and went to Jiajia's side, preparing to help her write more notices, preferably covering every floor.